Chapter 124. Ling Xiao wasn't in a hurry to act. Furthermore, he didn't even know if he had enough gold coins to buy this spirit plant. Can you first tell me what this green needle root is? Previously, when Ling Xiao had been in danger many times in the mountain range, Lu Weng hadn't appeared no matter how many times he called out to him. But now, for this spirit plant, Lu Weng had taken the initiative to appear. This spirit plant definitely had something astonishing about it. He had searched through the catalog of spirit plants and hadn't found a green needle root. Green needle root is a kind of root known as a needle tree. This kind of tree is extremely rare, but it is very different from ordinary trees. That's because it is shorter than weeds, but its roots are very special. They are hair-like, very similar to the green hairy ear. Although it is a wood attribute spirit plant, it cannot be directly consumed. If it is consumed directly, I'm afraid that the person who consumes it will immediately be pierced by 10,000 needles and die. Furthermore, it doesn't have much use for you human cultivators, Lu Weng explained. Then why did you come here? Ling Xiao didn't understand. Little friend, don't forget that I am a 10,000-year tree spirit. I need to absorb its spiritual qi to recover my essence energy. So little friend, you must obtain it, Lu Weng pleaded. Ling Xiao pondered for a moment. The price outside had already reached 400,000 gold coins. This little thing isn't easy to obtain. If I want to obtain it, I'll have to pay a high price. If I can obtain it, I wonder what reward you will give me? For example, a 10,000-year tree root or 10,000-year tree fruit. Ling Xiao could naturally hear that Lu Weng urgently needed this green needle root, so he wanted to ask for something good from him. Lu Weng unhappily said, "Little friend, don't be so greedy. I've already saved your life twice. You don't even know how much of my essence energy you've wasted." "That's true, but you'll naturally have to pay a bit of rent for staying in my consciousness." "You saved my life, so that'll count as rent," Ling Xiao lazily said. "Alright, as long as you obtain the green needle root, I promise to give you a drop of 10,000-year tree sap," Lu Weng reluctantly agreed. "Alright, as long as you obtain the green needle root, I promise to give you a drop of 10,000-year tree sap," Lu Weng reluctantly agreed. However, Ling Xiao didn't know that he had been tricked by Lu Weng this time. Ling Xiao immediately ordered the solitary eagle. "Regardless of the price, solitary eagle has to buy this spirit grass for me." "But, young master, where do we get so many gold coins?" Lone Eagle asked puzzledly. "Don't worry about it. Just name your price," Ling Xiao said. Without another word, Lone Eagle raised the price to 500,000 gold coins. This time, room number 8 attracted everyone's attention again. Everyone was wondering who exactly was in booth number 8. How could he be so rich and overbearing? Moreover, he even dared to openly bid against the people from the 3 great clans. Preposterous. He's clearly not putting our Ling family in his eyes. Ling Chong shouted angrily from within the Ling family's private room. Originally, he was displeased that the Li family had joined the bidding, but the Li family and the Ling family were both large families, so they naturally did not fear him. But who was this person in box 8? He had offended both the Li family and the Lan family, and now he still dared to go against the Ling family? He must be tired of living. 510,000 gold coins. Ling Chong shouted loudly. This green-haired man was not someone he could meet often. If he didn't bid for it, he would regret it to death. However, this price was ridiculously high. If the other party raised the price to 550,000 gold coins, he would definitely not dare to raise the price. Now, the Li family did not dare to bid anymore. 500,000 gold coins to buy a wood attribute spirit grass was clearly not worth it to them. With Ling Zhao's instructions, Lone Eagle immediately continued to raise the price. When the price reached 600,000 gold coins, Ling Chong sat down on the soft couch within the Ling family's private room. It was obvious that he did not have the strength to compete with the other party. Although he was the Ling family's chief steward and could allocate a portion of the gold coins, if he used a few 100,000 gold coins to buy a spirit grass that he wanted, that would be a misuse of the family's finances. Without the approval of the elders, he could not continue to be the chief steward, so he could only choose to give up. However, he was unwilling to give up. If he wanted something, no one could even think about taking it away. Ling Rui, who was at the side, said, "Father, why don't you let me bring some people over too?" At this point, Ling Rui made a killing gesture. Ling Chong calmed his anger and said, "This is the Luo family's land, we cannot be impulsive. First, let someone monitor it. Once we leave the auction, immediately let the people over there know the consequences of offending me, Ling Chong." In private room number 8, Ling Xiao was completely unaware that he had already aroused the killing intent of others. He was only thinking to himself, "These things are really burning money. I wonder if my 3 bottles of pills can be auctioned for 1 million. Otherwise it won't be enough to pay off the debt. The soft armor was 300,000 gold coins, and the green needles were 600,000 gold coins. In total it was 900,000 gold coins. Of course, Ling Xiao did not have that many gold coins right now. His original intention was to wait until his pills were auctioned, and then deduct the gold coins from the auction. Next up is the finale of this auction. Is everyone ready? The young woman's beautiful eyes turned, revealing a flirtatious smile. After keeping everyone in suspense, she said loudly, "The next auction item is a bottle of high-grade first-stage qi strengthening pills, a bottle of low-grade second-stage storm pills, and a bottle of mid-grade muscle growth pills. There are a total of 30 pills in 3 bottles, and they will be auctioned together. The starting price is 700,000 gold coins, and each bid must not be lower than 50,000 gold coins. Please bid." As soon as the young woman's words fell, it immediately caused an uproar. In a year, the Luo family only auctioned pills once or twice, and the number of pills they auctioned was far less than this time. It was actually 3 bottles being auctioned together, and this caused many families to go crazy. The qi strengthening pill could increase the chances of a martial disciple breaking through to the profound realm. It was suitable for the younger generation, and could help the family cultivate a few more talents. The storm pill didn't sound very valuable, but it became very popular as the competition approached. During the competition, any martial artist could use the pill to compete, and with the storm pill, it could increase the speed of the family's martial artists. This would give them more confidence in the competition, and the muscle growth pill was used to save lives, so it was worth it to bid for it in case of emergency. The price of these 3 bottles of pills quickly rose to 850,000 gold coins. However, Ling Xiao himself was very dissatisfied. Solitary Eagle raised the price higher. "When will it end if you keep bidding like this?" Solitary Eagle asked. "Then how much is appropriate?" 1 million, Ling Xiao said casually. His purpose in doing this was, of course, to raise the price of his pills, so that those clans that didn't have the strength to scram first, and let the big clans bid for it. He believed that there would definitely be people who would surpass his price so that he would have enough gold coins to pay for the 2 things he bid for. "My family's young master bids 1 million gold coins." Solitary Eagle followed Ling Xiao's instructions and immediately participated in the bidding. As expected, some of the smaller families revealed expressions of despair and gave up bidding. They didn't have the strength to do so. 1,100,000, Lan Dingshan from the Lan family called out. 1,200,000, Ling Chong from the Ling family called out. 1,500,000, Li Yuanhua from the Li family called out. 1,600,000, there was still a small family that stubbornly called out. However, it was quickly drowned out. In the end, the Ling and Li families bid together, and the 3 bottles of pills were auctioned for 2 million gold coins, which was won by Li Yuanhua from the Li family. After the pills were auctioned off by the Li family, the auction came to an end, but it was also the climax. This was because any auction would put the best items at the end, which was the highlight of the auction. The next item to be auctioned is one of the last 2 items of the day. Is everyone ready? This is a rare item that only appears once a year, the young woman said, keeping everyone in suspense. The people in the auction house became anxious. Usually, the last item was definitely the best. "Hurry up and announce what it is. Stop blabbering." "Yeah, hurry up and bring it up. Could it be a high-level spirit grass or a profound weapon?" "Everyone can't wait any longer, so I'll announce the next item. Low-rank 3 rhinoceros beast," the young woman announced. Immediately after, a few profound practitioners carried an extremely large carcass of a spirit beast into the auction house. Everyone cried out in shock. It's the carcass of a rank 3 spirit beast. It's too big." A low rank 3 rhinoceros beast, its most precious horn is not damaged, and there's definitely a beast core inside. How extravagant. I wonder who had the ability to kill this rhinoceros beast. This fellow is a metal-type spirit beast, and its attack power is extremely terrifying. Normal spirit masters don't have this ability. Everyone began to discuss again. The rhinoceros beast's horn could be used to refine pills, and the beast core was the most important material to refine profound weapons. Moreover, other than the parts of the rhinoceros beast that were damaged, its skin, bones, and tendons were still valuable. I won't say much about the value of this rank 3 rhinoceros beast. The starting price is 1 million gold coins, and each increment must be no less than 100,000 gold coins. Everyone please bid. The young woman smiled. 1 million gold coins. This caused many small clans and mercenaries to suck in a breath of cold air. This time they could only sigh in hope. I bid 1,200,000 gold coins. A loud voice sounded from the sixth room. This was the first time the person in the room had called out a price. When Ling Xiao heard this voice, he felt that it was very familiar. He pondered for a moment and seemed to remember something. He then said to himself, so Uncle Li also came to participate in the auction. After the sixth room called out a price, the Li clan also began to call out a price of 1,500,000 gold coins. Immediately after, the price war began intensely. 1,600,000 gold coins. 1,700,000 gold coins. The price continued to climb and very quickly, it surpassed 2 million gold coins. In the end, the sixth room bought the rhinoceros beast's corpse for 3,500,000 gold coins. In the sixth room was the son of Meteorite City's chief blacksmith master, Li Yang. Half a year ago, after Ling Xiao helped him expel the Yang poison, his entire person glowed with youth. He was originally 38 years old, but now he looked like a 30-year-old man. His eyes were bright and full of expression, and it was obvious that his cultivation had improved. He looked at the rhinoceros beast that he bought and said to himself, I have the metal attribute beast core. As long as I find the 1,000-year black mysterious iron, I can make a profound weapon for my benefactor. Chapter 125. The last item was auctioned. The next item is 2 stalks of level 3 low spirit grass. Can everyone guess what kind of spirit grass this is? The young woman said as she took off the red cloth covering the item. Inside the crystal cabinet were 2 stalks of beautiful purple and red flowers. These were obviously 2 spirit flowers. These 2 spirit flowers were a few times bigger than normal flowers and looked a bit like a morning glory flower. However, the petals were dotted with colorful patterns, making them look extremely enchanting and alluring. This is a 7-colored magic flower. Seeing the spirit flowers, someone immediately cried out. Impossible, this is definitely not a 7-colored magic flower. A 7-colored magic flower has 7 different colored petals and these 2 spirit flowers have the same color. It's just that there are more patterns on the petals and they look similar to the 7-colored magic flower. Then what kind of spirit grass is this? Level 3 spirit grass is very rare. Did someone enter the depths of the mountain range? Stop guessing, quickly tell us what kind of spirit grass it is. Yeah, don't waste everyone's time. The young woman saw that the crowd was making a ruckus and immediately smiled sweetly. This is a level 3 pattern flower. It really is a pattern flower, I should have guessed it earlier. A mercenary shouted excitedly. As soon as he said this, many people immediately pointed their middle fingers at him and looked down on him. The pattern flower was a level 3 low spirit grass. Its effect was very special. When a martial artist below the spirit master level consumed the pattern flower, a spirit tattoo would appear on their arm. It would allow a martial artist to have would attribute dark force for a short period of time and increase their arm strength by 10 times. At first glance, the effect didn't seem to be very good, but those who were knowledgeable would know that this was definitely a good thing. In a battle between cultivators, an additional element would mean a different type of attack. This was especially true when encountering an element that countered it. After taking the pattern flower, one would have a wood element attack, making it much easier to win. Furthermore, the 10-fold increase in arm strength was absolutely terrifying. If one could only lift a boulder that weighed 500 G normally, after taking the pattern flower, one would be able to lift a boulder that weighed 10,000 G, reaching the strength of 10,000 G. At that time, even stronger opponents would have to retreat. Even so, the pattern flower's value couldn't compare to the level 3 rhinoceros beast. Luckily, there were 2 pattern flowers being auctioned together, so the starting price was set at 1 million gold coins. Ling Chong didn't get anything out of the green fur ears, level 2 medicinal pills, and level 3 horned rhinoceros beast. Now that the pattern flower was the last item, he swore that he would get it no matter what the price was. Otherwise his Ling family would lose all face. The young woman had just made her bid when Ling Chong impatiently raised the price to 1 million gold coins, hoping to scare his opponent. The Li clan's Li. The Li of the Li clan flower. He did not expect that the Luo family, who had been quiet all this while, would also join the bidding. 3 Li 2. When Ling Chong raised the price to 3 million gold coins, the Li and Luo families both gave up. Humph, is there anyone else who is offering a higher price than me? Ling Chong said proudly in the private room. He was determined to get his hands on this patterned flower because it also had the effect of purifying wood attribute warriors. This effect was not as obvious as the one mentioned before, but it was real. Ling Chong was determined to get his hands on the pattern flower. Just as the 3 hammers were about to strike, a voice called out from booth 8, "My young master bids 5 million gold coins." Wah! This bid immediately caused everyone to exclaim in surprise. Who is the kid inside? He's willing to spend so much money on these 2 pattern flowers. Does he have so much money that he doesn't know where to spend it? That's right. He's even going against the Ling family. There'll be a good show to watch after the auction. Who knows? Since he dares to challenge the Ling family and the Li family, he must have an expert. In the Li family's box, Li Yuanhua laughed happily. Looks like Ling Chong will be so angry that he vomits blood. I'm really curious who's in box 8. Indeed, in the Ling family's box, Ling Chong was so angry that his face was ashen. He clenched his fists tightly and said, "I don't care who you are. If I let you leave Meteorite City alive, I won't be surnamed Ling." In box 8, Ling Xiao took out an item and handed it to Solitary Eagle before whispering a few words to him. Lone Eagle repeatedly agreed, turned around and left the private room. The pattern flower was won by box 8 for 5 million gold coins, and the auction was about to come to an end. Just as everyone was about to leave, a maid hurriedly ran over to the young woman who was auctioning the item and whispered a few words into her ear. The young woman revealed a surprised expression, but she calmed down and nodded before sending the maid away. Everyone, don't be in such a hurry to leave. Originally, the pattern flower was the last item to be auctioned, but our auction house has provided an even better item at the last minute. Everyone, please take a look at this last item before you leave. The young woman hurriedly called out to the people who were about to leave. Those who were about to leave all stayed back. Everyone was wondering what kind of even better item would be added at the last minute. Then a maidservant walked in with a tray in her hands. Everyone looked carefully. A high-grade 3rd-grade windgrass. The starting price is 5 million gold coins. The young woman raised her voice as high as she could and pointed at the spirit herb in the maid's hands. 3. High-grade 3rd-grade windgrass. As soon as the young woman's words fell, everyone was shocked. Immediately, all the rich people in the boxes with gold coins had the same thought. This spirit herb must be auctioned no matter how much it costs. There was no need to introduce the effects of the windgrass. It was a rare high-grade spirit herb outside of the 5 elements, and to any martial artist of the wind attribute, it was an absolute treasure. As soon as the windgrass was taken out, the Ling, Li and Luo families all went crazy. Before long, the price had reached 8 million gold coins. Some of the VIPs in the boxes also joined in the bidding. This was because the auction wasn't only open to the natives of Meteorite City, it was also open to outsiders. However, a strong dragon couldn't resist a local snake. In the end, the Ling family won the windgrass for 18 million gold coins. Everyone marveled at the charm of this high-grade spirit herb. It was too amazing. 18 million gold coins, this amount could compare to the entire wealth of some small families. The Ling family was worthy of being the #1 family in Meteorite City. This kind of courage was really not something an ordinary family could compare to. Just who made the windgrass? Without a doubt, it came from the hands of Ling Xiao in the 8th box. He was the only one who had the windgrass. Ling Xiao didn't feel the slightest bit inappropriate about earning his family's gold coins. Instead, he wore a satisfied smile and said to himself, I really didn't expect the windgrass to be so valuable. It seems like it's hard for me to be poor. The auction ended and everyone began to leave. However, there were 3 groups of people waiting not far from the exit for the people in the 8th box to appear. Because they all had the same goal, and that was to take back what they had lost. This kind of killing and robbing was not uncommon anywhere. Regarding the impending danger, Ling Xiao was completely unaware. He first put away the soft armor, green needle roots, and 2 patterned flowers he had won. Moreover, there were some debts that needed to be settled. When it was time to settle the bill, Mo Hongmei came over with Luo Qingxuang. Grandson-in-law, you are too unkind. You have such a high-grade spirit herb like the windgrass, why did you only take it out at the critical moment? Are you afraid that Granny can't afford the price? Mo Hongmei complained. If she had known that Ling Xiao had the windgrass, she would have talked with Ling Xiao before the auction to see if Ling Xiao could give the windgrass to them first. However, Ling Xiao only took it out at the critical moment, so she could only do things according to the rules. It was not good to intercept it in advance. In the end, the Ling family won it again, so her heart was somewhat unfair. On the side, Luo Qingxuang happily hugged Ling Xiao's hand with a happy smile on her face. It was as if just seeing Ling Xiao made her very happy. Ling Xiao replied, Granny, I had no other choice. For these things I can't afford to pay them with just those few bottles of pills. The 3 bottles of pills that Ling Xiao had brought to the auction were sold for 2 million gold coins. The soft guard armor, green needle roots, and the patterned flower cost a total of 5,900,000 gold coins. Therefore the gold coins from those pills weren't enough. He had no choice but to take out the Yin Wind grass. The Yin Wind grass was extremely rare and precious to others, but to Ling Xiao, it was just a drop in the bucket. Taking out 100 or so wasn't a problem. It had to be known that he had obtained nearly 1,000 Yin Wind grass in the abyss. Mo Hongmei said, "Don't you know that the things you want aren't as valuable as a single Yin Wind grass? Perhaps in the eyes of others, it's very precious, but that's different from person to person. I hope Granny can understand." Ling Xiao didn't want to reveal too many secrets to Mo Hongmei, but he wanted her to know that he, Ling Xiao, wasn't someone who couldn't weigh the pros and cons. Could it be that this kid has other high-grade spirit herbs? Mo Hongmei couldn't help but be shocked when she heard Ling Xiao's words. However, from Ling Xiao's tone, she knew that she had interfered too much, so she changed the topic. "Alright, I won't nag anymore. Today I'll hand Shuanger over to you. You're not allowed to bully her." She then turned around and left. "Brother Xiao, let's go play outside the city today, okay?" Luo Qingxuang shook Ling Xiao's arm as she spoke. Yesterday she had made an appointment with Ling Xiao, telling him to accompany her today. Ling Xiao smiled. "Don't worry, Shuanger. Today all of the young master's time is yours, including at night." "Brother Xiao, you're so bad." Luo Qingxuang blushed at Ling Xiao's words, but in her heart she was very happy. Ling Xiao had Solitary Eagle take out the remaining 10 million gold coins, and then he brought Luo Qingxuang and the 5 elements envoy out of the auction. Ling Chong, Li Yuanhua, and Lan Dingshan, who had long since been waiting outside, were already impatient. When Ling Xiao came out, Ling Chong, Li Yuanhua, and Lan Dingshan were all puzzled. Why is it this brat? During the auction, the 3 families had already sent their guards to keep an eye on Ling Xiao's private room. When Solitary Eagle came out, he was immediately noticed. Chapter 126. However, Ling, Li Lan, and the others hadn't expected the one-eyed man to be Ling Xiao's servant, Solitary Eagle, and the mysterious young master in the 8th room was Ling Xiao. They couldn't help but be shocked. "Dad, how could it be that stinky brat Ling Xiao?" Ling Rui asked in surprise. "You ask me, but who am I supposed to ask?" Ling Chong snapped. "Then, are we still going to snatch it?" Ling Rui asked in a small voice. "Snatch my ass. Can't you see the 5 elements envoy behind him? Get the hell back." Ling Chong cursed. He hated Ling Xiao to death for stealing the green-haired ears he wanted. However, he wasn't willing to let Ling Xiao off just like that. He had to find a chance to snatch it back. On the Li family's side, Li Guangyin had a deep impression of Ling Xiao. Of course, he wouldn't forget the lesson Ling Xiao had taught him. "Dad, it's that bastard from the Ling family." Li Guangyin cast a venomous look at Ling Xiao and said to Li Yuanhua, "Alright, I got it. Let's go back." Li Yuanhua glanced at Ling Xiao, who was not far from him. His face was expressionless as he responded, and then he took the lead. "Dad, are we just going to let him off like that?" Li Guangyin asked in confusion. Unfortunately, his father didn't answer him and left with his guards. He could only follow unwillingly. Now that the Ling and Li families had left, Lan Dingshan knew that there was nothing he could do. He sighed and said to his daughter, "Let's go. We'll get that armor back later." The girl glanced at Ling Xiao and then at Ling Xiao's Luo Qingxuang. Her eyes flashed with a trace of surprise before she followed her father's footsteps. Lan Dingshan's eyes were filled with sadness and anger. He whispered to his daughter, "Yener, he's Ling Xiao." "What?" The girl was shocked and then revealed an angry expression. "Dad, I'll go kill him." Lan Dingshan shook his head and said, "Let's go. Your brother's revenge will be avenged soon. Now is not the time to touch him." The girl unwillingly threw a vicious look at Ling Xiao before leaving with her father. Luo Qingxuang just happened to catch this scene. It was undeniable that women were very sensitive. "Brother Xiao, do you know her?" Luo Qingxuang pointed at Lan Dingshan's daughter and asked. Ling Xiao chuckled, "Shuang, are you jealous? Although this young master is lovable and beautiful, not everyone is interested in me. She can't even compare to 1/10 of you, so how could this young master know her?" When Luo Qingxuang heard Ling Xiao's words, she felt extremely satisfied and didn't pursue the matter any further. Instead, she hugged Ling Xiao's arm tightly and smiled happily. On the other hand, Ling Xiao's heart was in a mess because of the 2 lumps of soft meat, and the fire of lust was rising. He was thinking that if he could have a wild sex with this girl outside the city, It would definitely feel very good. However, he only thought about it and didn't dare to put it into action. Ling Xiao fulfilled his promise and accompanied Luo Qingxuang for the whole day. He was very happy. If I knew this would happen, I would have called Yushi. Ling Xiao couldn't help but sigh when he returned. Then he thought of Wei Dyer and felt that he was a little too stingy. He should have a good talk with her tonight. After Ling Xiao sent Luo Qingxuang back, he leisurely returned with Lone Eagle and the Five Elements envoy. As night fell, the sky was shrouded in a large area of burning clouds. A few bright red clouds dyed the sky into a beautiful picture. After dinner, Ling Xiao called Wei Dyer out. Tonight, Wei Dyer was dressed in a light pink satin dress, which accentuated her voluptuous body to the fullest extent. There was a hint of melancholy in her almond-shaped eyes. She put away her usual charming smile and asked very seriously, "Young master, what orders do you have?" After a day and a night of reflection, she knew that her actions yesterday might have angered Ling Xiao. She must have begged Frenzied Blade for mercy at the last moment. She felt that Ling Xiao must have thought that she had some kind of relationship with Frenzied Blade. Now that she still wanted to stay, she had to cut off the feelings in her heart and stay by Ling Xiao's side as a guard. But could she really do it? Ling Xiao first released Qi Zai and the Golden Wolf King from the Spirit Beast wristband. Then he took out the silk soft armor from his spatial ring. He walked to Wei Dyer and said softly, "Sister Dyer, this is for you." Wei Dyer was stunned for a moment. Then she looked at the set of blue soft armor in Ling Xiao's hand. Her beautiful eyes gradually became misty, and then she directly threw herself into Ling Xiao's arms and sobbed. In front of a window not far away, a cold and handsome young man saw this scene. He smiled with satisfaction and then pulled up the window. After a long time, Wei Dyer smiled and said, "Why are you so good to me? Don't you think I'm a fickle woman?" "If you are a fickle woman, there will be no good women in this world," Ling Xiao said with a smile as he wiped Wei Dyer's tears. The conflict in Wei Dyer's heart was melted by Ling Xiao's words. Just as Ling Xiao was about to take advantage of the situation, Wei Dyer pushed him away and said with a smile, "This is the reward for the gift you gave me, my good brother." After laughing, she threw a coquettish look at Ling Xiao, turned around gracefully, and returned to her room with the silk soft armor. Ling Xiao licked his lips and muttered to himself, "What a seductress. Sooner or later this young master will eat you." Tonight, Ling Xiao let Wei Dyer go because he had more important things to do. Back in his room, Ling Xiao took out the green needle root. "Elder Lu, come out. The thing you want is here," Ling Xiao called out. Following that, a ball of green light came out from Ling Xiao's sea of knowledge. A shadow appeared in front of Ling Xiao. It was the 10,000-year tree spirit, Lu Weng. "It really is the green needle root." Lu Weng looked at the spirit root that Ling Xiao took out with excitement. "Green Elder, is this thing really that helpful to you?" Ling Xiao asked, not understanding what was going on. Lu Weng stroked his green beard and replied, "Of course. The green needle root contains our wood elemental spiritual qi. After I absorb it, I will be able to recover at least 50 years of vitality." Elemental spiritual qi? Ling Xiao was stunned for a moment. This was the first time he had heard of this term. Lu Weng nodded and explained, "Every element has its own elemental spiritual qi. Although this green needle root is not an elemental treasure, it is extremely precious to a tree spirit. Let this old man absorb it first." Lu Weng explained and impatiently opened his mouth and sucked the green needle root into his mouth. Immediately afterward, it turned into a ball of green light and entered Ling Xiao's sea of knowledge. "Hey, Elder Lu, you still haven't given me the 10,000-year tree milk," Ling Xiao hurriedly called out. The reason he had auctioned this green needle root was for the 10,000-year tree milk, which would allow him to increase his lifespan by another 100 years. Immediately afterward, Lu Weng's voice sounded in Ling Xiao's mind, "You humans can only take the 10,000-year tree milk once. If you take it again, it will have no effect. So it's useless for you to have another drop." Ling Xiao almost went crazy when he heard this. He hadn't expected that this old man would lie to him. How infuriating. "Next time, don't ask me for anything else," Ling Xiao said in annoyance. He had been smart all his life, but he had been foolish for a moment. Although Ling Xiao had cursed Lu Weng a few times, he was still unhappy in his heart. He thought to himself, "Sooner or later, I'll make you spit out the 10,000-year tree milk." Ling Xiao calmed himself down and took out the 2 patterned flowers from his spatial ring. "I didn't expect to be able to obtain such good things at the auction." Ling Xiao's eyes lit up as he looked at the 2 flowers. If others knew that Ling Xiao had auctioned off the Yin Wind grass for these 2 patterned flowers, they would definitely think that Ling Xiao was an idiot. In the eyes of others, one yin wind grass was worth at least 10 patterned flowers, but Ling Xiao had only exchanged for 2 and was still complacent. It would be strange if others didn't call him an idiot. But was there really something wrong with Ling Xiao's head? Of course not. The value of these patterned flowers was indeed inferior to the yin wind grass, but Ling Xiao's goal wasn't these 2 flowers. What he mainly wanted were the stalks of these 2 flowers. Everyone knew the effects of the patterned flower, but no one knew the use of the patterned flower stalks. Even the spirit grass did not have any records of it. However, Ling Xiao had learned from the alchemy art that the stalks of the patterned flower were called explosive stalks, and were the main material for refining the 3rd-grade pill, the explosive spirit pill. However, Ling Xiao wasn't here to refine the explosive spirit pill. The reason why the stalks of the patterned flower were called explosive stalks was because the stalks were filled with a violent element. If one consumed it directly, it would cause their mental strength to skyrocket, allowing them to break through their shackles in a short period of time. Consuming this explosive stalks had its pros and cons. The consumer would suffer from the pain of being pricked by thousands of needles. If the consumer's willpower wasn't strong enough, they would become mentally deranged and eventually become an idiot. In the worst cases, they wouldn't be able to withstand the torment and their consciousness would rupture and they would die. Therefore, almost no one dared to consume this explosive stalk directly. Usually it was only used to refine the explosive spirit pill. However, Ling Xiao did something that others would think of as a lunatic. He actually pinched off a small section of the explosive stalk and chewed on it. Immediately after, Ling Xiao immediately sat down to meditate and silently recited the control tactics chant in his mind. The explosive stalk that was consumed instantly turned into a violent energy that charged towards Ling Xiao's consciousness. As soon as the violent energy reached Ling Xiao's sea of consciousness, it immediately expanded, and the energy dispersed into needle-like shapes, piercing into the surroundings of the sea of consciousness. Ling Xiao only felt that his mind was being pricked and tortured by thousands of needles. It felt as if his head was about to explode. It was so painful that he wished he was dead. Defend the universe, defend the unity. Ling Xiao clenched his teeth as beads of sweat dripped from his face. He formed a mysterious hand seal and silently recited the chant in his mind. Suddenly, the violent energy in Ling Xiao's sea of consciousness was pacified, and stopped spreading out. Then, the scattered energy was wrapped up by an invisible spiritual force from the outside, preventing it from continuing to irritate the sea of consciousness. Then, as the invisible pressure increased, the violent energy was squeezed into a dozen or so drops of milky white liquid, dripping into the sea of consciousness. Chapter 127. After the sea of consciousness came into contact with the milk, it became as white as the milk. As the dozen drops of milk fell, the sea of consciousness actually expanded by a quarter before stopping. In a small green tree next to the sea of consciousness, Lu Wang was currently converting the energy of the green needles, but he also felt the change in Ling Xiao's sea of consciousness. What is this kid doing? His sea of consciousness has liquefied. Lu Wang murmured in shock as he looked at the dozen drops of milky white liquid. The gray bead at the side also shook a few times, as if it was happy with the changes in the sea of consciousness. As for the changes in the sea of consciousness, Ling Xiao didn't know. He only knew that the pain in his head gradually lessened until all the pain disappeared. After an unknown amount of time, Ling Xiao slowly opened his eyes. 2 rays of light shot out, giving off an unfathomable feeling. Break for me. Ling Xiao focused his gaze on the lantern not far away and shouted. Bah! The lantern actually split into 2 without any warning. If others were to see this, they would probably jump in fright. This was because only those who had reached the spirit master level could use the pressure of their thoughts to attack. However, Ling Xiao was clearly only an intermediate mystic disciple, so how could he use mental pressure to attack? Needless to say, this was all because of the soul-controlling art. Just now, Ling Xiao used mental energy to attack the lantern. Mental energy was a formless existence that couldn't be seen with the naked eye. Only those with high mental energy could sense it. Ling Xiao smiled in satisfaction. He knew that his mental energy had definitely increased by a lot. He believed that it wouldn't be a problem for him to attack 5 times a day, and his attack range had also increased from 2 meters to 3 meters. Don't look down on this extra meter. If he cultivated normally, Ling Xiao would probably have to spend half a year to reach this level. Attack power and attack range both changed with the increase of mental energy. With Ling Xiao's current strength, he was absolutely invincible under the mystic disciple rank. Against a spirit master rank, he at least had a way to protect his life. As long as the opponent didn't attack him immediately, he could definitely make the opponent suffer. After tasting the sweetness for the first time, Ling Xiao immediately swallowed the other half of the explosive stem. At first there was a sharp pain, but Ling Xiao quickly endured it. Ling Xiao's tenacity was tempered from his previous life. Other than being unable to endure the charms of women, he could endure anything else as long as he wanted to, including the pain of being pricked by thousands of needles. Ling Xiao didn't know that he had spent about 10 days in seclusion. At this time, Meteorite City was getting more and more lively. This was because in 3 days the entire city would be ushered in. It would be the day of the Great Family Competition that was held once every 4 years. In the Great Family Competition, the top families of the Meteorite City would send their young representatives above the age of 25 to compete in the martial arts arena. This was not only to promote the culture of practicing martial arts in Meteorite City, but also to show the strength of the younger generation of the major families in order to determine the potential of the major families in the future. Of course, this was only the original intention of the martial arts competition. However, with the passage of time, this competition had gradually turned into a competition for the prestige of the major families, as well as a competition for ranking. The family that won the first place in the competition might have the most number of people in the top 10. This represented the strength of the younger generation of the family, as well as the prestige of the family. Therefore, in every year's Great Family Competition, all the major families would send their strongest members of the younger generation, and they were bound to get a better ranking. Since there were more than 30 big and small families in Meteorite City, the number of people participating in the competition was also limited. The 3 major families could each send 10 people, the mid-level families could send 5 people, and the smallest family could send 2 people. The Great Family Competition had been held for 125 times, and had lasted for 500 years. In these 500 years, the 3 major families had occupied the top 10 positions the most. Among them, the Ling family had occupied the most positions. So, it wasn't an exaggeration to say that the Ling family was the leader of the 3 major families. In every Great Family Competition, all the major families would take out a part of their collections as a reward. This was also the custom of every competition. Now, all the major families were nervously preparing for the Great Family Competition. In a mountain ridge behind the Ling family's inner courtyard, in a cave, a young man with a bare upper body was glowing with a golden light, as if a golden Buddha had come into being. He was exceptionally dazzling. Outside the cave there were 2 guards guarding respectfully. These 2 guards had the cultivation of a low-level mystic cultivator. Young master has broken through. The 2 guards' eyes revealed a look of surprise. What are you here for? A voice came from inside. Young master, 3 days later is the day of the Great Family Competition. I have come under the orders of the elder to invite young master out of seclusion, one of the guards replied with a bow. The young man inside the cave opened his star-like eyes, and his face had an ancient expression. He murmured, "For years? Li Qianhao, don't disappoint me." Then the young man shot out from the cave. His body shone with a golden light like the sun, appearing extremely dazzling. Like a star cutting through the sky, he sped towards the inner courtyard of the Ling family. The 2 low-level mystic cultivators behind him revealed a look of shock again, and then hurriedly chased after him. At the same time, a few figures shot out from several seclusion grounds of the Ling family, their speed not inferior to that of the young man in front. Some of the patrolling guards noticed, but when they saw who it was, they hurriedly bowed and saluted. North of the city, Li family. In the belly of a mountain facing the sun, there was also a naked young man sitting cross-legged on a fire lotus altar. The fire lotus altar was burning and flickering, but the young man inside seemed to not feel the heat and was still cultivating with his eyes closed. If it was a normal person, even if they did not burn to death, they would have died from the heat. But that young man seemed to be fine. After an unknown amount of time, the young man's body trembled slightly, and then he shouted loudly. His whole body rose up, and his whole body bloomed with a demonic bright red color, as if he was one with the fire lotus altar on the ground, like a child of the sun. He waved one hand and a flame roared towards the trees in front like a dragon. Boom! In an instant the trees that were hit were blasted into powder, and the surrounding trees were also burned by the flames. The young man landed, and the surrounding flames were extinguished in an instant. It's about time, buddy. It's time for you to go out and drink some fresh blood. The young man who was emitting flames looked up at the sky, and after muttering this, he waved his hand and a flame broke through the ground nearby. A long sword emitting blue flames fell into the young man's hand. If someone was here, they would definitely be shocked to find that the young man was holding a third-level fire attribute profound weapon. In another direction, in a side building at the back of the Luo family's inner courtyard, a very ordinary-looking young man was scratching his head in worry. Damn it, for years have passed so quickly and I'm still at the same spot. This time I'm definitely going to lose badly. That young man muttered to himself, and then walked to the window to look at another side building not far away, only to see that it was emitting a thick green light. Although it was just a flash, it alarmed many people in the Luo family. When that ordinary-looking young man saw that green light, he opened his mouth and said, "Big brother broke through again. That's too much of a blow." At the same time, some of the younger generation of the middle and small aristocratic families came out of seclusion, all for the grand meeting that was held once every 4 years. This year's grand family competition was bound to be a spectacular battle between dragons and tigers. As the grand family competition approached, Ling Xiao was still meditating in his room. His expression was solemn, and his hands were placed in front of his abdomen. His entire body was emitting a cold aura, and what was even more peculiar was that the light around him was alternating between gold, red, white, and finally gray. The color changes were repeated over and over again, and it was extremely mystical and extraordinary. Knock knock. There was a light knock on the door, and then Lone Eagle's voice came from outside. "Young master, the family has an urgent matter that requires your presence in the inner courtyard." Ling Xiao opened his eyes and stood up. His temperament was clearly a level higher than before, and he seemed even more heroic and extraordinary. "Yes, I understand," he replied indifferently, got up, put on his clothes and walked out. Lone Eagle had been waiting for a long time, and he immediately said to Ling Xiao, "It's about the grand family competition." There were many things that Lone Eagle had to clarify in advance without Ling Xiao's instructions, and then report to Ling Xiao as soon as possible. He was already thoroughly proud to be Ling Xiao's servant. Ling Xiao nodded, but he didn't immediately rush to the inner courtyard. Instead, he went to the great hall to enjoy his breakfast, and only then did he leisurely walk to the inner courtyard. At this moment in the inner courtyard, the family head and the 8 elders were all present, and there were also 9 youths standing there. These 9 youths were all in high spirits, and their temperaments were extraordinary. Their expressions were extremely cold and arrogant. They were the cream of the Ling family's younger generation, and they were the representatives representing the Ling family in the grand family competition. A year ago, the top 5 of the Ling family's test, except for Ling Xiao, were all present. The second elder's grandson Ling Kuang, the fourth elder's granddaughter Ling Bin, the family head's grandson Ling Li, and the fifth elder's grandson, Ling Xing. Ling Kuang and Ling Bin had long broken through to the Mystic Knight rank, and Ling Li, who was originally a high-level Mystic Knight during the family test, had also broken through to the Mystic Knight rank in the recent half a year. As for Ling Xing, he had failed to break through. Perhaps it was because Ling Xiao had defeated him, and it had created an inner demon. He was already very weak here. Today, 4 of the top 5 of the family test were Mystic Knight rank, and all the elders of the Ling family were especially gratified. However, there was still one person who hadn't come, and some people were not too happy. "It's already been an hour, let's not wait any longer. If the family head has anything to say, just announce it and save us all the time." The 5th elder impatiently said to the family head, Ling Tsang. Ling Tsang said indifferently, "Then let's begin." He then stood up and said to the 9 youths in the great hall, "The quadrennial clans competition is coming soon, and you will represent the family to fight for the glory of the family. I hope that all of you will return victorious from this competition, and bring glory to the Ling family." After Ling Tsang had talked non-stop for a while, it was the 2nd elder's turn to speak, and all of them were words of encouragement. After the first 4 elders spoke, it was Ling Tsang's turn to speak. "You are all good men of the Ling family. Do you have the confidence to enter the top 10 or even the first place?" Chapter 128. "Yes," the 9 of them shouted in unison. "Good. In a bit, the 3rd elder will distribute the medicinal pills to you. After that, you can go to the armory pavilion to choose a suitable weapon," said Ling Tsang. Just as the 3rd elder was distributing the medicinal pills to the 9 of them, Ling Xiao finally arrived. Immediately, everyone's gazes landed on Ling Xiao. Ling Xiao greets the clan leader and the elders. Ling Xiao bowed to Ling Tsang. "Why are you late?" Ling Tsang asked unhappily. He really felt a headache for his grandson. Why did he have to cause trouble every time? Reporting to the clan leader, "I was cultivating and lost track of time," replied Ling Xiao. Since you've worked so hard, I'll let it go this time. But don't do it again. Go to the side and receive your medicinal pills, said Ling Tsang. I don't think that's appropriate. The fifth elder wouldn't let go of a chance to attack Ling Xiao. He had long since hated Ling Xiao to the bone. What do you think, fifth elder? Ling Tsang asked indifferently. Ling Xiao came late, so he should be punished. But since he's been diligently cultivating, he can be exempted from any heavy punishment. But he's not allowed to receive any medicinal pills or weapons as a punishment. Otherwise, in the future, anyone can use the excuse of cultivating to come late. That's clearly looking down on the elder assembly. How can our elder assembly convince the masses? The fifth elder had a good plan. He used Ling Xiao's tardiness as an excuse to cut off Ling Xiao's chance to choose any medicinal pills or weapons. In the faction competition, all the great clans' elites would bring along their clan's best medicinal pills and weapons. This way they could increase their battle prowess by many times. If Ling Xiao didn't have any medicinal pills or high-tier weapons, then he would be at a disadvantage in the competition. This was because the matches were fought one after another until the final victor was decided. Every match would consume a lot of energy. If one did not have elixirs to recover, even if they won, they would be at a disadvantage in the following matches. It was the same for weapons. If one used a low-level weapon to fight against the opponent's high-level weapon, sooner or later the weapon would be destroyed. Elder Ling Tsang's eyes flashed with anger, but just as he was about to speak, Ling Xiao smiled and said, Patriarch, fifth elder is right. Ling Xiao is willing to accept the punishment, but I don't want the pills and weapons. At this moment, all the elders and the 9 youths present looked at Ling Xiao in astonishment. Did the Grand Elder give him something good? This thought flashed through everyone's mind. Of course, Ling Tsang had thought of this as well, so he nodded and said, Then let's do as the fifth elder says. Disperse. Then he transmitted his voice to Ling Xiao and said, Little brat, come with me to the inner hall. The elders dispersed and the 9 youths also left one by one. However, there were 2 hostile gazes that swept across Ling Xiao's body, but Ling Xiao didn't mind it at all. Ling Xiao's cousin Ling Li walked up to him and whispered, I didn't expect you to be ahead of me again, but I'll surpass you sooner or later. Ling Xiao knew that his cousin was a cultivation maniac, so he didn't want to discourage him, so he replied, I'll wait for you. The crowd dispersed and Ling Xiao followed Ling Tsang to the inner hall. Xiao, you're getting more and more impudent, Ling Tsang said with a cold expression. Grandpa, I really was in seclusion. If you hadn't sent someone to call me, I'm afraid I would still be cultivating, Ling Xiao explained. I've sent someone to invite you for a long time, but you're still dawdling. Do you think that you can be arrogant just because you've made some progress? Ling Tsang snorted. Xiao, wouldn't dare. Ling Xiao hurriedly bowed. He knew that this time the Grand Elder was angry. Ling Tsang sighed and said, Forget it. I have 2 bottles of medicinal pills here, you can take them first. He then took out 2 bottles of medicinal pills and handed them over to Ling Xiao. Ling Xiao caught the pills and opened them to take a look. To his surprise, they were a second-stage muscle-growing pill and a storm pill. However, the quality was too poor. It was obvious that the alchemist who had refined these pills was only at the beginner level. Ling Xiao muttered inwardly, how could he bring out such a worthless pill? How embarrassing. Ling Xiao's expression fell into Ling Tsang's eyes, and Ling Tsang thought that he didn't understand pills, so he explained, 1 bottle contains the muscle-growing pill, which is a higher-grade healing pill than the dew-returning pill. The other bottle contains the storm pill. If you meet an opponent that you can't beat, you can take it. However, you must not be careless. I believe that both the Li and Luo families have these pills. Ling Xiao closed the bottle and put the 2 bottles of pills on the table. Grandpa, the quality of these 2 bottles of pills is too poor, the effect is not very good, I think you should keep it. You little brat, I know that the Grand Elder is protecting you, so he should have some pills for you to use. However, second-stage pills are rare even for the Grand Elder, yet you don't want them? Are you trying to anger Grandpa to death? Ling Tsang angrily said. Ling Xiao shook his head and took out 2 bottles of pills from his spatial ring, placing them in front of Ling Tsang. Grandpa, what do you think these are? Ling Tsang suspiciously took the pills from Ling Xiao, then opened them and closed them again, saying, So you already have these 2 kinds of pills. However, Grandpa should also keep these for now just in case you need them in the future. No, Grandpa, please compare these 2 bottles with mine, Ling Xiao said. Ling Tsang did as he was told and opened all 4 bottles of pills. Only after comparing them did he realize that the quality of the pills in his 2 bottles was truly trash. It seems that the Grand Elder still has some good stuff. Since that's the case, I'll take them back. Ling Tsang smiled bitterly and put away his 2 bottles of pills. Grandpa, please accept these 2 bottles as well. In any case, I don't need them, Ling Xiao said. Bastard, do you know how much these 2 bottles are worth? Even the family doesn't have more than 10 bottles. Moreover, these were given to you by the Grand Elder. He doesn't want anything to happen to you during the faction competition, so what's the point of you giving them to me? Ling Tsang loudly rebuked. Second-stage medicinal pills were extremely precious in Meteor City, and Ling Tsang thought that Ling Xiao didn't know how valuable they were, so he immediately reprimanded Ling Xiao to prevent him from becoming too arrogant. Grandpa, don't be angry. Look at these. Ling Xiao instantly took out a dozen bottles of pills and placed them in front of Ling Tsang. This time even Ling Tsang was shocked. Opening the bottles one after another, he found that they were all second-stage pills. Besides the muscle growth pill and haste pill, there were also vitality pills and vitality growth pills. How can you have so many pills? Is this the Grand Elder's lifetime collection? Ling Tsang muttered in shock. Then he looked up at Ling Xiao and asked, Xiao, tell me honestly what happened to the Grand Elder? What do you mean what happened? Ling Xiao was confused by this question. Did the Grand Elder die? Ling Tsang asked with a pained expression. Grandpa, what nonsense are you talking about? Although I haven't seen the Grand Elder for some time, I don't think the Grand Elder would die so easily, right? Ling Xiao replied helplessly. Then why do you have so many pills? Also, what's with the space ring on your hand? Didn't the Grand Elder pass them on to you? Ling Tsang asked. Ling Xiao suddenly understood. It turned out that his grandfather thought that the Grand Elder had passed away and passed on all his possessions to him. His grandfather was really far-sighted. Grandpa, you misunderstand. These pills were all refined by me, Ling Xiao said frankly. You refined them? This time Ling Tsang was shocked, his eyes filled with doubt. So Ling Xiao briefly explained how he became an alchemist. The more Ling Tsang listened, the more surprised he became, finally bursting into laughter. Good, I didn't expect my Ling family to have an alchemy grandmaster. The heavens are truly blessing my Ling family. In the past, our Ling family also had an ancestor who was an alchemist? Ling Xiao asked. Ling Tsang replied with his hands behind his back. Our ancestors have long since recorded it. 800 years ago, our Ling family had a third-grade alchemist. That was the Ling family's most glorious time in Meteorite City, and it was also at that time that our Ling family rose to prominence. All the clans, big and small, wanted to curry favor with our Ling family. At that time, our Ling family was very prestigious, but now it has gradually declined. Grandpa, don't be discouraged. I believe that under your leadership, the family will definitely regain its former glory, Ling Xiao comforted. Originally, I also thought so, but Grandpa is old and my strength is not as strong as my heart desires. So, Xiao, you are the hope of our Ling family's new generation. With your status as an alchemist, you will definitely be able to restore the Ling family's prestige, Ling Tsang said kindly as he patted Ling Xiao's shoulder. Grandpa, you think too highly of me. To be honest, I have no interest in becoming an elder or a clan leader. Watching you fight with the second elder and the others makes me tired, Ling Xiao replied. Then he paused and asked, Oh right, have they made any moves recently? Xiao, you don't need to worry about these things. Grandpa has his own plans. Right now, how many people know that you have become an alchemist? Ling Tsang asked. Only you know. That's good. You can't make it public right now. It won't be too late to make it public when you become a spirit master. Also, don't show your space ring in front of others, understand? Ling Tsang reminded. Xiao, understands, Ling Xiao replied. The tallest tree in the forest will be destroyed by the wind. An ordinary man is innocent, but he will get himself into trouble because of his wealth. Ling Xiao understood this principle. Xiao, you must be careful in this competition. I don't think the Li family will let go of any opportunity to deal with you, Ling Tsang warned. Xiao, understands, Ling Xiao replied. In reality, Ling Xiao didn't think much of it. Could there be another spirit master in the Li family? He wasn't boasting, but he could easily kill anyone below the spirit master level. Thus, after the grandfather and grandson talked for a while, Ling Xiao left. Ling Tsang looked at Ling Xiao's dignified figure and sighed. The future of the Ling family depends on you. 3 days passed in the blink of an eye, and the day of the clan competition finally arrived. In the plaza in the middle of the market, there were already 6 arenas built by the 3 clans for the elimination matches. The arena in the middle, which was carved out of rock, was reserved for the top 10 matches. Early in the morning, the arenas were already crowded with people. The scene could only be described in 4 words: the sound of gongs and drums, and the voices of people. There were a total of 150 people participating in the competition, and each arena was divided into 30 people who would draw lots to determine their opponents. Chapter 129. The rules of the competition were simple: admit defeat, forfeit, or fall off the stage. Due to the fact that weapons would be used in the martial arts competition, it was inevitable that there would be injuries during the fight. However, killing was not allowed. Every ring would be strictly guarded by the deacons sent by the three great families. If anyone killed during the competition, they would be captured and killed. After all, the participants were the elites of the various clans, and no one wished for the next generation of the clan's pillars to die. As the time came, the clan leaders and elders of the various clans brought their younger generation into the arena. In a moment, the surrounding people began to discuss among themselves. Look, the Shui and Qin clans' clan leaders are here. 4 years ago, the Shui and Qin clans both had people in the top 15. The Zhong clan is here as well, and the one leading them is their elder from the previous generation. Some of the smaller clans entered the arena and chose their seats. These seats were determined by the rankings from 4 years ago, and no one could just randomly stand there. Not long after, the arena was filled with people from the various great clans. It was truly a sea of people, and it was very lively. Look, it's the Lan clan. It's Lan Jianren personally leading the team. He was one of the top 10 experts in the last competition. Back then he was just a low-level mystic cultivator, but his strength should have improved even more now. In recent years, the Lan clan's strength has increased greatly, and this year they may be even stronger. Look, it's Li Qianhao, the top 5 experts in the last competition. 4 years have passed, and this year he's a popular candidate for first place. The Ling clan's Ling Feng is here as well. There's going to be a good show. Isn't that right? That earth-shattering battle between Li Qianhao and Ling Feng is still unforgettable. I wonder who will be the one to die this time. Don't forget about the Luo brothers, they're here as well. After all the representatives of the clans had arrived, 8 figures dashed towards the high platform from 8 different directions. In a moment, everyone was shocked. 8 elders appeared on the stage with the Ling clan's Ling Tsang, the Li clan's Li Qianzhong, and the Luo clan's Luo Xiangming in the middle. The other 5 were the leaders of the smaller clans as well as the elders of the previous generation. Every single one of them had unfathomable strength and were at least spirit masters. Otherwise, they wouldn't have the right to sit together with the leaders of the 3 large clans. The Lan family's patriarch, Lan Jinfeng, sat next to Li Qianzhong. He cupped his hands and greeted, "Brother Li, this year's champion position belongs to your Li family." Lan Jinfeng flattered Li Qianzhong as if he was showing off to Ling Tsang. "Aha, Brother Lan is too polite." Li Qianzhong replied modestly, but his eyes were filled with arrogance. It looked like he was determined to obtain the position of champion this time. Li Qianzhong and Lan Jinfeng were talking in public. This was a message that their Li family and Lan family had indeed formed an alliance. At this moment, the Luo clan's patriarch, Luo Xiangming, looked at Ling Tsang and smiled. "Brother Ling, when will you come to our Luo clan to propose marriage?" Luo Xiangming's words were really shocking. When Li Qianzhong and Lan Jinfeng heard this, they were so scared that they almost bit their tongues. The small and medium-sized family representatives were also shocked. If the Ling family and the Luo family formed an alliance, what would this mean? If 2 of the 3 great families formed an alliance, it would probably cause a huge earthquake in Meteorite City. Even Ling Tsang himself was shocked. He asked in confusion, "Brother Luo, what do you mean?" "Brother Ling, don't you know that your families Ling Xiao and my granddaughter Shuang are in love? My Shuang said that she won't marry anyone other than that brat Ling Xiao. Could it be that Brother Ling is looking down on my Luo family?" Luo Xiangming frowned. "Brother Luo, your words are too serious. Xiao has always been independent and has the guidance of the Grand Elder. I rarely interfere in his matters. I really don't know what's going on between him and your granddaughter." Ling Tsang quickly replied. He was pleasantly surprised. He really didn't expect that his grandson Ling Xiao had actually hooked up with the Luo family's granddaughter. As long as the Ling family and the Luo family had a marriage, all the internal problems would naturally be solved. "Brother Ling, now that you know, you can state your position," Luo Xiangming said indifferently. Li Qianzhong, who was standing to the side, was furious. He had previously asked his grandson to propose to the Luo family, but the Luo family had rejected him. It turned out that the Luo family had taken a liking to the Ling family. Moreover, it was that stinky brat that he hated the most. "Good Luo Xiangming. Once we destroy the Ling family, your Luo family can forget about staying in Meteorite City? Li Qianzhong exclaimed in his heart. Ling Tsang laughed heartily. Since Brother Luo has put it that way, if I Ling Tsang refuse, then wouldn't that be too inconsiderate? Once the competition is over, I'll send someone to send the betrothal gifts. Shuang is my most beloved granddaughter. Your gifts can't be light. Luo Xiangming laughed. Naturally. Ling Tsang stroked his beard with a smile. At that moment, another two figures flew up from below. We shouldn't be late, right? A clear voice came from one of the figures. In an instant, the 3 clan heads and the other 5 people on the platform all stood up to greet the newcomers. The newcomers were 2 old men. One was dressed in a light yellow robe and had a slightly plump body. He had a warm smile on his face, giving off an amiable and approachable feeling. He was the one who had spoken just now. The other was dressed in a gray robe. He had an indifferent expression on his face and was extremely tall and thin. Standing among the crowd, he gave off the feeling of a crane in a flock of chickens. Grandmaster Li, Grandmaster Yuan. The 3 clan heads and the other 5 people called out in unison. Of these 2 people, only Meteorite City's Grandmaster Li Yu and the mysterious second-grade alchemist Yuan Ping of the Spirit Herb Hall could receive such a respectful welcome from the 3 clan heads. After Li Yu and Yuan Ping returned the greeting, Li Yu directly walked up to Ling Tsang and cupped his hands, saying, I've long wanted to pay a visit to Brother Ling. After the competition, I hope Brother Ling won't mind coming to your residence to drink a cup of wine. Li Yu's words were a bit loud, so everyone on the platform heard him clearly. Everyone was even more shocked. As the only Grandmaster Artificer in Meteorite City, Li Su's status was on an equal footing with the patriarchs of the 3 major families. Previously, the 3 major families had tried to recruit Li Su, hoping that he could become their elder. Unfortunately, Li Yu didn't like to be restricted, so they all rejected them. However, he still maintained a good relationship with the 3 clans and maintained a neutral position. No one had ever heard of him favoring any of the 3 clans. Now that he had expressed his goodwill to Ling Tsang in front of everyone in the hall, how could the crowd not be shocked? If Li Yu really had a good relationship with the Ling family, then the Ling family's prestige would soar in the future. Their position as the chief of the 3 clans would become unshakable, and even the Li and Lan families wouldn't dare to have any designs on them. Although Li Yu was only one person, his rallying power was quite astonishing. For a moment, everyone's thoughts were running wild. Some of the mid-sized and small clans' representatives were thinking of ways to build a relationship with the Ling family. Ling Tsang himself didn't understand what was going on. Luo Xiangming's attitude was understandable, but with Li Yu's temperament he had never given face to anyone. Why did he suddenly change his attitude? However, Ling Tsang didn't think too much about it and immediately replied with a smile. If Grandmaster Li can come to my residence as a guest, Ling Tsang will naturally welcome you with open arms. Our Ling family may not have much, but we do have a lot of century-old wine. That's good. Right, Xiao came to participate in the competition today, right? I'm waiting to see if he can make it into the top 5, Li Yu asked. Because of Xiao again? Ling Tsang's heart trembled and he immediately asked, Grandmaster Li knows my good-for-nothing grandson? Speaking of which, I have to thank Xiao. If he hadn't saved my son, I would have had to send him off. He is our family's benefactor, and I even made him recognize me as his foster grandfather. Brother Ling, you don't mind, do you? Li Yu smiled. Grandmaster Li, you want Xiao to recognize you as his foster grandfather? Ling Tsang was at a loss. What? Are you looking down on me, Li Yu? Li Yu said solemnly. No, of course not, I couldn't ask for more. Ling Tsang hurriedly waved his hand in response, but his heart was in turmoil. His grandson was really making him more and more surprised. The future of the Ling family would rise because of him. With the arrival of all the family representatives, the competition was about to begin. First, the patriarchs of the 3 major families would speak, and then the families would present their bets and rewards. These were all handed over to Li Yu and Yuan Ping for safekeeping. After the final rankings were determined, they would distribute the bets and rewards. They could be considered as the judges of this competition. Everything was ready, and the competitors prepared to draw lots to determine the arena and opponents. Ling Xiao followed the leaders of his family, Ling Feng, and the others to the nearest lottery box to draw lots. At that moment, an indifferent voice came from the side, Ling Feng, long time no see. The one who spoke was a gloomy young man. Although he couldn't be said to be handsome, he gave off a calm and mature feeling. However, his eyes were like that of a venomous snake, making people feel very uncomfortable. He was the leader of this generation of the Li family, Li Tianhao. 4 years ago, he was already a low-level mystic cultivator at the age of 21. Now that he was 25, he had probably broken through to the mid-level mystic cultivator. On the Ling family side, a young man dressed in a golden martial outfit flipped his hair and looked at Li Tianhao. Li Tianhao, I didn't expect you to also advance, but this is more fun. I hope you don't lose too quickly. Li Tianhao smiled proudly. Ling Feng, you're still so arrogant, but I wanted to return these words to you. Don't forget that 4 years ago, you were defeated by me, and this year will not be an exception. Ling Feng seemed to have been hit on his sore spot, and he clenched his fists tightly. Squinting his eyes, he said, just you wait, I will return the humiliation from 4 years ago double. 4 years ago, Li Tianhao and Ling Feng were both in the top 5. In order to fight for the 4th place, the two of them engaged in a fierce battle. Because the two of them were evenly matched, the battle was very intense. Unfortunately, Ling Feng's metal attribute was restrained by Li Tianhao's fire attribute, and in the end he lost to Li Tianhao by 1 move. In these 4 years, Ling Feng had been thinking about revenge for his defeat. Don't worry, I will wait for you in the arena. I hope you don't lose too quickly, Li Tianhao said very proudly. Then his gaze fell on Ling Xiao and he said faintly, you are Ling Xiao? The rare genius of Meteorite City in 100 years? Chapter 130. Ling Xiao met Li Tianhao's gaze and said lazily, who are you? Could it be that you're my fan? You're here to ask for my autograph, right? I'm not free today, I'll give you my autograph the next time I make an appointment. What's a fan? Li Tianhao asked, not understanding. Even the Ling family members beside Ling Xiao didn't understand what he was talking about. F***CK fans don't understand. They're my admirers. You must have come to find me because you admire my reputation, right? Don't worry, I'll be merciful to you once I get to the arena, Ling Xiao said confidently. Ling Xiao's eyes lit up. As soon as he said this, everyone's expression changed. The second elder's grandson, Ling Kuang, was even more disdainful, shameless fellow. Ever since Ling Xiao had been chosen by the grand elder as his successor disciple, Ling Kuang hated Ling Xiao to the core because he felt that the position of successor disciple should have been his. Hearing Ling Xiao's words, Li Tianhao's forehead turned black and he snorted, I'm Li Qingqing's big brother, you better pray that you don't meet me or else, you'll end up very badly. Ling Xiao picked his ear and said very disdainfully, so you're that bitch Li Qingqing's big brother. Didn't your crippled father tell you who cut off his arm? Instantly, Li Tianhao's killing intent surged as he glared at Ling Xiao and shouted, if I don't kill you on the arena, my name isn't Li Tianhao. Don't worry, you can change your name to Li Tianxie in the future. Ling Xiao really didn't care about the cost of insulting others. How dare you? Li Tianhao almost went berserk. Tianhao, get back here. A cold voice came from the Li family's side. Li Tianhao snorted coldly and turned to walk back. Ling Xiao looked towards the direction where the voice came from. He saw a man with his head covered by a cloak. He couldn't see his face clearly, but his whole body was emitting a scorching aura. It made Ling Xiao feel that this cloaked Li family martial artist should be at the level of a high-level mystic cultivator. So the Li family was hiding something. But that's only fun. Ling Xiao sneered inside. When the Ling family heard what Ling Xiao said to Li Tianhao, they felt relieved. They believed that among the younger generation in Meteorite City, no one would dare to insult Li Tianhao like Ling Xiao. Good job, Ling Xiao. It was so refreshing to see Li Tianhao suffer. A 23-year-old young man from the Ling family patted Ling Xiao's shoulder with a smile. Ling Xiao knew that this person's name was Ling Yong. He was a low-level mystic cultivator and was the eldest grandson of the third elder. Another young man from the Ling family also praised, that's right. When we get to the arena, Ling Xiao must teach this arrogant guy a lesson. His name was Ling Hao. He was 24 years old and was also a low-level mystic cultivator. He could break through to the mid-level mystic cultivator at any time. Let's go, don't just stand there. Let's go draw lots. Ling Feng was slightly annoyed. He was jealous that Ling Xiao had stolen his limelight. He was very upset. The drawing of lots was over quickly. Ling Xiao drew number 8 on the 5th arena. His opponent would be the 7th fighter on the 5th arena. 5 arenas would compete at the same time. The last 2 fighters on each arena would enter the final ranking. Before Ling Xiao's match, there were still 3 matches to be held. Just when Ling Xiao had nothing to do, Luo Qingxuang appeared out of nowhere. Today she was wearing a red armor that accentuated her exquisite body. Her hair was tied with a red scarf, which made her look elegant and spirited. Overall, she looked valiant and formidable, but she didn't lose the beauty of a young girl. The younger generation of the nearby families were all attracted by Luo Qingxuang's beauty. Wow, this girl is not bad. She'd be good to be my wife. Watch me go get her. A young master from a small family looked at Luo Qingxuang with a wretched look. She'll lower your voice. She's the daughter of the Luo family. Don't drag the family down with you even if you want to die. Another young master beside him quickly covered his mouth and said, Luo, the daughter of the Luo family. The wretched young master seemed to have been splashed with a bucket of cold water. He didn't dare to have any thoughts about Luo Qingxuang, because he knew that with the strength of his family, he wasn't even qualified to be a guard for the Luo family. Luo Qingxuang was like a happy lark. She ran quickly to Ling Xiao and said, Brother Xiao, you're here. It's so hard to find you. All the young masters saw Luo Qingxuang holding Ling Xiao's hand and cursed in their hearts, all the good girls have been taken by pigs. All of the younger generation of the Ling family cast envious glances at Ling Xiao. That bastard had even managed to get his hands on the daughter of the Luo family, and it seemed that he'd even thrown himself at her. Ling Xiao scratched Luo Qingxuang's nose and said, What are you doing here instead of staying with your family? I'm here to cheer for Brother Xiao. Don't forget your promise to me. Luo Qingxuang puffed up her cheeks. Ling Xiao smiled and said, Of course. I'm waiting for you to be my maid. You're so annoying. I don't want to be your maid, Luo Qingxuang said unwillingly. At this moment the competition was announced to begin. Two young martial artists immediately jumped onto each arena. For a moment the sound of gongs and drums shook the earth. Ling Xiao was about to walk to his arena to watch the competition, but he saw a few people walking in front of him. Among the people who came, there were actually two peerless beauties. One of the women looked as delicate as water, graceful and moving. At first glance, one would have an impulse to cherish her. The other woman was charming and moving, with a voluptuous and alluring figure. She wore 1,000-year-old silk armor, making her look even more heroic and extraordinary. Two men followed behind them. One of them was tall and mighty, with an eye patch over one eye, looking rough and frightening. The other was cold and extraordinary, with an indifferent expression and a threatening aura. Why are you guys here? Ling Xiao asked the newcomers. The newcomers were Bayushi, Wei Dyer, Lone Eagle and Leng Shi. Bayushi glanced at Luo Qingxuang who was beside Ling Xiao and said timidly, We're here to cheer for young master. Ling Xiao stepped forward and patted Bayushi's head. All right, young master has shown his might today. Lone Eagle, you must protect Yushi well later. There are many people here. Don't let anything happen to her. Yes, young master. Lone Eagle replied. Wei Dyer looked at Luo Qingxuang and then at Bayushi. She cursed in her heart, this little pervert, flirting everywhere. When the younger generation of Meteorite City saw Bayushi and Wei Dyer's stunning appearance, they were mesmerized. However, when they saw these two beauties walking towards the pig, that the Luo clan's daughter had her eyes on, they found it even more difficult to accept. Damn, who is this guy? 3 outstanding beauties are actually looking for him. They're really blind. This young master is Yu Shulin, handsome and suave. Stop whining. Do you know who he is? How dare you compare yourself to him? You're not even fit to be his follower. He can squash you to death with a single finger. Tisk, don't tell me he's Ling Xiao from the Ling clan. That's right, he's Ling Xiao from the Ling clan. He's a rare genius in Meteorite City. He's only 18 years old but he's already a mid-level mystic cultivator. Don't you think you're not fit to be his follower? Ling Xiao ignored those who were looking at him with envy and jealousy. He brought Bayushi and Wei Dyer to the 5th arena, while Luo Qingxuang was persuaded by Ling Xiao to return to her 2nd arena. At this moment, number 1 and number 2 were fighting on the arena. These two were both high-level practitioners from small aristocratic families, and their fight could be said to be evenly matched. However, a winner had to be determined eventually, and in the end the young man with the surname Shui won. After number 1 and number 2's fight ended, number 3 and number 4 immediately went onto the arena. This time there was a great disparity in strength between the two. A high-level practitioner against a mid-level practitioner, and without any suspense, the high-level practitioner won. When it came to the 3rd match, the young man from the Li clan went up against a high-level practitioner from a mid-level family. That high-level practitioner was also very straightforward. He came up and immediately admitted defeat because he knew that the young man from the Li clan had the strength of a low-level mystic cultivator. He wasn't on the same level as his opponent, and if he fought head-on he would only end up in a miserable defeat. It was better to admit defeat now. Number 7 Qin Tai, number 8 Ling Xiao, please come up. The old man who was the judge on the 5th arena called out. Young master, it's your turn. Do your best. Bayushi encouraged Ling Xiao. When Qin Tai heard that his opponent was actually the so-called number 1 genius of Meteorite City, Ling Xiao, he almost fainted. Before the competition he had specially asked someone to do a divination for him. It said that his luck today was especially good, and he would at least be able to enter the top 25. Now, let alone 25, it would be good if he could enter 85. There was probably no one who didn't know of Ling Xiao's fame, and he, Qin Tai, was no exception. Ling Xiao and Qin Tai leaped onto the arena at the same time. In an instant, there were many discussions below the arena, and there was no lack of praise from the young girls in love. So he's Ling Xiao, so handsome. He's really like the Prince Charming in my heart. He's the same age as me and he's already a mid-level mystic cultivator. Too amazing. Don't be a love-struck fool. Just now, I saw that the Luo clan's young lady had already pre-booked Ling Xiao. What's wrong with that? I can even be his concubine. I'm afraid you won't even have the chance to be a concubine. Ling Xiao's eyes and ears were no longer the same as before. When he heard the cheers of the young girls below, his heart rippled. This young master's charm was indeed not just for show. Just as Ling Xiao was feeling good about himself, the referee had already called for the start of the match. Qin Tai saw the opportunity, raised the heavy blade in his hand, and slashed towards Ling Xiao. In his heart he thought, could it be that I'm really lucky? The heavy blade slashed towards Ling Xiao's face with incomparable sharpness, and in an instant, it had already arrived in front of Ling Xiao. Young master, be careful. Bayushi cried out from below. Just when Qin Tai thought that he had succeeded, his heavy saber actually missed. He didn't manage to cut anything. He stared straight ahead and asked doubtfully, where is he? Bro, I'm behind you. Ling Xiao patted Qin Tai's shoulder from behind and said. Qin Tai jumped in fright and hurriedly jumped out of Ling Xiao's range. Just as Qin Tai was about to attack again, Ling Xiao crossed his arms in front of his chest and chuckled. Bro, as the saying goes, a wise man does not fight when the odds are against him. If you don't want to ask for a beating, then obediently get down. I am a pacifist. Chapter 131. Ling Xiao's kind words of advice turned into mockery in Qin Tai's eyes. He shouted angrily, don't look down on me. Qin Tai's aura rose to the highest point. He held his blade with both hands and slashed towards the sky. This slash was already his pinnacle work. The condensed blade radiance moved forward with indomitable will. If he was up against a martial artist of the same level, perhaps this slash could decide the victor. Unfortunately, his opponent was Ling Xiao, a rare genius in Meteorite City. So stubborn. Ling Xiao looked at the slash and shook his head with a bitter smile. He instantly dodged it and at the same time, sent a palm strike towards Qin Tai's chest. Bang bang. Before Qin Tai could figure out what was going on, his body was involuntarily sent flying until he fell to the ground. Number 8 Ling Xiao wins. The referee announced the result very professionally. Young master is awesome. Bayushi cheered from below. Ling Xiao swung his hair that was like a waterfall and floated down the stage. So powerful, I didn't even see how Qin Tai was hit and the victor was already decided. It's a pity for Qin Tai, he's already at the peak of a high-level profound practitioner. If he didn't meet a mystic knight, he would be able to make it to the top 50. That's true, but luck is another matter. The matches ended one after another, and very quickly, half of the participating martial artists were defeated. Most of them were middle-level profound practitioners and some high-level profound practitioners. The Ling family's 10 people all passed the first round and displayed extremely powerful strength. On the Li family's side, a high-level profound practitioner was defeated by a low-level profound practitioner from a medium-level family. On the Luo family's side, a low-level profound practitioner was unexpectedly defeated because he met the Lan family's middle-level profound practitioner, Lan Jianren. This Lan Jianren had hopes of advancing to the top 5 this year, and even had the strength to contend for the championship. The second round of the competition quickly began again. There were only 15 people left on the first stage and they drew lots again. It had to be said that Ling Xiao's luck was very good. He was the last one to draw, so he didn't have to play a second round. To be honest, Ling Xiao wasn't really interested in this kind of competition. The most powerful ones on this arena were the 3 low-level mystic cultivators. One was from the Li family, one was from the Wang family, and one was from his own family. With his current strength, It wouldn't be an exaggeration to say that he was the #1 person under the Spirit Master level. At the beginning of the second round, something big happened in the first arena. Ling Xiao's cousin Ling Li was heavily injured by his opponent and was defeated. By the time Ling Xiao arrived at the third arena, there were already people from the Ling family feeding Ling Li pills. However, seeing that Ling Li's entire body was burnt to a sorry state and his limbs were deformed, it seemed that even if he took the muscle-gaining pill, he would need to lie in bed for 2 to 3 months before he could fully recover. Most importantly, Ling Li's confidence had suffered a blow, which might seriously affect his future cultivation. Seeing this, Ling Xiao's heart was filled with anger. Who did this? Ling Xiao asked coldly. Although he didn't have a deep relationship with Ling Li, he was still his cousin. Furthermore, this cousin of his had reminded him many times during the family test. Ling Xiao definitely wouldn't allow someone from his family to be bullied so badly. Before the people from the Ling family could reply, Li Tianhao's voice sounded from not far away. Ling Xiao, you see that? Pray that you don't meet me in the arena, or else your ending won't be any better than his. Ah. Ling Xiao stood up and looked at Li Tianhao coldly. You're very good. I hope that the people from the Li family aren't cowards. If you don't make me afraid to fight, I'll double the reward. Then we'll see, Li Tianhao said and turned to leave. At this time Ling Feng snorted at the fainted Ling Li. Useless trash, you've really lost face for the family. What did you say? I dare you to say it again. Ling Xiao's murderous eyes stared at Ling Feng as he shouted. Ling Feng couldn't help but take half a step back in the face of Ling Xiao's incomparably sharp aura, but he quickly recovered and shouted at Ling Xiao. I said that Ling Li is a useless trash, he didn't even enter the top 50 before losing face for the family. Do you think I'm lying? Ling Feng was considered a first-rate genius in the Ling family. He had entered the mid-level mystic realm at the age of 24. He had thought that he would make history and become the fastest genius to enter the mid-level mystic realm. But when he came out of seclusion, he found out that there was actually someone who had broken through to the mid-level mystic realm before him, and this person was younger than him by 6 years. This made his heart feel very unbalanced. Before the competition, he saw others trying to curry favor with Ling Xiao, which made him even more unhappy. Ling Xiao stared at Ling Feng and said faintly, if you have the guts to say it again, I'll make you disappear from this place immediately. Ling Xiao's aura enveloped Ling Feng, and a formless spiritual pressure pressed down on Ling Feng. Immediately, Ling Feng felt that he couldn't breathe, and his back couldn't help but break out in a cold sweat. No. Impossible, how can he have such a strong aura? Ling Feng didn't believe the truth in his heart. He wanted to shout at Ling Xiao again, but he found that he couldn't open his mouth no matter what. Ling Yong, who was at the side, advised, Ling Xiao, forget it, it's not the right time to coax people. Others will laugh at you. Whoever dares to say that my big brother is trash, I'll be the first to kill him. Ling Xiao snorted coldly, withdrew the pressure on Ling Feng, turned around and walked away. Phew. Ling Feng let out a light breath, his body staggered, and he actually directly sat on the ground. His expression was incomparably pale, as if he had just experienced a huge battle. When the surrounding people saw this scene, they were incomparably shocked. Looking at the figure that was walking away, they suddenly felt that he had become taller. Ling Kuang and Ling Xing, who had always been filled with enmity towards Ling Xiao, were even more shocked. Only now did they realize that Ling Xiao had already far surpassed them, and the flames of jealousy in their hearts burned even brighter. Before Ling Xiao cultivated the soul-controlling art, it was impossible for him to produce pressure. This was because only when he reached the Spirit Master level could he emit spiritual pressure. Ling Xiao had cultivated his spiritual force for more than half a year, and with the addition of the exploding stalk, his spiritual force was no weaker than the pressure of a Spirit Master level expert. If it wasn't for the fact that he didn't want to cause internal strife, it wouldn't be impossible for him to directly use his spiritual force to kill Ling Feng. Not only Ling Xiao but everyone in the Ling clan was angered. Li Tianhao was too ruthless. This time the Ling clan was full of energy. Whenever they met someone from the Li clan or the Lan clan, they would give it their all. Not only did they want to defeat their opponents, they also wanted to humiliate them. The Li clan and the Lan clan were the same. This time, the third round of the arena became even more bloody. Ling Xiao had a bye in the second round. In the third round, he didn't have an opponent from the Li clan or the Lan clan. He didn't waste any more time and swept his opponent in one move. In the fourth round, Ling Xiao finally met a low-level mystic cultivator from the Li clan. That low-level mystic cultivator from the Li clan seemed to be fearless. There was even a relaxed smile on his face, as if he didn't see Ling Xiao's eyes that were filled with rage. When the judge announced the start of the match, the low-level mystic cultivator from the Li clan didn't attack. Instead, he mocked Ling Xiao, a genius from the Ling clan. "If you have the ability, come and cripple me, idiot. How dare you?" Ling Xiao didn't think that a low-level mystic cultivator would be so arrogant. He was even angrier. Just as Ling Xiao was nearing, the low-level mystic cultivator from the Li clan smiled and said, "I give up." Unfortunately, before he could finish his sentence, he was punched in the mouth by Ling Xiao. A mouthful of blood splattered, and his front teeth shattered. Immediately after, Ling Xiao's torrential attacks landed on that low-level mystic cultivator from the Li clan. Crack, crack. That low-level mystic cultivator from the Li clan didn't have any strength to fight back. His 4 limbs were broken by Ling Xiao. He let out a heart-wrenching scream. "This is the consequence of offending my Ling clan." Ling Xiao crushed the wrist of that low-level mystic cultivator from the Li clan with his bare hands. Immediately after, he shouted and threw his body high up. "What is he doing?" Everyone looked at Ling Xiao's actions in shock. Immediately after, Ling Xiao leaped high up, and his knee hit the back of that low-level mystic cultivator from the Li clan. Crack. That low-level mystic cultivator from the Li clan was hit by Ling Xiao's knee, and his spine was broken. Ling Xiao didn't plan to let him go just like that. He tightened his mental power, and an invisible needle pierced into the sea of consciousness of that low-level mystic cultivator from the Li clan. This time he was really crippled. When that low-level mystic cultivator from the Li clan landed heavily outside the ring, there was only silence. Even the judge forgot to announce the result. For words flashed in everyone's mind, "He's a demon." Below the ring, everyone looked at the demon-like Ling Xiao and felt a chill in their hearts. Especially those martial artists who still had to compete in the 5th ring, they all prayed in their hearts that they wouldn't meet this demon. Qin Tai, who was defeated by Ling Xiao before, rejoiced in his heart, "Luckily he didn't kill me. Too scary." A low-level mystic cultivator didn't even have the chance to resist and was crippled. The Li clan members below the ring were all furious. If looks could kill, they would want to tear Ling Xiao into pieces. Ling Xiao got off the ring and looked disdainfully at Li Tianhao, who was looking at him. "Pray that you don't meet me or else you'll end up like him." Ling Li was crippled by Li Tianhao, and now Ling Xiao was even more ruthless. Not only did he cripple his opponent's limbs, he even used his mental power to pierce the Li clan martial artist's sea of consciousness. If he didn't die in the future, he would probably become an idiot. Actually, that Li clan martial artist wanted to say forfeit, but Ling Xiao's speed was too fast, and he didn't even have the chance to admit defeat before he could say anything. He was giving him a taste of his own medicine. He wanted to tell Li Tianhao that he, Ling Xiao, would definitely do what he said. "Brat, don't be arrogant. When you meet our brother Tianhao, you're dead." A Li clan martial artist rushed to shout. "What Meteor City genius, I think he's more like trash. Our brother Tianhao will definitely beat you until you piss your pants and cry for your parents," another Li clan martial artist shouted. "That's right, even if I don't meet brother Tianhao, I can still crush you to death." Chapter 132. Enough. Li Tianhao shouted at his family's warriors, then looked at Ling Xiao and coldly said, "You have guts, I hope you can continue to be so arrogant. Let's go. Don't worry, before I cripple your Li family's trash, I will continue to be arrogant," Ling Xiao said very arrogantly. As soon as these words came out, the surrounding warriors from the small and medium-sized families couldn't help but admire him. This Ling Xiao is young, but his temper is not small. But his strength is indeed strong enough. Ling Xiao watched the Li family leave and found a place to sit down. Bai Yushi, Solitary Eagle, and the Lung Shi siblings surrounded him, and no one dared to approach within 5 meters of him. Not long after, the top 2 of the 5 arenas were decided. The Ling family took 3 spots, Ling Xiao, Ling Feng, and Ling Yong. The rest were all eliminated. The Li family also took 2 spots, Li Tianhao and the Cloaked Youth. The Luo family's luck was not good this time. 7 mystic cultivators and 3 high-level mystic cultivators only took 1 spot, which was won by the previous 3rd place, Luo Qi. The other 4 were all from small and medium-sized families, and the Lan family actually took 2 spots. This was a little unexpected. The Lan family's top 10 were Lan Jianren and a young girl. It was Lan Dingshan's daughter, Lan Yen. She clearly only had the strength of a high-level mystic cultivator. It was really unknown how she managed to sneak into the top 10. She must have been extremely lucky. Indeed, Lan Yen had only met mystic-level opponents along the way. She didn't meet any mystic warrior level opponents, so she was very lucky to enter the top 10. The other two who entered the top 10 were Qin family's Qin Li and Shui family's Shui Chang. At this time, everyone had gathered near the main arena. The 10 outstanding youths of Meteorite City who had been selected for the top 10 also stood on the arena. After everyone had drawn their lots, Liu, as the judge, was about to announce the start of the competition when a low voice sounded from the crowd, "Wait!" The voice was not loud, but everyone could hear it clearly. It was obvious that the speaker's strength was not ordinary. Liu frowned and looked down the arena. He really did not know who was so daring to interrupt the biggest event of Meteorite City at this time. On the high platform, everyone had the cultivation of a spirit master. Even the Ling clan's grand elder might not dare to interrupt the competition. Where did this brazen fellow come from, daring to interfere with the clan's tournament? Li Qianzhong had been holding back his anger from before the start of the tournament, and after hearing Luo Xiangming and Li Chuyi express their goodwill towards Ling Tsang, he was extremely displeased. Now that someone had come to disrupt the tournament, he was the first to stand up and rebuke him. "How dare you? A tiny meteor city doesn't even put the people of our Purple Heaven sect in your eyes." A startled shout resounded and two figures jumped out of the crowd. The person on the arena was a middle-aged man who was twice as fat as Liu. He wore gorgeous clothes and had a big belly. The first impression he gave people was that he was a nouveau riche. Beside him was a martial artist in a blue shirt who was about the same age as him. He carried a long black spear on his back, and his eagle-like eyes were filled with killing intent. Li Qianzhong did not know who they were, but he heard them say their sect. He was so scared that he staggered. He carefully asked, Are you two lords of the Purple Sky sect?" The nouveau riche Chinese snorted coldly and pulled out a jade token from his waist. There was a simple Z character engraved on it. At this moment all the people sitting on the high platform stood up. "Greetings, Lord Deacon of the Purple Sky sect." All the patriarchs, and elders of Meteorite City did not dare to put on any airs. They bowed towards the nouveau riche and the blue-robed middle-aged man. At this moment, everyone in the audience was stunned. No one knew what was going on, but everyone knew that the Purple Sky sect was definitely a very powerful existence. Otherwise, how could they make the big shots of Meteorite City bow down to them with just a token? "Were you the one who scolded me?" the nouveau riche asked Li Qianzhong. When Li Qianzhong heard this, he almost collapsed. He immediately bowed even lower and explained, My lord, I didn't know it was you. Please forgive me if I offended you." "I don't think you would dare. Hurry up and arrange 2 seats for us. We want to watch the battle." The nouveau riche snorted coldly. Yes, my lord, please." Li Qianzhong wiped his cold sweat and quickly invited the person to the seat in the middle. He really did not expect that someone from the Purple Sky sect would come at this time. If they blamed him, then his Li family would not be able to continue living. Many people might not know of the existence of the Purple Sky sect, but as the patriarch of the Li family, he still had a certain understanding of some huge forces. The nouveau riche and the blue-robed middle-aged man bluntly sat in Ling Tsang and Li Qianzhong's seats. No one dared to make a sound. The 2 patriarchs and the previous generation grand elders who were originally watching the battle were driven down to make room. "Okay, the competition will start again. Today we came to Meteorite City to select outer court disciples under the orders of the sect. The disciple of the sect who wins the championship will be qualified to participate in the selection of our Purple Sky sect's outer court disciples," the nouveau riche lightly said. When the nouveau riche said this, everyone on the stage was happy. They immediately cupped their hands towards the 2 people from the Purple Sky sect and thanked them. These 2 people from the Purple Sky sect were actually ordered by the sect to select outer court disciples. As a family of Meteorite City, how could they not be excited? If one of their juniors won the championship and was accepted by the Purple Sky sect, then in the future, no one in Meteorite City would dare to provoke them. Who knew how many families would come to curry favor with them in the future? As the leader of the 3 families, Ling Tsang was also excited when he heard this news. But suddenly he became worried. If it wasn't for the Ling family's juniors winning the championship, then their position as the leaders of Meteorite City would be shaken. "I really hope that Xiao can win the championship," Ling Tsang secretly said in his heart. At this time, Li Qianzhong impatiently stood up and said in a clear voice, "Everyone, these 2 people in front of us are from our Northwest's largest 8th grade sect, the Purple Sky sect. Today, whoever wins the championship will have the opportunity to become an outer court disciple of the Purple Sky sect." As soon as Li Qianzhong's words fell, Everyone below the stage went into an uproar and began to discuss. The 8th rank sect, Violet Sky sect. I remember now. I've seen records of it in the ancestral register. It's the strongest sect in the Northwest. I heard that it has a king rank super expert, an alchemist of the 3rd rank or above, and an equipment refiner of the 3rd rank or above. No wonder the patriarchs are so respectful to those two. So the Purple Sky sect is this powerful. I wonder who will be lucky enough to win the championship. This is going to be a good show to watch. The people from the Purple Heaven sect were like throwing a very large stone into a calm lake, splashing out a circle of very large waves. After everyone was excited, they calmed down again. The competition for the top 10 was finally about to begin. Before the competition began, they had to explain the rules. The competition for the top 10 was no longer an elimination competition. In order to determine the top 10 positions, a semi-round robin tournament was carried out. In the first round, the 5 losers and the 5 winners would be determined. Then the 5 losers would draw lots to determine the top 6 to 10, and the 5 winners would also be determined as the top 5. Before the competition began, the top 10 contestants drew lots again. Ling Xiao still drew number 8. He couldn't help but smile bitterly. If I was a businessman, I wouldn't even be able to not make a fortune. Very quickly, the first round of competition was arranged. The first match was number 1 Lan Jianren against number 2 Ling Yong, the second was number 3 Ling Feng against number 4 Li Yan, the third was number 5 Luo Qi against number 6 Shui Chang, the fourth was number 7 Lan Yan against number 8 Ling Xiao, and the fifth was Li Tianhao against Qin Li. Under the cheers of the crowd, the first match began. This was the moment that really made people excited. Lan Jianren from the Lan family, 25 years old, had just stepped into the middle stage mystic realm not long ago. He was the most outstanding person in the same generation of the Lan family in Tenbin, and the strongest competitor for the next patriarch of the Lan family. Ling Yong from the Ling family, the eldest grandson of the 3rd elder, was at the peak of the low-stage mystic realm. Like Lan Jianren, this was his second time participating in the quadrennial clan competition. However, the first time he participated, he was only ranked around 20, not in the top 10. Begin. Following the command of an old man, the battle began. Ling Yong's strength was not comparable to Lan Jianren's, so he took the initiative to attack from the start, smashing the mace in his hand towards Lan Jianren. The mace was surrounded by a yellow light, looking very imposing and extraordinary. Lan Jianren sneered and thought disdainfully, "Child's play." With a slight shake of his body, a green long sword appeared in his hand, emitting an extremely sharp sword aura. This was an upper-tier 2nd-tier sword. The mace smashed down and the long sword swung. Clang. The two weapons collided and sparks flew everywhere. Although Ling Yong had made the first move, he was still pushed back a few steps by Lan Jianren. The difference of 1 tier is like the difference between heaven and earth. Ling Yong's hand was numb from the impact, and he cried out in his heart. He knew that there was a big gap between him and his opponent, so he did not hesitate to use his ultimate move. June shakes the 4 directions. Ling Yong shouted, and his whole body emitted a yellow earth attribute light. The mace in his hand smashed towards Lan Jianren in front of him. In an instant, several balls of yellow light that were like pillars smashed towards Lan Jianren. The moment this move was unleashed, the audience gasped in surprise. It was obvious that they were greatly shocked by Ling Yong's move. Lan Jianren looked at the approaching pillars, but he did not reveal the slightest bit of fear. A trace of an evil smile still hung on his face, and the green sword in his hand blossomed with light. "Break for me." Lan Jianren took a step back, and the green sword quickly swept across the pillar. Rumble. The pillar collapsed in an instant. At this moment, Ling Yong took advantage of the opportunity and arrived in front of Lan Jianren, his mace ruthlessly sweeping towards Lan Jianren's waist. The iron spikes on the mace were like the bloodthirsty fangs of a spirit beast. As long as one was touched, their skin would be split open. However, Lan Jianren was already prepared and he lightly said, "I've been waiting for you." Chapter 133. Suddenly Lan Jianren's green sword knocked away Ling Yong's mace, and at the same time he raised his left hand and slapped Ling Yong's shoulder. "Lose?" Seeing Ling Yong's body flying backwards, Lan Jianren held the green sword with both hands and swung it downwards. A green dragon-like light shot towards Ling Yong. Boom. Ling Yong's abdomen was hit by the green light, and a bone-deep wound split open. He spat out a mouthful of blood and lost the ability to fight. Can't even withstand a single blow. Lan Jianren snorted in disdain, looking very arrogant. The first match was won by Lan Jianren, and the second match was between Ling Feng and Li Yan. As soon as the two entered the arena, the crowd started to clamor. Brother Feng, kill that Li bastard. Brother Yan, kill that Ling bastard. Ling family will win. Li Jiaxing wins. The spectators from both families started to cheer for their own people. Previously, Ling Feng had been pressured by Ling Xiao to the point that he couldn't breathe. He had suppressed a ball of fire in his heart, and he wanted to vent it on the arena. However, before Ling Feng could make a move, the cloaked Li Yan said, "Make your move, you only have one chance to attack." What? Ling Feng couldn't help but exclaim, suspecting that there was something wrong with his hearing. 4 years ago, he had fought his way into the top 5 as a low-level mystic disciple and was in the limelight among the younger generation. Other than a few people, no one dared to speak to him like this. Now, he had broken through to the mid-level mystic disciple at the age of 24. With his tenbin and ability, he was definitely at the top of Meteorite City. He didn't expect that other than Li Tianhao, there would be someone else from the Li family who dared to speak to him like this. This was clearly looking down on him. Before, he had been scolded by Ling Xiao, and now there was this unknown arrogant guy. Ling Feng was furious. He wanted to make this Li kid leave the arena lying down. "I said that if you don't make your move, you won't have a chance." Li Yan's voice rang out again. "You're courting death." Ling Feng roared, and the high-grade second-level spear in his hand stabbed towards Li Yan's throat like a poisonous snake. The speed was fast and ruthless, as if he wanted to kill Li Yan in one move. Seeing the long spear arrive in front of Li Yan in an instant, the people below all thought that Li Yan would die without a doubt. However, in the next moment they witnessed a shocking scene. He saw that the spearhead that was about to reach his throat was caught between 2 fingers by Li Yan. This time, everyone couldn't wrap their heads around it. Ling Feng had the strength of an intermediate mystic cultivator and was one of the strongest contenders for the championship today. What kind of strength did this Li Yan have? He actually used 2 fingers to catch Ling Feng's full-strength attack. "I've already said that you only have one chance to attack." Li Yan's cold voice rang out. His other hand pointed towards Ling Feng's chest. Xiao. A small beam of fiery red light shot towards Ling Feng at lightning speed. What? Ling Feng was startled. He hurriedly wanted to raise his spear and retreat, but unfortunately his spear was tightly clamped. He momentarily forgot to release his spear to dodge. A small hole appeared in Ling Feng's chest, piercing through his back. Blood spurted out from the hole. Fiery finger. Ling Feng clutched his chest, cold sweat dripping down his back. After uttering those words, his body slowly fell to the ground. For a moment, the entire arena became silent. No one had expected that the leading figure of the Ling clan's younger generation would be defeated in one move. After a moment of silence, an uproar broke out. Just now, was that the Li clan's green tier mystic technique, Fiery Finger? There's no mistaking it, otherwise it would be impossible to defeat Ling Feng in one move. How terrifying. Could it be that this is the Li clan's hidden trump card? Looks like the Ling clan won't be able to obtain the championship this time. Ling Xiao, who was below the arena, was also shocked by Li Yan's move. He muttered in his heart, as expected, he has some talent. However, it's still not worth mentioning. Ling Tsang, who was sitting on the high platform, had an ugly expression on his face. Li Qianzhong, who was beside him, was stroking his beard with a proud smile. He had waited 4 years for this day, and he believed that Li Yan would not disappoint him. Actually, everyone only knew that the leading figure of the Li clan's younger generation was Li Tianhao. However, in Li Qianzhong's eyes, Li Yan was the true genius of the Li clan. 4 years ago, Li Yan was already a mid-level mystic cultivator. At that time, Li Yan was only 20 years old. In the entire Meteor City, there were almost no 20-year-old mid-level mystic cultivators. This monstrous talent of Tenbin made Li Qianzhong care for Li Yan in every way possible. At that time, Li Qianzhong had already viewed Li Yan as the best candidate to be the clan leader. He had even passed down the Li clan's only green-tier mystic technique to Li Yan. During that year's clan's tournament, Li Qianzhong did not let Li Yan participate. He had been waiting for this moment. He wanted to ruthlessly trample on the Ling and Luo clans and help the Li clan obtain the championship this time. Li Qianzhong had put in a lot of effort for this year's clan tournament. Today he finally welcomed the thrill of victory. Who is this young man? His aptitude is not ordinary. At such a young age, he has already reached a high-level mystic cultivator. The nouveau riche sitting in the middle said lightly. Li Qianzhong immediately replied with a smile, "This is my grandson Li Yan. He has just turned 24 years old." The nouveau riche replied lightly and did not continue. This attitude made Li Qianzhong extremely depressed. He had thought that the other party had taken a fancy to his grandson and would then naturally become an outer sect disciple of the Purple Sky sect. However, Li Qianzhong did not take it to heart. Looking at the youngsters who had entered the top 10, only Li Yan and that Luo clan's Luo Qi were high-level mystic cultivators. Moreover, Li Yan had also cultivated the green-tier mystic technique Raging Flame Finger. Defeating Luo Qi was something that he could not ignore. Obtaining the championship was only a matter of time. Therefore, the position of Purple Sky Sect's outer sect disciple would definitely belong to their Li clan. In the future, with the Purple Sky Sect as their backing, their Li clan would definitely dominate Meteor City. Just as Li Qianzhong was daydreaming, the third round of the competition began. The Luo clan's Luo Qi, one of the top 3 rankers in the previous competition, had just broken through to the high-level mystic realm not long ago. His entire expression looked very indifferent, as if he was an eminent monk who had achieved the Tao. Nothing could cause his emotions to fluctuate. This kid is not bad either. One look and you can tell that he is very persevering. His future achievements will not be inferior to that kid just now. The nouveau riche looked at Luo Qi and praised. The Luo clan's patriarch, Luo Xiangming, immediately said respectfully, "This is my family's Luo Qi." After listening, the nouveau riche responded coldly and did not continue. No one knew what he was thinking. The third round had no suspense. The Shui clan's Shui Chang was only a low-level mystic cultivator and was defeated by Luo Qi in one move. The fourth round begins. Number 7 Lan Yen, number 8 Ling Xiao, enter the arena. Ling Xiao. The nouveau riche and the blue-robed middle-aged man who had not spoken all this time revealed a somewhat strange expression when they heard Ling Xiao's name. This subtle expression in Li Qianzhong's eyes undoubtedly raised a storm. Could it be that these two lords had come for that kid from the Ling clan? No, it definitely couldn't be like this. On the arena, Lan Yen glared at Ling Xiao with eyes full of hatred. If her gaze could kill, she wouldn't mind dismembering Ling Xiao's body into 1,000 pieces. "Girl, I know that this young master is very handsome, but you don't have to stare at this young master so directly. There are still many people watching and this young master will be embarrassed." Ling Xiao looked at the rather good-looking Lan Yen and teased her. It had to be said that Ling Xiao was a very thick-skinned person. "You killed my brother?" Lan Yen held her soft sword and asked coldly. "This young master has killed many people, but who is your brother?" "I don't even know him," Ling Xiao said innocently. "Lan Guangxing." "Oh, it seems that there was such a thing. You want to take revenge for him? Since you've admitted it, then you can go die." Lan Yen already knew that Ling Xiao had killed her brother. She only asked these two questions to delay a bit of time so that she could swallow the pill in her hand. Suddenly, a powerful aura rose from Lan Yen who had swallowed the pill, and it actually soared all the way to the mid-stage mystic realm. Warrior Growth Pill. Ling Xiao could tell at a glance that Lan Yen had taken the Warrior Growth Pill. The Warrior Growth Pill was a mid-stage second-level pill that could allow a high-level profound practitioner to reach the mid-stage mystic realm in an hour. After an hour, the person who took it would be unable to use Xian Qi for at least 3 months. After taking the Warrior Growth Pill, Lan Yan's beautiful eyes revealed a strong killing intent, and the soft sword in her hand stabbed towards Ling Xiao's chest. On the stage, Lan Zhenfeng sighed in his heart, "This child is too stubborn. You want to kill me? You're not qualified." Ling Xiao said calmly in the face of the sword that was stabbing towards him. His body flashed and he circled to Lan Yan's side. He grabbed her wrist with one hand and instantly took away her soft sword, and with a palm, he forced her back a few steps. "Your brother brought this upon himself. He can't blame anyone else. If he wants to blame someone, he can only blame himself for provoking me," Ling Xiao said indifferently. He didn't use any Xian Qi in that palm. Although he wasn't considered a gentleman, he had never hit a woman before. "If you have the ability, then kill me. Otherwise, I'll definitely kill you." Lan Yin was too stubborn. She took another storm pill and her speed increased by 2 or 3 times. She raised her palms and continuously attacked Ling Xiao. She acted as if she had lost her mind, randomly bombarding Ling Xiao without any pattern or pattern. The Warrior Growth Pill could allow Lan Yin to reach the mid-stage mystic realm, but it couldn't let her use Xian Qi to attack. Facing Lan Yan's attacks, Ling Xiao didn't feel any threat at all. He didn't even need to use the wind attribute. He could easily dodge it with just his phantom cloud track footwork. However, he didn't want to waste any more time and lightly shouted, "Get off the stage and wake up." Following that, Ling Xiao used a cloud-expelling palm, and directly sent Lan Yen flying out of the stage. If the opponent was a man, Ling Xiao definitely wouldn't be so lenient. He sighed in his heart, "This young master is still too kind." Chapter 134. Just as the family's grand plan was going on, a shocking plot to usurp the throne was quietly unfolding in the Ling family. Second elder Ling Mo and fifth elder Ling Yen had a secret discussion for an hour before the fifth elder changed into his traveling clothes and flew out of the city. Not long after, he arrived at the dilapidated Lu Tingxian Manor outside the city and entered an inconspicuous room. He rhythmically knocked on a stone bed a few times, and the stone bed actually split open, revealing an entrance that only one person could enter. Then a short figure jumped out from the entrance. This short figure was obviously the spirit master who intercepted and killed Ling Xiao half a year ago. He was called Old Ghost. The fifth elder asked, "Old Ghost, have you prepared enough death warriors? Do you still not trust me? See for yourself." Old Ghost laughed sinisterly and then shouted, "All of you come out." Following that, one figure after another jumped out of the entrance. These were the poison men that Ling Xiao had seen before, and all of them had the strength of a high-level mystic cultivator. However, they did not use any strong moves that could release their profound energy. It was obvious that Old Ghost had used some kind of pill to stimulate all of these people's potential, allowing them to become high-level mystic cultivators. They had completely become this Old Ghost's puppet death warriors. The fifth elder looked at the black mass of death warriors in front of him and immediately nodded in satisfaction. While Ling Tsang is not in the family, let's quickly set off. First, control the forces that support Ling Tsang, then everything else will not be a problem. Just as the fifth elder and Old Ghost were about to leave Lu Tingxian with 200 death warriors, a ghostly voice rang out, "Old Ghost, your people are too careless, they did not even know that someone was following them." The fifth elder immediately became vigilant when he heard this voice. "Don't be nervous, it's my old friend," Old Ghost said, then called out, "Old Ming, you said someone was following us." "That's right, he's coming." Then a black shadow swept forward at an unparalleled speed. Below, the fifth elder was quite shocked when he saw the speed of the shadow. He did not expect Old Ghost to have such a helper. "Ling Yan, you really have guts. You actually dare to collude with your elder brother to seize the position of patriarch." A golden figure instantly appeared in front of the fifth elder and Old Ghost. The person who came was the Ling family's supreme elder who had disappeared for a long time. He had actually been staying in the Ling family all this time, but no one knew that he was hiding around second elder and fifth elder, paying attention to their movements at all times. His purpose was to wait for the two brothers to reveal their fox tails. Grand Elder. The fifth elder panicked when he saw who it was. "Hurry up and accompany me back to apologize to the patriarch. For the sake of the former patriarch, I'll send you two brothers to the back of the mountain to reflect on your mistakes for 10 years as punishment. This matter will be considered settled," said the Grand Elder. "That's impossible, Grand Elder. Since you know that my father was the previous clan leader, then you should help my older brother become the clan leader. You shouldn't let Ling Tsang become the Ling clan leader. He's not worthy." The fifth elder calmed himself down and tried to persuade the Grand Elder. "Don't be stubborn. The previous patriarch had his own difficulties when he passed the position to Ling Tsang. I'll explain it to you when we get back," said the Grand Elder. If not for his friendship with the previous clan leader, he would have immediately taken action to capture the fifth elder. Why bother talking to him? "Old Ming, get rid of this old man." The fifth elder still wanted to say something, but Old Ghost beside him shouted in a direction. Immediately after, a shadow swept towards the Great Elder, and a huge wind blade smashed towards the Great Elder. Insignificant skill. The Grand Elder seemed to have already sensed an ambush. He frowned and raised his hand, sending a huge golden light towards the wind blade. Rumble. Old Ghost took the opportunity to shout, "Ling Yan, let's go. I'll leave this to Old Ming." The fifth elder looked at the Grand Elder with a complicated expression and immediately nodded, "All right, let's go. No one can leave." The Grand Elder split his attention, and a wave of pressure swept towards the two of them. "Old man, you dare to split your attention when facing me, Hun Ming? You're courting death." A figure appeared in midair, and it was a man wearing a ghost mask. He held a pair of iron claws in his hands, and he cursed before smashing his iron claws towards the Grand Elder. The Grand Elder looked up and shouted in a neither fast nor slow manner, 3 swift spear. Along with the Grand Elder's shout, 3 seemingly material golden spears condensed in front of him, and they emitted an incomparably sharp aura as they stabbed towards Han Ming in midair. King rank spirit energy attack. The 5th Elder and Old Ghost cried out in shock. The Grand Elder's attack was obviously using the surrounding heaven and earth spirit energy to condense into metal attribute spirit energy to attack. This was a powerful move that only King rank experts could use, and it was completely different from Mystic Knight rank experts that used their own attributes to attack. Bullshit, he's only at the half-step King rank. Han Ming cursed in midair. The iron chain in his hand spun, and the pair of iron claws smashed towards the 3 golden spears. The golden spears condensed from spirit energy were actually shattered by the iron claws. You're also at the half-step King rank. The Grand Elder Gu Bo's face actually revealed a change of expression. Ha, old man, it's good that you know. Today will be the day you die. Han Ming's position changed a few times in midair, and the iron chain in his hand spun continuously. An invisible hurricane formed above his head, and the trees around him were blown away. It was a frightening sight. Why aren't all of you leaving with the Death Warriors? Han Ming shouted, and he condensed a hurricane that swept towards the Grand Elder. The hurricane hadn't even arrived, but the surrounding trees were immediately blown down, and the dilapidated houses immediately collapsed. The power of the King rank was just like that. No, this was only the power of the half-step King rank. Without the pressure from the Grand Elder, the 5th Elder and Old Ghost immediately led the 200 Death Warriors away from Lu Tingxian and headed towards the Ling family. Facing the hurricane, the Grand Elder revealed a solemn expression, and he sighed inwardly. I have no choice but to risk my life. The Ling family will be relying on you in the future. Suddenly, the Grand Elder's body blossomed with a dazzling golden light, and an incomparably powerful aura surged out. A golden spear flew out of his spatial ring and landed in his hand. The first form of golden spear technique, golden rain fills the sky. The Grand Elder used the Ling family's only Cyan-grade profound skill, the first form of golden spear technique. In an instant, the golden spear images that filled the sky shot towards the hurricane like raindrops. Countless small holes were pierced through the hurricane, and they pierced towards Han Ming, who was in midair. This old fellow really does have some skill. Han Ming exclaimed inwardly as he retreated repeatedly. Didn't you want my life? Why are you running away? The Grand Elder tore through the hurricane and charged towards Han Ming. The spear in his hand slashed out a spear image that was dozens of meters long. The spear seemed to be forged from gold, and it tore through the air courageously as it smashed towards Han Ming. Han Ming couldn't dodge, and he withdrew his hands. The pair of iron claws returned to his chest, and he immediately used them to block the spear image. Rumble. Han Ming was directly smashed into the ground by the golden spear image, and the explosion caused a 10-meter deep pit to appear on the ground. You overestimate yourself. The Grand Elder withdrew his aura, cursed inwardly, and prepared to fly into the city. Right at this moment, an iron claw shot out from the deep pit with unparalleled speed. The Grand Elder couldn't dodge in time, and his back was ruthlessly struck by the claw. A large piece of his flesh was torn off, and he was sent flying dozens of meters away. He spat out a mouthful of blood, but he didn't hesitate to take out a pill from his spatial ring to use it. You want to take a pill? No way. Han Ming had already rushed out of the pit at some point, and dozens of wind blades flew towards the Grand Elder from all directions. The Grand Elder didn't have time to take a pill, and he swung his golden spear to scatter the wind blades. However, the old man had already suffered internal injuries, so his parrying speed was much slower. His body was still bombarded by a few wind blades, and his clothes were torn in several places. Fortunately, the netherworld armor blocked most of the attacks, or else he would have been in even more trouble. Han Ming's attack succeeded, and he used another powerful move. A hurricane no weaker than the one before formed once more, tearing towards the Grand Elder. This old man will fight you to the death. The Grand Elder threw caution to the wind, and a powerful aura burst forth from his body once more. He had decided to stake everything on this one attack. Golden light shone from his body, and the spear in his hand emitted a buzzing sound. Golden Spear Art, 5th form. World Spear dominates the world. Dozens of golden spear images suddenly appeared, and they directly shot towards the hurricane. Rumble. Powerful moves collided, and neither of them could dodge in time. Both of them were sent flying. However, the Grand Elder didn't care about his injuries, and he didn't even take a pill. He gritted his teeth and charged towards Han Ming. Han Ming had also been seriously injured by the Grand Elder's previous attack, and now that he was affected by the shockwave, he was even more injured than before. After he was smashed to the ground, he stood up with difficulty. His whole body was covered in blood, and the ghost mask on his face had been shattered, revealing a hideous old face. It was truly frightening. Just as he was about to take a pill, a golden shadow attacked him. He wanted to dodge, but he found that he couldn't move at all. He had clearly been locked onto by the Grand Elder's aura. No. The golden shadow shuttled back and forth like a bolt of lightning, and before the Grand Elder could dodge, a large hole had been pierced through his throat. He clutched his throat with both hands, and his eyes bulged out as he collapsed unwillingly. The Grand Elder had used the last of his strength to kill Han Ming, and his condition was not much better. At this moment, he was like an ordinary old man with one foot in the grave, without the slightest imposing manner of a master. He coughed a few times in succession, and a few mouthfuls of blood spilled out. His hands trembled as he took out a few pills from his space ring, but before he could take them, the pills fell from his trembling old hands to the ground. Xiao, you must revive the Ling. The Grand Elder stared blankly in the direction of Meteor City as he muttered. However, before he could finish speaking, he slowly fell to the ground. Ling Xiao, who was far away in the competition venue, didn't know why his mind was in a daze, and his mind was restless. Old master, did something really happen to you? For some reason, Ling Xiao thought of the Grand Elder he hadn't seen recently and asked in his heart. Chapter 135. In the Ling family's inner cabinet, the second elder called for an emergency meeting. Other than the patriarch Ling Tsang and the fifth elder, everyone was present. Apart from the people who supported the second elder, the other elders did not know why the second elder had summoned them for a private meeting. Second elder, today is the family competition, and the patriarch is participating in the meeting. May I know why you called everyone here? Is there something urgent to discuss? The third elder Ling Yuan questioned. In the Ling family, the patriarch presided over the meeting every month, but the second elder suddenly called for an emergency meeting. The third elder faintly felt that something was wrong. Fourth elder Ling Wei also noticed the strange atmosphere and immediately asked, "That's right, now that everyone is here, if you have something to say, just say it." The second elder glanced at everyone, then left his original position and walked step by step towards the center of the room. All the elders were shocked, and they all guessed the second elder's intention. "Ling Imo, what are you doing?" The third elder shouted at the second elder. At this time, the seventh and ninth elder, who were Ling Tsang's direct descendants, stood up one after another. Only Ling Wei, who was in the middle, had a complicated look in his eyes. After the second elder walked to the patriarch's seat, he didn't immediately sit down. Instead, he turned his head and looked around at everyone, faintly saying, 20 years? I've been waiting for this day for a whole 20 years. Father, today I will take back everything that belongs to us. Ling Imo, how dare you plot to usurp the patriarch's position? Elders, please follow me to catch this thief. The third elder smashed the tea table beside him with a palm and shouted. In an instant, the elders, led by the third elder, immediately stood in formation, and the eighth elder, who followed the second elder, immediately retreated to his side. The fourth and sixth elders sat motionlessly, a complicated look in their eyes. Ling Yuan, do you really want to be my enemy? The second elder stared coldly at the third elder and asked. Ling Imo, don't treat us as fools. The family's prestige is rising under the patriarch's leadership. If you know what's good for you, surrender as soon as possible. Otherwise, don't blame us for not caring about our brotherhood. Ling Yuan said. All along, the second and fifth elders' intentions were clear, so Ling Tsang was already prepared. Naturally, Ling Yuan wasn't afraid of Ling Mo's attack at this time. But now that the fifth elder wasn't here, it seemed that Ling Imo still had a backup plan. Ling Yuan, you're loyal to Ling Tsang, but don't you know that my father was the former patriarch? He took my position. I just want to take back everything that belongs to me. What's wrong with that? The second elder said excitedly. Back then, his father was the former patriarch, and Ling Imo was the eldest son of his father. Xiao Tianbin was also one of the best among them. At that time, he and Ling Tsang were very good friends. The two of them played together and trained together. The two of them were as close as brothers. Ling Imo was the second elder, and Ling was the next patriarch. Ling. He was Ling patriarch's son. Ling son Ling clan's master. Was He enjoyed the feeling of being in a superior position and giving orders. He felt that he could definitely be an even more outstanding leader than his father. However, when his father came back with serious injuries, he announced that Ling Tsang would take over the position. At that time Ling Mo was greatly shocked. He had never thought that the position of the patriarch would not be taken over by him, but by his good friend Ling Tsang. Ling Mo ignored his father's questioning of why he didn't pass the position to him. He didn't lose to Ling Tsang in any aspect. His father just looked at him guiltily and said, "This position should have belonged to Ling Tsang." Then he passed away. From then on, there was a heavy estrangement between Ling Mo and Ling Tsang. All the friendship between them had vanished in an instant and turned into hatred and anger. This was because Ling Mo felt that Ling Tsang must have used some kind of trick to make his father pass the position to him. Over the years, Ling Mo had tried everything to take back the position of the patriarch. He had endured humiliation for 20 years and prepared for many years. Today he wouldn't let anyone ruin his plan. Back then the old patriarch announced in front of everyone that the current patriarch would take over his position. Everyone was there to witness it. "Why are you so stubborn?" Ling Yuan tried to persuade him. He also knew that Ling Mo had been suffering all these years. He was also one of Ling Mo's good friends. "Nonsense, it must be Ling Tsang's doing. Otherwise why would he pass the position to him and not me? Which part of me is inferior to him?" Ling Mo scolded angrily. "It seems that you don't want to turn back. Seventh brother, ninth brother, let's work together to capture this thief and wait for the patriarch to come back." Ling Yuan waved his hand and said, wanting to kill Ling Mo, "Stop." A low voice came from outside the cabinet. All the elders looked back. Two old men dressed in gray robes walked in calmly. Both of them had white hair and beards. At first glance they looked like ordinary old men who were close to 100 years old. However, upon closer inspection, their eyes shone with a scorching light. Their strength was definitely unfathomable. "Greetings, Elder Black and Elder White." All the elders in the cabinet bowed to the two old men. These two were the Ling family's elders of the previous generation, Ling He and Ling Bai. They were the loyal supporters of the previous patriarch. When Ling Yuan saw the two of them, he knew that Ling Mo had made sufficient preparations. It seemed that things would not be good this time. Ling He and Ling Bai glanced at everyone indifferently, and finally their eyes fell on Ling Yuan. "You oppose Ling Mo becoming the patriarch?" Ling He asked indifferently. "Elder He, the current patriarch, Ling Tsang, is the patriarch appointed by the previous patriarch. He is also the only patriarch of our Ling family." Ling Yuan said to Ling He in a neither servile nor overbearing manner. "Good, very good." Ling He replied. Suddenly he waved his palm at Ling Yuan. Ling Yuan did not expect that the elder of the previous generation would attack without warning. He was caught off guard and was hit hard on his chest. Ling Yuan's fat body was sent flying into the wall, and he spat out a mouthful of blood. "You." Elder 7 and Elder 9 were shocked. They wanted to say something but were interrupted by Ling Bai. "Those who don't agree will die." Ling Bai shouted with a murderous intent. "You bastards, kill me if you dare. Otherwise, when the Grand Supreme Elder finds out about this, none of you will be able to escape." Ling Yuan wiped the blood from the corner of his mouth and said unyieldingly, "You're courting death." Ling He's expression turned serious. His body flashed, and his withered old hand hit Ling Yuan's body again. Ling Yuan naturally would not sit still and wait. Although he was hit just now, he still had the strength to fight back. The two palms collided and Ling Yuan was sent flying again. However, he took advantage of the injury and rushed out of the door with this palm strike. "Stubborn," Ling He said darkly and was ready to chase after him. At this time, Elder 7 and Elder 9 stood in front of him. "You also want to die?" Ling He asked faintly. "Elder Black and Elder White, why can't you tell right from wrong? If you really want the second elder to be the patriarch, you can hold a family meeting and listen to everyone's opinion, including the Grand Supreme Elder's opinion." Elder 7 persuaded. Unexpectedly, before he finished speaking, Ling He's palms had already hit him. Elder 7's strength was not weak, and he tried his best to block, but he was still blasted out. Ling He flashed forward and caught him again. His strength was really terrible. "Elder 4, Elder 6, Elder 9, you make a decision." At this time Ling Mo looked at Elder 4, Elder 6, and Elder 9 who had not made a move yet. Ling Wei looked at Ling Mo with a complicated expression and said lightly, "I just want to be the punishment elder." Elder 6 and Elder 9 did not answer. They wanted to believe that Elder 3 would definitely be able to escape. Unfortunately, after a while, they saw Ling Yuan being carried in by a ferocious-looking short man, followed by Elder 5. They say the elders of the Ling family are just so, Old Ghost said with a sinister smile. You are Old Ghost? Elder 9 looked at the newcomer in horror. 10 years ago, Old Ghost was driven out of Meteorite City by the highest elder, and Elder 9 was still watching from the sidelines. He did not expect that Ling Mo would collude with this kind of poison master. Hey, I didn't expect that after so many years in Meteorite City, someone would still recognize this old man. Not bad, Old Ghost said with a sinister smile, and then threw Ling Yuan to the ground like a dead dog. What's the situation outside? Ling Mo looked at his younger brother, Elder 5 Ling Yen, and asked. Old man Ling Tsang seems to have been prepared for a long time. The 24 Ling Yuan guards, the 5 elements envoys and some deacons are resisting, but I have already asked Chong to take the men of sacrifice to besiege them. Moreover, the Elders' Council is already under our control, so they are not a threat, Ling Yen replied with a smile. His old eyes seemed to be filled with indescribable joy. He had been waiting for this day for a long time. Is there any trace of the highest elder? Ling Mo asked worriedly. Ling Yen went forward and whispered a few more words in his ear. Ling Mo suddenly laughed. Good, today the situation is settled, and the position of the patriarch is finally in my hands. Ling Mo laughed excitedly, and then directly sat on the patriarch's seat that he had been looking forward to for a long time. Unexpectedly, he was too excited, and his momentum directly crushed the patriarch's seat. Everyone's expression changed. This was an inauspicious sign. Not good. Second elder, a deacon who belonged to the second elder hurriedly ran in and shouted. Bastard! Ling Mo was angry. He had not sat firmly on the patriarch's seat, and someone actually called him not good. Wasn't that asking for a scolding? The deacon knew that he had said something wrong and immediately begged for mercy. I didn't mean to offend you, please forgive me, second elder. Tell me what happened. Ling Yin asked coldly. The Li family and the Lan family have invaded with a large number of masters, the deacon said. What? Everyone in the cabinet was shocked. The Li family and the Lan family had chosen the time when Ling Mo was usurping the patriarch's seat. Their intention was obvious. Did they want to take the opportunity to make the Ling family disappear from Meteorite City? Everyone follow me out and have a look, Ling Mo shouted with a flash in his eyes. At this moment the old ghost said, Ling Mo, don't be in such a hurry. My task has been completed. Hand over the reward I want. What time is it now? After you help me repel the enemy, I will naturally give it to you, Ling Mo said coldly. This has nothing to do with me. I am only responsible for helping you refine the men of sacrifice and take back the position of the patriarch. Do you want to turn your back on me now? The old ghost said without buying it. How dare you? The black and white elders of the previous generation shouted and wanted to teach the old ghost a lesson. Chapter 136. I already knew that your Ling family is a bunch of bastards who burned the bridge after crossing the river. Old Ghost cursed. His hands quickly circulated energy as he exchanged blows with the black and white elders. Old Ghost was blasted out of the door, while the two black and white elders each retreated 6 or 7 steps. From this, it could be seen that the 3 of them were almost on par with each other in terms of strength. However, just as the 2 of them were about to chase after the old ghost, they discovered that their palms had turned green. There's poison. The 2 of them cried out in alarm and immediately used their strength to force out the poison. At this moment, Ling Yanzhong said to Ling Mo. Then Ling Mo's expression changed. Is that true? Ling Mo asked. I saw it with my own eyes. How could it be fake? Ling Yin replied seriously. Oh no, this damned old man didn't have good intentions from the beginning. Ling Mo seemed to have thought of something, and his expression became solemn. Then he rushed out of the house. Ling Mo intended to capture Old Ghost in one fell swoop. Otherwise, it would be even worse if the enemy's half-step king stage reinforcements arrived. At this time, he hoped that the Supreme Elder and the enemy's half-step king stage reinforcements would both be injured. As a high-rank spirit master, Old Ghost's strength was about the same as Ling Mo's. Both of them used their spiritual powers to attack each other, and in just a moment, the surroundings of the Ling family's inner courtyard were destroyed beyond recognition. Just as the 5th elder was about to join the battle, dozens of figures swept in from outside. Who dares to barge into the inner courtyard of the Ling family? An earth-shattering roar came from the depths of the Ling family. Following that, a few figures dashed out from the inner courtyard. Haha, Ling Chen, long time no see. Could it be that you can't even recognize an old friend? The elder in the lead loudly laughed as he flew in. What audacity! Li Shunbao actually dares to invade our Ling clan. After the few figures of the Ling clan that had rushed out stood still, one of the elders that was surrounded by a fiery glow shouted. He was the same generation as Ling Bai and Ling He, the previous generation elder of the Ling family. The 5 elders behind him were also the previous generation elders. They had been cultivating in seclusion in the cave behind the cabinet. If they hadn't sensed a large number of powerful auras, they wouldn't have come out of seclusion. Every elder of the previous generation was at the peak of the spirit master level. This was where the Ling clan's foundation lay. In the Ling family, the Grand Elder had been in the position for 3 generations, and his strength was the highest. That was why he was called the Grand Elder. He was the true pillar of the Ling family. There were more than 30 warriors from the Li clan and the Lan clan. Every one of them was over 50 years old and had the strength of a spirit master. Li Shunbao was Li Qianzhong's father, the previous clan leader of the Li clan. The 5 people beside him were the previous elders of the Li clan and the 3 elders of the Lan clan. All the martial masters of the Li clan and the Lan clan came out in full force. They had to uproot the Ling clan. Li Shunbao looked at Ling Chen and smiled. Since your Ling family is fighting amongst themselves, of course we came over to join in on the fun. Ling Chen frowned and immediately saw the Ling Black and Ling Bai brothers coming out of the cabinet asking, "What's going on? Where's the Great Elder?" The Great Elder that Ling Chen mentioned was the Ling family's Grand Elder. He was only separated from the Grand Elder by a generation, so he addressed him differently from Ling Mo and the others. Ling Black and Ling Bai looked at each other and smiled bitterly. "Boss Chen, now is not the time to look into who's responsible. Let's fight off the enemy first." Ling Chen coldly snorted, and then looked at Ling Mo and Ling Yan. He seemed to have guessed something, but he also knew that now was not the time to argue. He immediately turned to Li Shunbao and said, "Li Shunbao, do you really want to fight to the death with our Ling clan? When our Great Elder comes, you guys won't even be able to stand up to him." "Ah, Ling Chen, looks like you've become stupid after all these years of closed-door training. If we didn't have full confidence, how would we dare to challenge your Ling clan? Everyone attack. Destroy them and the Ling clan will no longer be a threat. Alright, sons of the Ling clan, kill them. Killing one is not a loss, killing 2 is a gain." Ling Chen waved his long sleeves and shouted, taking the lead to face Li Shunbao. With Ling Chen in the lead, the elders of the previous generation all attacked. The Li clan and the Lan clan immediately surrounded them, and the battle was about to begin. Ling Yan helplessly asked Ling Mo, "Big brother, what should we do? This old man must have colluded with the Li clan. What else can we do? How can the Ling clan's 1,000-year foundation be destroyed by us 2 brothers? Even if we die, we must kill this hateful old man," Ling Mo said with some regret. Although he always wanted to sit on the position of clan leader, it did not mean that he had no feelings for the Ling clan. On the contrary, he had always been proud of the Ling clan. He definitely would not allow anyone else to touch the Ling clan's foundation. Now that the mistake had been made, there was no point in regretting it. They could only fight with their lives on the line. Based on the current situation, everyone present knew that the Ling clan was most likely doomed this time. However, before the Ling clan's battle, the first round of the competition had already ended in the Meteorite City Market Square. The 5 winners were Lan Jianren, Li Yan, Luo Qi, Ling Xiao, and Li Tianhao. The 5 losers were of course Ling Yong, Ling Feng, Xuechang, Lan Yan, and Qin Li. In the second round of the competition, after the 5 losers had taken the elixir, they would draw lots to determine the ranking of the next 5. Because Ling Yong and Ling Feng were seriously injured in the first round, they could not recover to their peak state even after taking the elixir, so they were only ranked 8th and 9th. Lan Yan was ranked 10th, while Xuechang and Qin Li were ranked 6th and 7th respectively. During the second round of the competition, Ling Xiao, who was in the audience, was not in the mood to watch the battle. He did not know why, but he always felt that something big had happened. However, his mind was on the 2 attendants of the Purple Sky sect who had suddenly appeared. It seems that Mingqi is not so heartless. Ling Xiao thought of the first woman who had moved his heart, Yun Mingqi. At that time, Ling Xiao and Yun Mingqi fell into the abyss of the mountain together. After several twists and turns, they fell in love with each other. Unfortunately, after Yun Mingqi received the inheritance, she returned to reality and left Ling Xiao. She told Ling Xiao that unless he could one day surpass her, it would be impossible for them to be together. Ling Xiao knew what Yun Mingqi meant. She should be worried about the reaction of the forces behind her. If she really was with him, he was afraid that not only would he be in trouble, but even the Ling family would be implicated. Today, seeing the attitude of the patriarchs and the elders of the previous generation towards the two attendants of the Purple Sky sect, Ling Xiao could imagine how powerful the Purple Sky sect was. From this, he felt that it was possible that Yun Mingqi had specially arranged for these two to come to Meteor City to recruit outer disciples. Whether it was true or not was not important. What was important was whether he could grasp the opportunity to become an outer disciple of the Purple Sky sect, and then successfully enter the Purple Sky sect. In the future, it would be much more convenient for him to see beautiful women. Moreover, Ling Xiao was also very confident that with his 10 bin, it would not be difficult for him to surpass Yun Mingqi, who was already at the Spirit Master level. This was because his goal was not as simple as surpassing Yun Mingqi. Just as Ling Xiao was letting his imagination run wild, the third round of the competition began. When the lottery box was brought up, the other 4 people went up to draw their lots. Only Ling Xiao still did not move. Li Qianzhong, who was sitting in the upper seat, snorted unhappily, "Hurry up and draw your lots, don't waste everyone's time." Ling Xiao ignored his words and directly jumped onto the stage. Everyone's eyes were focused on him, not understanding what he was going to do. Could it be that Ling Xiao wants to forfeit? I don't think so. No matter what, he is still the #1 genius of Meteor City. If he forfeits today, I'm afraid that it will affect his future cultivation. That's hard to say. After all, he is still very young. In another 4 years, he will definitely become the leader of the new generation. The people below were discussing spiritedly. "Ling Xiao, hurry up and draw your lots," Ling Tsang shouted coldly. He thought to himself, this kid is really worrisome. Ling Xiao glanced at the big shots on the stage, then turned to the other 4 and shouted, "All of you come at me together so that we don't waste everyone's time." Silence. The entire audience was silent. "Haha, is your brain flooded with water? You actually dare to challenge the 4 of us?" Li Qianhao was the first to react and laughed loudly. "Don't overestimate yourself," the cloaked Li Yan said indifferently. "What an arrogant brat," Lan Jianren said disdainfully. Only Luo Qi remained silent, but his eyes were also filled with ridicule. "Arrogant brat, hurry up and draw your lots. Otherwise, get the hell off the stage." Li Qianzhong angrily shouted at Ling Xiao. Back when he had gone to the Ling family to seek justice, he had been counterattacked by Ling Xiao. He had been very sullen, and if it wasn't for the fact that they were in the hall, he would have definitely crushed this annoying little bastard to death. Ling Xiao once again ignored Li Qianzhong and said to the 4 people who had won, "If you have the guts, come at me together. None of you are a match for me, so if you all come at me together, you might have a chance." Ling Xiao finished speaking and a golden light rose from his body as his aura surged. The dense golden light faintly revealed the aura of an emperor, causing people to not dare to look down on him. "How dare you?" As soon as Ling Xiao's words came out, the 4 people below the stage immediately jumped up. Ling Xiao's words were too arrogant. He actually dared to look down on them in the hall. If they didn't get back at him, others would think that they were soft thieves. Is he really crazy? Or is he so arrogant that he considers everyone beneath him? He actually dared to challenge 4 people at once. That's right, he's too impulsive. He's only a mid-stage mystic cultivator, and Luo Qi can beat him with one hand. I feel that this Ling Xiao seems to have the qualifications to be arrogant. Don't you remember that he killed the Lan family's Lan Guangxing when he was only a mystic cultivator? Lan Guangxing was a low-stage mystic cultivator at that time. Clan leader Ling, your Ling family is really well educated. Lan Jinfeng looked at Ling Tsang and ridiculed. He actually dared to break the rules in front of the 2 lords of the Purple Sky sect. Wait for this old man to kick him off the stage, Li Qianzhong said as he stood up to attack Ling Xiao. Wait, I feel that this kid is quite interesting. He actually has the guts to challenge 4 people at once. His courage is commendable, but I don't know how strong he is. Let's do as he says, the upstart said indifferently. As soon as these words came out, Li Qianzhong's body stiffened. He knew that this time, he had flattered the horse's hoof. Chapter 137. The 5 most powerful youths of Meteorite City stood majestically on the spacious arena that was cut out of marble. The youth in the middle was dressed in white, and his clothes fluttered in the breeze. Coupled with his carefree expression, it was as if he was standing between heaven and earth, appearing very natural and unrestrained. The other youths in the four corners all had different expressions. They all crossed their arms in front of their chests, and none of them took a step forward. They only coldly stared at the youth in white in the middle. After a while, the blue-robed youth revealed a faint smile and said, "Since none of you are going up, let me deal with this brat." With that, the blue-robed youth's green sword appeared in his hand, and a round of sword shadows swung towards the youth in white in the middle. Rays of green light roared like ferocious dragons. However, the white-clothed young man merely raised his eyes and looked indifferently at the terrifying attack. A 100% wood elemental attack. Even a high-level mystic cultivator would be injured if they were hit by it. Rumble. The green light fiercely smashed into the youth in white's body, causing an earth-shattering sound. "Ha, pretentious brat, even I." The blue-robed youth laughed disdainfully. However, before he could finish speaking, his throat felt like it was stuck in a fishbone. His eyes widened and his expression was so shocked that he couldn't speak. The other three youths also revealed expressions of shock. They saw that the youth in white in the middle was still standing there after being hit. His expression was indifferent, and it was impossible to tell that he had just been heavily injured. "This kind of attack isn't even worthy of making me itch," the youth in white said to the blue-robed youth with an even more disdainful gaze. The blue-robed youth was so angry that his entire body trembled. He gritted his teeth and shouted, "Don't think that I can't kill you just because you're wearing defensive armor." The blue-robed youth's aura rose, and his entire body leaped forward like a goshawk. The green sword in his hand drew circles of sword patterns that looked like waves, and he attacked the youth in white's face. The rippling sword light emitted a biting cold murderous aura. The blue-robed youth thought that the youth in white was able to block his attack just now because he was wearing high-grade defensive armor. Otherwise, how could he be unharmed? The youth in white glanced at the green sword light, and no longer ignored the opponent's attack like before. He placed his hand on the hilt of the sword on his back. "Lose for me." The white-robed youth finally made his move. With a loud shout, a golden light sprayed out. It was as if a golden rainbow had streaked across the sky. Rumble. When the golden light collided with the green light was instantly split into two. However, the golden light continued to slash towards the blue-robed young man in midair. Not good. The blue-robed youth was unable to dodge in midair, so he held his sword horizontally in front of him. The blue-robed youth's body was sent flying by the powerful saber force. Immediately after, the white-robed youth sheathed his saber, stomped his feet and dashed out like a phantom. Bang bang. Before the blue-robed youth landed on the ground, the white-robed youth had already caught up to the blue-robed youth and blasted out a few palm strikes. The blue-robed young man didn't have any reaction at all. He was bombarded repeatedly, and he let out a blood-curdling scream as he was sent flying out of the arena. "You have some ability. Let me, Li Tianhao, defeat you." The other youth who hadn't moved yet shouted. The long sword in his hand stabbed out several times, and the fiery red sword light blasted towards the white-robed youth. The white-robed youth was naturally Ling Xiao himself, and the one who had just been defeated by Ling Xiao in 2 moves was Lan Jianren from the Lan family. "I've said it before, if I meet anyone from the Li family, I will cripple them." Ling Xiao's eyes darkened. He decided not to give Li Tianhao any chance. He wanted to avenge his cousin Ling Li. The silver-blood ghost saber was unsheathed once again, and the sword light appeared again. Just now, Ling Xiao had used metal to subdue wood to break Lan Jianren's attack. This time he encountered Li Tianhao's fire attribute, so he naturally wouldn't use metal attribute attacks. Instead he switched to ice attribute attacks. A frightening glance. A huge ice-cold saber shadow instantly froze the oncoming fiery light. The saber force didn't decrease, and it was even more terrifying than the move that had broken Lan Jianren. Ice attribute attack. Whether it was Li Tianhao himself or the people on the high platform, everyone was shocked. Just now, Ling Xiao had clearly used a metal attribute attack, but now he had used another attribute. Furthermore, this ice attribute attack seemed to be even more tyrannical than the previous metal attribute attack. Li Tianhao was shocked and immediately used all his strength to block. Unfortunately, this move of Ling Xiao's was condensed with his 10th level of Shen energy. Its power was incomparably strong, and even a high-level mystic cultivator wouldn't dare to take it lightly. Boom. Li Tianhao's longsword was shaken out of his hand, and his body was forced back more than 10 steps. Ling Xiao used the same trick, and once again stepped out to chase after him. However, there was already someone blocking his way. Interesting. Your strength is comparable to a high-level mystic cultivator. You're worthy of my sword. Li Yan, who was covered with a hood, laughed lightly as he blocked Ling Xiao's path. Playing tricks. Don't think that you're so King great just because you're a high-level mystic cultivator. I can still beat you until you cry for your parents. Ling Xiao really couldn't stand this pretentious guy, and the silver ghost blood knife in his hand continued to slash. However, this time, Ling Xiao didn't use the same move, but the second move of the Nye clan's blade technique, 3 feet of ice. The Nye clan's blade technique was the wind god Nye Feng's inherited blade technique. It was divided into 6 moves. The first move, Cold Glance, the second move, 3 feet of ice, the third move, Red Apricot Wall, the fourth move, Peach Branch Rises to the Sky, the fifth move, Snow Seeking Plum, and the sixth move, Cold Blade Ice Heart. Each move was more powerful than the previous one. Previously, Ling Xiao was only at the Mystic Realm and could barely use the first move. Now that he was a mid-level Mystic Cultivator, he could use the first 3 moves. As for the last 3 moves, he would probably need to reach the Spirit Master level to use them. A solid ice pillar smashed towards Li Yan, and the coldness caused the people near the stage to shiver. Too scary. Even a high-level Mystic Cultivator can't use such a powerful move. Could it be a high-level Shen skill? It's possible, but isn't the Ling clan's Golden Spear art the only Cyan-level Shen skill? The Ling clan has accumulated it for 1,000 years. Do you really think they only have one Cyan-level Shen skill? Not far away, Li Tianhao looked at the ice pillar and couldn't help but rejoice that his opponent didn't use this move just now. Otherwise he would definitely be below the stage now. Facing such a powerful move, Li Yan's expression was solemn, but he didn't choose to dodge. A magnificent flame suddenly appeared, and the arena became extremely hot. An illusory fire-attributed spirit beast rushed towards the icicle, and the icicle was instantly melted. Ling Xiao was sent flying by the powerful force, and he only managed to stabilize himself after taking a dozen steps back. Shen weapon. Ling Xiao stared at the fire sword in Li Yan's hand and said in astonishment. Good eyesight. You should be proud to be able to make me draw my sword, Li Yan said faintly as he held a long sword that emitted a dense flame. That's the Li clan's blazing sword, and it was actually passed down to Li Yan. It seems that Li Yan is the leader of the Li clan's new generation, and Li Tianhao is just a foil. Exactly, the Li clan's blazing sword and blazing finger have always been passed down to the next generation's clan leader. The Li clan really hid it well, only sending Li Yan out when he was a high-level mystic cultivator. Cut the crap. Even if you have a spirit artifact in your hand, you'll still be lying on the ground. Ling Xiao was still fearless. He used the Phantom Cloud Track footwork and slashed at Li Yan with his silver ghost blood blade. Several icicles swarmed over. Li Yan smiled sinisterly and waved the weapon in his hand. Several ice pillars instantly disintegrated. Ling Xiao exclaimed in his heart. Shen weapons were indeed extraordinary. Once a weapon reached the 3rd level and above, it would be called a Shen weapon. The beast core of a spirit beast was attached to it, and it could activate the spirit beast's elemental attack. Its destructive power was comparable to the full power of a low-level spirit master. Therefore, Li Yan, who wielded a Shen weapon, had the power to fight against the spirit master. This was the reason why Shen weapons were so precious. Ling Xiao had seen 2 Shen weapons before. One was the 4th-level Shen weapon, the Soft Tide Sword, and the other was Li Su's 3rd-level Fire Cloud Sword. Adding the blazing sword in front of him, this was already the 3rd Shen weapon he had seen. Ling Xiao knew the power of Shen weapons, so he naturally wouldn't be stupid enough to fight them head-on. His several ice pillars were just to distract the enemy. He concentrated the wind element under his feet and charged towards Li Tianhao, who was watching the show from the side. Li Yan didn't expect Ling Xiao to change the direction of his attack. Furthermore, Ling Xiao's speed was too fast, so fast that he couldn't react in time. Li Tianhao also didn't expect that Ling Xiao's target would be him. By the time he realized that Ling Xiao had appeared, it was already too late. I said before, I will cripple you. Ling Xiao appeared in front of Li Tianhao, and instantly slashed out with his blade. Li Tianhao let out a blood-curdling scream as one of his arms flew off, fresh blood splattering like a flower. Damn it. Li Yan didn't expect that his cousin would be injured by Ling Xiao right under his nose. He couldn't help but curse and finally used all his Shen energy. One after another, fiery dragon-like attacks swept towards Ling Xiao. It was no wonder that he was able to fight against the Spirit Master. Ling Xiao kept his silver ghost blood blade, and his body continuously leaped to avoid all the attacks. Being of the wind element, he had an incomparable advantage in terms of speed. No matter what kind of Shen skill, Speed was the only thing that could not be defeated. Ling Xiao arrived at Li Yan's side and unsheathed his blue crystal sword. Sword scar. Countless sword flowers emitted specks of fiery light. Fire? Fire attribute attack. Everyone cried out in shock. No one expected that Ling Xiao would actually change his element attack again. This made everyone speechless. Normally, warriors would have one type of element. Occasionally, there would be people with two types of elements. However, people like Ling Xiao who had three types of elements was too rare. Li Yan was indeed the leader of the Li clan. He quickly realized that Ling Xiao was attacking from the side, and the flame sword in his hand turned around to block. Ding dang. At the same time, Li Yan raised his left hand and pointed his index finger at Ling Xiao. Xiao. A small pillar of fire flew towards Ling Xiao's chest. The pillar of fire pierced through Ling Xiao's chest. Hit. Li Yan was overjoyed. Be careful behind you. A warning sounded, but it was too late. Ling Xiao swung his blue crystal sword towards Li Yan's back. Rumble. Li Yan's cloak was completely destroyed, revealing a dark red armor underneath. Damn it, he's even wearing a high-level soft armor. Ling Xiao cursed when he saw that his opponent was wearing a defensive soft armor. Li Yan slowly turned his face that was distorted from anger and gritted his teeth. I'm going to kill you. Chapter 138. Li Yan was furious. Ever since he was a child, he had been known as a peerless genius in the family. He had been nurtured by the family with all their efforts, and he had not failed to live up to the family's expectations. He had been diligently cultivating since he was a child, and rarely showed himself in front of others. Not many people in Meteor City or the Li family knew about him. This time, his goal in participating in the family competition was to amaze the world with a single brilliant feat and shock the crowd. He wanted to help the Li family take first place. But he didn't expect that not only did he not have a chance to perform well when he became a high-level mystic practitioner at the age of 24, he was struck by a puny middle-level mystic practitioner. If he hadn't listened to his grandfather's instructions and wore this second-tier high-level soft armor, he would probably have died on the spot. He almost said, "I'll die before I can achieve anything." Li Yan brandished the blazing flame sword in his hand. Streams of terrifying fire dragons flew towards Ling Xiao, engulfing him. Instantly, the arena turned into a sea of fire. Li Qianzhong, who was on the high platform, shouted in his heart, "Yan, kill that brat for me." When he saw Li Tianhao's hand cut off, his heart was bleeding. Li Tianhao's Tianbin was only slightly inferior to Li Yan's, but in Meteorite City, he was also a proud son of the heavens. His future achievements would definitely not be weak. He and Li Yan would definitely be able to expand the Li family's business, but now that he was missing an arm, his achievements would be limited. Li Qianzhong hated Ling Xiao even more. After this competition, no matter what, he must make Ling Xiao disappear from Meteorite City. Ling Tsang, who was on the side, looked worriedly at Ling Xiao, who was in the sea of fire. Li Yan's attack was comparable to a low-level spirit master's attack. He did not know if Ling Xiao could take it. This brat is too careless. Ling Tsang sighed in his heart. In the arena, Ling Xiao's expression became more serious, but he still did not show any fear. He had the wind attribute, and with the phantom cloud track footwork, his figure was extremely fast. Not only could he avoid Li Yan's attack in advance, but he could also fight back. This made everyone watch with great passion. If the competition was intense and wonderful, it would be much better than the previous ones. I didn't expect the two of them to be so powerful, especially that Ling Xiao. As a middle-level mystic cultivator, he was able to fight against a high-level mystic cultivator with a mystic weapon and remained undefeated. His future is limitless. That's right, no wonder he's the successor that the Ling family's supreme elder has taken a liking to. In the future, he'll definitely dominate Meteor City. I think it'll be very difficult for him to win. Don't forget that Luo Qi from the Luo family hasn't made a move yet. Luo Qi, who had been standing in the corner, held a long sword that exuded a faint gentle glow. His eyes watched the two people fighting fiercely in the field, and the warlike blood in his heart began to boil. Xiao. The long sword in his hand was finally unsheathed, and a water-attributed spirit beast leaped into the air and roared. Luo Qi shouted, "I'll join in the fun too." After that, a few waves rushed towards Ling Xiao. "I've been waiting for you for a long time." Ling Xiao was still not afraid. He shouted loudly, and his sword and saber finally came out together. One sword waved a powerful sword technique, and flames shot towards the two people. The other sword contained the intent of ice, and the saber smashed down like hail. Boom boom boom. The dazzling mystic skills on the stage exploded, and the people below the stage screamed in pain. I want you to die. Li Yan's face was extremely twisted and hideous. On one hand he waved his sword technique, and on the other hand he didn't forget to use his flaming finger. Unfortunately Ling Xiao dodged every time. He very much suspected that the guy had the wind attribute, or else how could he react so quickly? Luo Qi used a water-attributed sword technique, and his hand was also holding a water-attributed mystic weapon. The long-lasting attack forced Ling Xiao into a dangerous situation. Just when Li Yan and Luo Qi were in the same direction, Ling Xiao's tiger eyes flashed. The opportunity was here. Shadowless saber, traceless sword. The saber and sword joined together, and the strongest move swept towards the two people. Boom. There was another intense explosion sound, and on the stage there was only a red and blue light intertwined. Although Ling Xiao's mystic skills were powerful, his saber and sword grade were limited. After clashing with the opponent's two mystic weapons, they actually showed signs of cracking. The mystic weapon is actually not ordinary. Ling Xiao secretly exclaimed and shouted again. The saber and sword in his hand became even more radiant, and the mystic energy in his body surged out crazily. Jian Luyan. 3 feet of ice. 1 saber and 1 sword, the fusion of water and fire, 1 soft and 1 hard, the power was even more extraordinary. Li Yan and Luo Qi blocked at the same time, but the light of the saber and sword seemed to be everywhere, and it was so dense that they were in a difficult situation. Both of them were shocked. If not for their mystic weapons, they would have lost their lives under this saber and sword. Flame Ray Critical Strike. Li Yan shouted and also used his basic sword technique. Luo Qi also did not dare to be careless. Sweeping the 4 seas. Under the coordination of the 2 Cyan-grade mystic skills and mystic weapons, Ling Xiao's saber and sword mystic skills were instantly submerged. Clang. The weapons clashed and sparks flew in all directions. *CK. Ling Xiao could not help but curse, and saw that the saber and sword in his hand were destroyed, and he quickly retreated. The outcome is decided, this kid is too arrogant. The upstart on the stage said indifferently. Li Qianzhong, who was at the side, immediately revealed a happy expression, while Ling Tsang, Luo Xiangming and Li Yu, who were at the side, had ugly expressions. Stinking brat, weren't you very fierce just now? Come on, didn't you want to cripple our Li clan? Is this all you have? Li Yan shouted at Ling Xiao, and the sword in his hand continued to wave, forcing Ling Xiao to only dodge. And Luo Qi, who was at the side, saw that Ling Xiao did not have a weapon, and did not want to fight anymore, so he stopped and did not attack. Since you are so eager to die, I will fulfill your wish. Ling Xiao's eyes flashed and his mental power tightened, and from his sea of consciousness, a formless needle-shaped attack pierced towards Li Yan's sea of consciousness. Li Yan was just about to chop at Ling Xiao, when he suddenly felt a sharp pain in his head. That feeling was like being pricked by thousands of needles, so painful that he did not want to make a sound, and his body could not help but stop. Before he could scream, Ling Xiao had already arrived in front of him. Gotcha. Ling Xiao directly grabbed Li Yan's hand and forcibly broke it. Li Yan let out a painful scream. Everyone was shocked to the extreme. No one would have thought that Li Yan, who had just gained the upper hand, would instantly have one of his hands crippled. Ling Xiao did not care so much and continued to attack viciously. Kacha. Stop. On the high platform, Li Qianzhong could not help but cry out. Li Yan was the grandson he was most proud of, and how could he bear to see his grandson being tortured like this? The clan's tournament is not to be interfered with, Ling Tsang said faintly from the side. You. Li Qianzhong was rendered speechless by Ling Tsang. Indeed, in the clan's tournament, as long as the contestants were not killed, no one was allowed to interfere. That would be a taboo in Meteorite City, and it would cause the various clans to attack. On the stage, Ling Xiao had broken all 4 of Li Yan's limbs, and threw him off the stage like a dead dog. Ling Xiao coldly looked at Luo Qi. Do you still want to fight? Luo Qi tightened his grip on the long sword in his hand, and finally sighed in relief. I forfeit. Although he did not know how Ling Xiao had made Li Yan fall, he knew that Ling Xiao definitely had some shocking killing move, or else he would not have asked him so confidently. Although Luo Qi still wanted to fight, he did not have the confidence to defeat Ling Xiao. He did not want to end up like Li Yan, and it was not worth it to fight for the position of champion. On the high platform, Ling Tsang finally revealed a happy expression. Good, He had hoped that Ling Xiao would win the position of champion, but when he saw Li Yan's raging flame finger and Xian artifact, he felt that his chances were slim. He did not expect that this kid would give him another pleasant surprise. On the side, Li Qianzhong's eyes flashed with an intense killing intent, and he thought to himself, has the operation not started yet? Ling Xiao won by 1 against 4, and the audience cheered heartily. This was the most exciting and intense competition they had ever seen, and Ling Xiao's strength had undoubtedly surpassed any of the previous champions. They all secretly exclaimed, he is indeed worthy of being a genius that is rarely seen in 100 years in Meteorite City. I said that whoever wins this time's champion will have the opportunity to participate in this year's Purple Sky Sect's Outer Sect Disciple Selection, the nouveau riche on the high platform said faintly. He paused for a moment, looked at Ling Xiao on the stage and said, we will give you 1 month to deal with your worldly affairs, and we will come back to find you after 1 month. After the nouveau riche finished speaking, he looked at the blue-robed middle-aged man, and then immediately leaped from the high platform towards the direction of the city outside, respectfully sending off the 2 lords. Several big shots on the high platform immediately stood up and respectfully called out. After the 2 left, Li Su walked out and once again announced that this time's champion was obtained by Ling Xiao. As for the 2nd to 5th place, there was no longer any meaning in continuing the competition. This was because the Li family's Li Tianhao had lost an arm, and Li Yin had lost all 4 of his limbs. The 2 of them could no longer continue fighting. Lan Jinren's injuries were considered light, but he was definitely not Luo Qi's opponent. Thus, after some discussion, the rankings were decided as follows. The champion was Ling Xiao, the 2nd was Luo Qi, the 3rd was Lan Jinren, the 4th was Li Yin, and the 5th was Li Tianhao. In the quadrennial clans competition, Ling Xiao displayed astonishing battle prowess with the strength of a mid-stage mystic disciple, and won 1st place. The clans competition had finally come to an end. Just as Li Su was about to announce the rewards, everyone on the high platform sensed something. What a powerful aura! Everyone exclaimed, and then they looked at each other. It seems like they are all heading towards the Ling family, Luo Xiangming said to Ling Tsang. Could it be? Ling Tsang's heart trembled and his expression became serious. On the other hand, Li Qianzhong, who was at the side, sneered. He knew that the family's full strength had finally been mobilized. At this time, a voice sounded from outside the crowd, Clan? Clan leader? Everyone looked towards the source of the voice and Ling Tsang also saw who it was. Ling Tao. Ling Tsang shouted, and his body swept towards his youngest son like the wind. Tao, what's wrong? Ling Tsang supported Ling Tao, who was covered in blood spots. His entire body's aura was released and it was truly frightening. Second elder, wants to seize the position. The Li family. Lan family, has come to invade. Ling Tao struggled to finish his words and then he fainted. Bastards, Li Qianzhong, Lan Jinfeng, Ling Tsang will not coexist with you. Ling Tsang hugged his son and roared at Li Qianzhong and Lan Jinfeng on the high platform. Chapter 139. No one knew why the Ling family patriarch had lost his composure, and they were still in a daze. Haha, Ling Tsang, old man, today is the day your Ling family perishes. Li Qianzhong arrogantly shouted from the stage, then shouted to the people below, if you don't want to die then scram. This is a grudge between our Li and Ling families. The moment he said this, the people around the stage knew something big was about to happen. They immediately screamed and scattered like birds and beasts. The scene became chaotic and after a while there weren't many people left. The Li family and Ling family had started fighting. This battle should have started half a year ago, but no one expected the Li family to be so patient, waiting until the clan's tournament to make a move. It was clear how deeply Qianzhong's schemes ran. Family Patriarch Luo, Grandmaster Li, please leave for now. Our Li family has some personal grudges with the Ling family, Li Qianzhong said slowly to Luo Xiangming and Li Kong. Before the two could reply, the 2 people from the small families and the Herb Hall's alchemist Yuan Ping all retreated. Luo Xiangming and Li Yu looked at each other, and Luo Xiangming hesitated for a moment before saying, Sons of the Luo family, go back. Hearing Luo Xiangming's words, Li Qianzhong couldn't help but smile. Li Qianzhong, hand over your life. Ling Tsang handed Ling Tao to his family's disciple and flew towards Li Qianzhong like an eagle. Brother Li, let's join hands and kill him. Lan Jinfeng said eagerly. Of course. Li Qianzhong smiled and faced Ling Tsang. Rumble. The 2 family patriarchs had officially started fighting. Another two silhouettes dashed onto the stage and dashed towards Ling Xiao. They seemed to be from the Li family. Lan Zhenfeng didn't mind and also joined the fight. Fighting 1 against 4, Ling Tsang was in danger. Li Yu watched from the side and gritted his teeth, shouting, "Brother Ling, I'll help you." "Grandmaster Li, do you really want to get involved in this mess?" Li Qianzhong warned. "I'm Ling Zhao's god-grandfather. Naturally, I can't just stand by and watch." Li Yu was a person who could clearly distinguish between gratitude and grudges. If Ling Xiao hadn't saved his son would have died. Now he would consider it as repaying Ling Zhao's kindness. Good, then don't blame us for being ruthless. Kill them." Li Qianzhong shouted and then used all his strength to fight Lan Zhenfeng against Ling Tsang, while the other two Li clan elders faced off against Li Yu. For a moment, there was only the sound of explosions on the high platform, and smoke rose everywhere. At this time, only the disciples of the three families and Luo Qingxuang of the Luo family were left near the arena. She had actually run over to Ling Zhao's side, determined to fight alongside him until the end. It was enough for Ling Xiao to understand her feelings. He didn't want anything to happen to Luo Qingxuang, so he knocked her out and handed her back to Luo Qi. "Lone Eagle, Big Brother Leng, protect Yushi and Sister Dai." Ling Xiao said to Lone Eagle and Leng Shi. He then swallowed 2 energy recovery pills and adjusted his strength to its peak. Ling Kuang and Ling Xing have escaped. At this time, someone from the Ling family reminded. "Damn traitors, I'll go chase after them." Ling Feng supported his heavily injured body and said. Although he was a bit narrow-minded, he knew that he was a part of the Ling family. Even when they were facing internal and external troubles, he still didn't forget his roots. It was truly commendable. "Don't worry about them for now. First, kill the Li and Lan family bastards," Ling Xiao said faintly. At the same time, he summoned the young Qilin and the Golden Wolf King from his spirit beast bracer. The 2 spirit beasts suddenly appeared. The Golden Wolf King's body was as large as a small mountain, and its needle-like golden fur was full of dominance. After half a year of recuperation, the Golden Wolf King had already advanced from the low 3rd rank to the mid-3rd rank. That was all because Ling Xiao had enough beast cores for it to devour. The young Qilin was only in the form of a small beast. It looked very cute, but its scarlet eyes emitted a ferocious light that made people not dare approach it. The Ling family disciples to the side had long since heard rumors that Ling Xiao had a 3rd-rank spirit beast. Now that it had appeared in front of them, they were all given a fright. "Protect yourselves," said Ling Xiao. He then charged toward the Li and Lan family's younger generation. "Quick, look what a large spirit beast." One of the Li family's youths couldn't help crying out when he saw the Golden Wolf King. The Li and Lan family's youths also looked over. All of them were shocked. "Everyone run. It's Ling Zhao's spirit beast." Another Li family youth hastily shouted. "None of you will be able to escape. Xiao Jin, eat them for me," Ling Xiao sinisterly said. His body flickered as he charged toward the injured Li Tianhao and Li Yan. "What are you doing?" Li Tianhao's terror of Ling Xiao had reached its peak. "What am I doing? You dare invade my Ling family and still dare ask such a thing?" Ling Xiao said, and his cloud-separating palms smashed toward Li Tianhao's chest. "Don't be so arrogant." 2 of the Li family's enforcers charged out from the side. However, before they could even reach him, the Golden Wolf King immediately threw them to the ground and began to tear at them. Ling Xiao poured Shen energy into his palms and immediately killed Li Tianhao. He also broke Li Yan's neck. The Li family's outstanding talent had fallen on the spot. Li Qianzhong glanced at the scene of his grandson being killed and couldn't help roaring, "Damn trash, I'll definitely tear your corpse into 10,000 pieces." Li Qianzhong was infuriated. He gave up on surrounding Ling Tsang with Lan Zhenfeng and charged toward Ling Xiao. I'm afraid you won't have that fate. You wastrel, go get rid of that old man for me." Ling Xiao instructed the young Qilin. The young Qilin didn't hesitate and its body instantly grew larger. This time it didn't just grow to a height of 1.5 meters. It directly grew to a length of 2 meters, and its divine beast appearance became even more extraordinary. Even the Golden Wolf King wanted to prostrate before it. After the young Qilin grew larger, it directly shot toward Li Qianzhong. Ling Xiao didn't pay any more attention to Li Qianzhong. He believed that the young Qilin was completely capable of getting rid of him. Thus, he grabbed the raging flame sword beside Li Yan and felt a wave of heat rise. "Its spirituality is not bad," Ling Xiao muttered. He circulated his fire attribute and merged it with the raging flame sword. "Kill?" Ling Xiao held the raging flame sword in his hand. His killing intent was dense as he charged toward the fleeing Li and Lan family members. Time was of the essence and Ling Xiao didn't have the time to waste here. The Li and Lan family members were scared witless. That was a rank 3 spirit beast which was comparable to a spirit master. Furthermore, Ling Xiao had a Xian weapon in his hand. There was no way they could fight him. Pupiu. Ling Xiao used the raging flame sword and brandished the powerful flame sword, instantly taking away the lives of 2 people. As for the Golden Wolf King, it didn't even need to use elemental attacks. It directly pounced and bit them, savagely devouring and clawing them to death. Ling Xiao and the Golden Wolf King quickly finished off the young elites of the Li and Lan family. The attendants who came to protect the Li and Lan family members were also killed. Not far away, the disciples of the Ling family looked at Ling Xiao, who was like a god of death. They couldn't help but feel reverence for him. On the other side of the battlefield, because Li Qianzhong had come to kill Ling Xiao, he was intercepted by the young Qilin. Lan Zhenfeng was having a hard time fighting Ling Tsang alone. Ling Tsang was able to become the patriarch because his strength was outstanding. If Li Qianzhong and Lan Zhenfeng worked together, Ling Tsang wouldn't have long to live. However, now that he was facing Lan Zhenfeng, who was 1 level lower than him, the pressure was greatly reduced, and Lan Zhenfeng was forced to retreat. As for Li Su, although he was being entangled by the 2 elders of the Li family, he was the most relaxed one. This was because the 2 elders were only low-level spirit masters, while he was a middle-level spirit master. Fighting 1 against 2 was easy for him. Li Qianzhong faced the young Qilin. Although he felt that the Qilin in front of him was a divine beast, he would never believe that Ling Xiao had a divine beast following him. He originally thought that with his high-level spirit master strength, he would be able to quickly deal with this spirit beast. Unfortunately, he was wrong. This spirit beast's speed and strength far exceeded his imagination. LVCI was almost injured by its claws, so he couldn't help but be on high alert. He cursed in his heart, where did this bastard get such a powerful spirit beast? Ling Xiao finished off the younger generation of the Li and Lan families and turned his gaze to the high platform. He jumped onto the wolf's back and shouted, "Xiaojin, go up and bite those bastards to death." The golden wolf howled and its eyes were filled with a bloodthirsty ferocity. In an instant it rushed onto the high platform. "Grandpa Li, I'll help you," shouted Ling Xiao. He rode the Golden Wolf King toward a low-rank spirit master of the Li family. The Golden Wolf was as fast as lightning, and the low-level spirit master didn't even have time to react. He was clawed by the wolf, and large chunks of flesh and blood flew everywhere. "Good, today I'll kill to my heart's content," Li Su shouted heroically. His palms flew out and a large area of flames pressed down on the low-level spirit master. The difference of 1 level was like the difference between heaven and earth. Without the help of his companions, the low-level spirit master couldn't even withstand 2 moves from Li Su before he was heavily injured and quickly died. On the other side, Lan Zhenfeng had also been hit by Ling Tsang a few times. His internal injuries were quite severe, and his fighting strength had plummeted. "Brother Li, hurry and help me." Lan Zhenfeng couldn't hold on any longer and begged Li Qianzhong for help. Li Qianzhong didn't have the time to help Lan Zhenfeng, as he was being forced into a corner by the scarlet spirit beast in front of him. Li Qianzhong knew that he couldn't kill Ling Tsang right now and immediately shouted, "Brother Lan, retreat." Without any hesitation, Li Qianzhong fled in the direction of the Ling family. Lan Zhenfeng didn't dare hesitate and exchanged a blow with Ling Tsang. He spat out another mouthful of blood and used the momentum to chase after Li Qianzhong. "Grandpa, let's chase." Ling Xiao was about to give chase on the golden wolf. Wait," Ling Tsang shouted. Ling Xiao obediently stopped the golden wolf. "Take your uncle and Ling Feng and leave Meteor City," Ling Tsang said with an ugly expression. "Grandpa, patriarch." Ling Xiao and the other participants of the Ling family looked at Ling Tsang and said in a trembling voice. The second elder took the opportunity to seize the position, and the Li and Lan families took the opportunity to attack. This time the Ling family has encountered a great calamity. I can't sense the Grand Elder's aura, so he must be. So you should quickly escape, the further the better, so that you won't be captured in one fell swoop. Wait for the day when you're strong enough, then come back for revenge. Ling Tsang gave his instructions and then said to Li Kong, "Grandmaster Li, I, Ling Tsang, cannot thank you enough for your help this time. If the Ling family doesn't perish this time, you will be an honored guest of the Ling family. Brother Ling, you're treating me like an outsider. If it weren't for Shower saving my young era, I'm afraid that I would have had to send my son off. Today, even if I have to risk my life, I will stand by your Ling family's side, Li Kong said righteously. Ling Tsang looked gratefully at Li Kong and then shouted to Ling Xiao, "Hurry up and leave." Then he flew back in the direction of the Ling family. Chapter 140. Ling Tsang and Li Su left together, but Ling Xiao didn't follow immediately. His expression was solemn and he was in a terrible mood. "Ling Xiao, let's go back with the family head," Ling Feng said. "Yes, we swear to live and die with the family," Ling Yong agreed. "Yes, let's go back and let those bastards from the Li and Lan families know the consequences of offending our Ling family. Go. We swear to live and die with the family." The 7 members of the younger generation of the Ling family were all brimming with killing intent. They did not retreat in the slightest even though the Ling family was in danger. From this, it could be seen how much they valued their sense of belonging to the Ling family. Perhaps they also knew that once the Ling family was taken over by the Li and Lan families, they would become homeless. "Ling Feng, take everyone and escape," Ling Xiao said quietly. "What? Do you think I, Ling Feng, am afraid of death?" Ling Feng shouted at Ling Xiao, clutching his wound. He felt that Ling Xiao's words were insulting him. "That's not what I meant. I think you're just going to die if you go back." This time the Li and Lan family sent out all their elites, and they'll definitely uproot our Ling family. "You have to live and avenge the family in the future," Ling Xiao said calmly. He realized that Ling Feng wasn't a bad person. If the family is gone, what's the point of living? Ling Feng was still stubborn. "Yes, Ling Xiao, don't say any more. Let's all go back together. Killing one isn't a loss and killing 2 is enough," Ling Yong said. "Enough. If you all die, who will avenge the family in the future?" Ling Xiao shouted angrily. "I'll go back alone. I'll kill whoever follows me. Where's Lone Eagle?" "Lone Eagle is here," Lone Eagle answered. "Take Yushi and leave. You must protect her." "If I don't die, I'll definitely come back for you," Ling Xiao said quietly. "No. Young master, I won't go. I want to be with young master," Yushi said as she threw herself into Ling Xiao's arms with tears streaming down her face. Ling Xiao sighed softly, stroked her hair with one hand, and then lightly touched the back of her neck, knocking her out and handing her over to Lone Eagle. Following that, Ling Xiao glanced at the Lung Snake siblings and said, "Big brother Lung, big sister Dire, take care." With that, Ling Xiao jumped onto the fire Qilint's back and flew back in the direction of his family. The Golden Wolf King followed Ling Xiao. "Ling Feng, let's go back together." Ling Yong looked at Ling Xiao, who had no intention of going back. His eyes were a little wet. As expected of a man from the Ling family. Ling Feng was silent for a moment, then a resolute look flashed in his eyes as he said, "Ling Xiao is right, we must leave immediately and come back in the future when we have the strength." With that, he turned around and walked out of the city with his heavily injured body. Ling Yong hesitated for a moment, then looked at the people behind him and gritted his teeth. "Let's go. When we return to Meteorite City, we will definitely massacre the Li and Lan family's bastards." At this moment, they knew that they would only be a burden if they stayed. Not only would they not be of any help, but they would also die for nothing. It was not worth it. Only by leaving and escaping from the Li and Lan family's pursuit would they have a chance to take revenge in the future. At this time, Lone Eagle handed Yushi to Wei Dyer and said, "Wei Dyer, take care of Miss Yushi. I have to go back to help young master." Lung Snake looked at Lone Eagle's disappearing figure and said indifferently, "What a man. Let's go, we won't be of much help even if we go back." Wei Dyer looked in the direction Ling Xiao had left, and her eyes became moist. Ling Xiao sat on the prodigal's body and directly flew back to the family. However, he did not go to the inner cabinet but to his parents. In the entire Ling family, the only people Ling Xiao cared about were his own family members. He did not have the mood to care about the lives and deaths of the others. People were always selfish and Ling Xiao was no exception. Before any righteous cause, he still had to take care of his family members first. "Father, mother, you have to hold on," Ling Xiao prayed non-stop. In his previous life he was an orphan. In this life he had the love and care of his family. Of course he did not want that warm feeling to disappear. The prodigal's speed was very fast. In just a few blinks of an eye, he had arrived in the sky above his home. Ling Xiao did not take the risk to go down. Instead, he looked down from the sky and observed the situation below. He wanted to see the situation clearly before killing the enemy and saving the people. However, what surprised Ling Xiao was that the Ling family's elites were gathered in their courtyard. The 5 elements envoy, the 24 tiger guards, and more than 10 attendants were all here. At this moment, his uncle Ling Yuan and a tiger guard were fighting with 3 martial artists from the Li and Lan families. In half a year, Ling Yuan had successfully broken through to become a low-level soul master. His strength was not what it used to be. The one fighting alongside his uncle was the head of the tiger guards, Hu Yi. He was also a low-level soul master. On the Li and Lan family's side, there were also 3 low-level soul masters. Behind them were dozens of mystic cultivators. This must be where the elites of both sides were. The Ling family's inner yard was where the true heavyweights were fighting. The commander of the Tiger Guards actually has some skill. However, your limelight ends here. A fire-type martial artist from the Li family waved a pair of hooks in his hands and attacked Ling Yuan. Although Ling Yuan's strength was similar to his opponent's, he was fighting 1 against 2. Moreover, his element was countered by his opponent. He was about to be injured by the 2 flames. Ling Xiao, who was in midair, did not dare to hesitate. He commanded the prodigal to dive down. The fiery sword in his hand slashed at the Li family martial artist. Poof! The prodigal's speed was extremely fast. Before the Li family martial artist could react, he was cut in half by Ling Xiao's sword. This sneak attack was definitely unexpected. Who would have thought that there would still be people in midair? The 2 low-level soul masters from the Li and Lan families were shocked and immediately retreated. Xiao Air. Ling Yuan called out in surprise when he saw who it was. Uncle, don't say anything. Grandpa has already rushed back to the inner yard. Let's work together and get rid of these scum first. Ling Xiao jumped up from the prodigal's body and said, Okay, kill them. Ling Yuan had just been surrounded and beaten by the 2 of them. Right now, the other side only had 2 low-level soul masters. He and Hu Yi were also soul masters. In a one-on-one fight, he was completely confident that he could get rid of these 2. Prodigal, kill them all. Ling Xiao ordered the fire Qilin. The prodigal didn't kill Li Qianzhong just now and was very angry. He felt that he had lost face in front of Ling Xiao. This time, he gathered his strength and opened his mouth wide. A pillar of fire shot towards the mystic cultivators from the Li and Lan families. The speed of the pillar of fire was very fast and the fire was very strong. Some of the Li and Lan families couldn't react in time and were caught in the fire. They screamed as they burned. On the other side, the 5 element envoys, 24 tiger guards, and Ling family deacons gathered at Ling Zhao's house were roused. They charged towards the Li and Lan families together. Ling Yuan and Hu Yi once again faced the 2 low-level soul masters. Ling Xiao waited on the side for an opportunity. He knew that as long as he got rid of 1 more low-level soul master, his side would definitely be able to turn defeat into victory. At this time, the Golden Wolf King rushed over. Behind it, there were a dozen poison men chasing after it. With the arrival of the Golden Wolf King, Ling Xiao didn't think much. He immediately commanded the Golden Wolf King to pounce towards the Li and Lan family spirit-level cultivators. He brandished the burning flame sword and charged into the mystic cultivators of the Li and Lan families. Relying on the speed of the wind attribute and the power of the profound weapon, he was like a wolf in a flock of sheep. Everywhere he went, someone was immediately cut in half, killing them until they were terrified. Not long after, under the slaughter of Ling Xiao, the fire Qilin, and the elites of the Ling family, not a single one of the Li and Lan family deacons could escape. The poison men were also beheaded by Ling Xiao. They couldn't be more dead. As for the 2 spirit masters, they wanted to run when they saw that the situation was over. But under the speed of the Golden Wolf King, not one of them could escape. After a round of killing, the front of Ling Zhao's house was littered with corpses and blood flowed like a river. The scene was as terrifying as hell. Xiao, have you seen the Grand Elder? Ling Yuan asked Ling Xiao after taking a few pills. This time they all retreated to the side of Ling Zhao's house. This was all planned by Ling Tsang. Ling Tsang felt that in times of danger, the Grand Elder would help out on account of Ling Xiao. Unfortunately, no one knew that the Grand Elder was fighting outside the city, and his life was uncertain. Uncle, I haven't seen the old master in a while. Could it be? Ling Xiao answered, but he couldn't help but guess. If it wasn't for the Grand Elder, would the Li and Lan families really dare to attack? For a moment, Ling Yuan's expression became serious. Commander, let's go and support the clan leader and the elders, Hu Yi said. The Li and Lan families are all out. Even if we go, we won't be able to help. But even if we die, I'll drag a few of them down with me, Ling Yuan said faintly. He then patted Ling Zhao's shoulder and said, Xiao, the family will be relying on you in the future. With that, Ling Yuan and Hui rushed towards the inner courtyard. Ling Xiao didn't try to stop them because they all had the strength of a spirit master. At the very least they could be of help. Everyone come with me. Let's kill those bastards from the Li and Lan families. Ling Xiao shouted and then rushed towards the direction of the battle. Other than the spirit masters, there were also many enforcers and guards. There were also the poison men. These people were responsible for killing the Ling family's guards and the Ling family's members. Ling Xiao knew that he wouldn't be of much help if he went to the inner pavilion, but it was more than enough to kill the enforcers from the Li and Lan families. The 5 elements envoys, the 24 tiger guards, and some of the Ling family's enforcers heard Ling Zhao's words. They all left to kill the enemies. Ling Zhan, who was in the house, also wanted to go out and kill the enemies, but he was held back by Meng Xiyun. Xiyun, let go of me. As a member of the Ling family, how can I just watch as the family is destroyed? Ling Zhan said passionately. Brother Zhan, how could I not know what you're thinking? But the people they're sending out are all mystic realm experts. You're just a Xian practitioner, what else can you do other than die? Meng Xiyun advised. But if I stay here and do nothing, how am I any different from a coward? Ling Zhan said guiltily. No, Brother Zhan, although we can't participate in the battle, we can take care of the injured members of the family. It can be considered as doing our part. Meng Xiyun said. AI, damn it. If I recover my strength, I'll definitely kill them all. Ling Zhan threw his spear to the side and said dejectedly. Chapter 141. In the inner courtyard of the Ling family, the sound of explosions rang out incessantly. The originally majestic and simple courtyard had almost been turned into ruins by this bombardment. Dozens of silhouettes were fighting each other. Colorful rays of light rotated and flipped, and dust flew up from the roof tiles. Ling Chen, you're still stubbornly resisting at this point. It's no longer meaningful. Your Ling family's old man is already waiting for you. Li Shunbao, the previous patriarch of the Li family, laughed proudly as he fought with Ling Chen, the previous elder of the Ling family. Humph, even if I die, I'll drag you down with me. Ling Chen coldly snorted and released his full aura. Rays of fiery light surrounded Li Shunbao from all directions. On the other side, the previous elders of the Ling family had already reached their limit. Although they were strong, they felt powerless when facing 2 or 3 opponents at the same time. Ling Imo looked at the destroyed courtyard, and a sense of regret welled up in his heart. If it wasn't for his betrayal, the Ling family wouldn't have ended up like this. Although he wanted to seize the position of patriarch, he didn't want to see the Ling family destroyed in his hands. But the big mistake had already been made, and it was useless for him to regret it. He could only think of a way to make up for it. Ling Imo pushed away 2 opponents, took out a pill from his pocket, and a resolute light shone in his old eyes. Ling Yen, who was not far away, just happened to catch a glimpse of the moment Ling Imo swallowed the pill, and anxiously shouted, "Big brother, don't." However, it was too late. Ling Imo had already swallowed the pill. Suddenly, the golden light around Ling Imo became even more dazzling, and the surrounding spiritual energy wrapped around him. In just a moment, Ling Mo's aura had already risen to the aura of a half-step king stage expert. Not good, he took the spirit-burning pill. Li Shunbao, who was fighting with Ling Qin, noticed something and immediately exclaimed. Hearing Li Shunbao's exclamation, everyone's expression changed. They all seemed to know what kind of terrifying pill this spirit-burning pill was. Ling Qin took advantage of Li Shunbao's distraction and pressed his palm on Li Shunbao's chest, sending him flying dozens of meters away. A mouthful of blood spurted out. At this time, 2 warriors of the Li family immediately met Ling Qin to prevent him from chasing after Li Shunbao. Everyone go. Don't let him grow any further. Li Shunbao ignored the injuries on his body and rushed towards Ling Imo. Dozens of fire dragons shot out of his palms and roared towards Ling Imo. Everyone blocked them together. Ling Yan's face was filled with pain, and the green light around his body surged as he stood in front of Ling Chen's fire dragon. Rumble. Ling Yan only had the strength of a middle spirit master. He couldn't block Li Shunbao's full power attack at all. He was blasted back dozens of meters and his beard was almost burnt. He swallowed a mouthful of blood and became dispirited. It was clear that he had suffered serious internal injuries. For a moment, the people of the Li and Lan families all rushed towards Ling Imo, bombarding him with elemental attacks. Although the elders of the Ling family tried their best to resist, they couldn't withstand so many attacks. Rumble. Ling Mo was hit again and again, and a large group of fireworks bloomed in the air. Almost the entire Meteor City could hear it clearly. I'm afraid that the Ling family will really be destroyed. Although the Li and Lan families are very strong, the Ling family should be able to withstand it with the Grand Elder. If the Li and Lan families dare to choose to destroy the Ling family now, they must have a plan to deal with the Grand Elder. Otherwise they wouldn't dare to attack the Ling family so openly. Meteor City is going to change. After the explosions, the smoke dissipated and a figure was still there. Not good, he's not dead. A Lan family warrior cried out. Elder Ling Mo's eyes flashed with a dark light, and his body exuded a strong aura of gold. Blue veins popped up on his forehead, and his old face aged a lot in an instant. It was as if he had aged more than 10 years in just a moment. All of you die, Ling Mo said faintly. He made a grabbing motion with his bare hands, and the metal attribute spiritual power in the surroundings actually gathered over. He opened his palms and with a boom, it split into dozens of metal attribute blades that flew towards the spirit masters of the Li and Lan families. Xiao xiao. Under Ling Mo's control, the metal spiritual energy exploded on the spirit masters who couldn't escape in time. In just a few moments, the Li and Lan families had lost 6 or 7 spirit masters. It was a heavy loss. At this moment, Li Qianzhong, Lan Jinfeng, Ling Tsang, Li Kongdu, and Lu Ji rushed over from the arena and saw this scene. How could Ling Mo have reached the king level? Impossible. Li Qianzhong shouted in disbelief. Lan Jinfeng was even more shocked. If they couldn't take down the Ling family today, then the Li and Lan families would be destroyed tomorrow. Ling Tsang didn't hesitate to take out something and throw it into the air. Boom. A firework bloomed and became sparkling. Soon after, 4 people appeared not far from the Ling family and quickly arrived at Ling Tsang's side. Greetings, Patriarch. The 4 respectfully greeted Ling Tsang. So Ling Tsang still had a trick up his sleeve. Li Qianzhong and Lan Jinfeng were even more shocked. Besides the Ling family's people, kill everyone else. Ling Tsang ordered the 4 people and directly found Li Qianzhong to fight. Li Su had already chosen to stand on the Ling family's side, so he couldn't just sit around and do nothing. The 4 middle-aged men went to look for the martial artists of the Li and Lan families. The Ling family's advantage had returned. Ling Mo, who had reached the king level, was like a god of death. Waves of spiritual energy continuously scattered around him. After a while, another 2 spirit masters fell. His killing power was terrifying. Everyone scatter and escape. He can only maintain his strength for 15 minutes. Li Shenbao knew the effects of the burning spirit pill and immediately reminded his people. 15 minutes is enough to kill all of you, Ling Mo said confidently as he felt his surging strength. After saying that, Ling Mo flew toward Li Shenbao. In the blink of an eye, he arrived in front of Li Shenbao. His speed was so fast that it made people speechless. Quickly set up the king-killing formation. Li Shenbao was shocked and quickly retreated. At the same time, he didn't forget to call for his people to set up the formation. Unfortunately, it was too late. Ling Yuan and Hui had also arrived. The Ling family spirit masters were no weaker than the Li and Lan families. The Li family spirit masters had no chance to set up the formation. Ling Mo waved both of his hands and 2 material-like golden spears flew towards Li Shenbao. Their speed was many times faster than the speed of a spirit master. Li Shenbao couldn't dodge at all. The 2 golden spears ruthlessly pierced through his chest. Old clan leader. The Li family's people cried out in sorrow. Li Shenbao covered the blood on his chest and muttered, "I'll fight you to the death." Having said that, he also took out a pill and swallowed it without thinking. The burning spirit pill. It was the burning spirit pill again. This was a top 3rd rank pill. It was a pill that was rarely seen in Meteor City in 100 years. The spirit burning pill could allow any high spirit master to break through to the king level. However, this king level strength could only be maintained for 15 minutes. This 15 minutes was exchanged for 10 years of lifespan. Using the spirit burning pill was equivalent to burning 10 years of lifespan to reach the king level. After 15 minutes, the person would enter the weakest state and wouldn't be able to recover for half a year. Moreover, they wouldn't have any chance to advance in the future. They could only stop before the high spirit master level. The side effect of this was too great. If it wasn't a matter of life and death, no one would use it. There were only 2 spirit burning pills in the entire Meteor City. They appeared 30 years ago. At that time, Ling Mo's father, who was the previous clan leader of the Ling family, and the previous clan leader of the Li family, Li Shenbao, had each bought them at a high price. Therefore, when Ling Mo took out the spirit burning pill, Li Shunbao immediately recognized the origin of the pill in Ling Mo's hand and could tell its effects. Now that Ling Mo had reached the king level, even if it had only been 15 minutes, it was enough to kill the spirit masters of the Li family and Lan family. Li Shunbao was also heavily injured. If he couldn't stop Ling Mo, then the Li family and Lan family's operation this time would probably fail. Not only that, but they would also have to bear the Ling family's wrath in the future. After Li Shunbao took the spirit-burning pill, his injuries stopped and he also reached the king level. The clash of two king-level experts turned the Ling family's inner courtyard into ruins within ruins. All the spirit masters stayed far away, afraid of being caught in the crossfire. While everyone was fighting to the death, a short black shadow swept toward the Ling family's artifact pavilion. The artifact pavilion, book pavilion, and mystic skill pavilion were all in the deepest part of the Ling family's inner courtyard, so the battle hadn't reached there yet. Who is it? The two Ling family spirit cultivators guarding the artifact pavilion exclaimed. However, just as they exclaimed, the black shadow swept past. Their faces immediately turned black and they foamed at the mouth. They died on the spot. This black shadow was Old Ghost, the poison master. Old Ghost blasted open the iron door of the artifact pavilion with one palm. He saw that the spacious room was filled with dazzling weapons. Most of these weapons were ordinary first-stage weapons. Old Ghost glanced at the weapons here and without hesitation he flashed up to the second floor. The second floor was filled with second-stage weapons, and there were nearly 1,000 of them ranging from low stage to high stage. Old Ghost kept flipping through the weapons here as if he was looking for something. After searching for a while, he actually caught a glimpse of a black medicine cauldron in a corner. Finally found it. Old Ghost was overjoyed and immediately grabbed the medicine cauldron. Swoosh! Just as Old Ghost grabbed the medicine cauldron, a ray of light suddenly appeared, and actually forced him to take a few steps back. There's actually a restriction. Old Ghost's expression changed slightly, and he took out an iron chain from his waist and swung it at the medicine cauldron. Boom boom boom. After a series of explosions, the medicine cauldron's restriction was forcibly destroyed by Old Ghost. Haha, got it. Old Ghost grabbed the medicine cauldron and laughed loudly, then pounced out of the window. Who dares to steal the Ling family's treasure? A few Ling family guards exclaimed when they saw Old Ghost's figure. The Ling family guards didn't say anything and raised their swords to attack Old Ghost. Unfortunately, the difference in stage was too big and it was just a mask. A few Ling family guards died on the spot. Overestimating yourself. Old Ghost said disdainfully, then fled out of the Ling family. At this moment, Old Ghost felt a wind at the back of his head, and sensed that someone was sneaking up on him. Without thinking, he turned around and blasted out a black fog palm. It's you again, you dwarf. If I don't get rid of you today, my surname isn't Ling. Chapter 142. Ling Xiao had killed his way from the courtyard of his house, killing a dozen or so attendants of the Li and Lan families, as well as dozens of poisoned men. Then he heard a shocking explosion in the inner courtyard, so he hurried over to see who had such destructive power. However, when he came to the inner courtyard, that terrifying king-level spiritual power attack forced him to stay far away. However, the fire Qilin had brought Ling Xiao to the weapon depository. At first, Ling Xiao didn't know what was going on, but when he saw Old Ghost coming out of the weapon depository, Ling Xiao understood why the fire Qilin had brought him here. Originally, when Ling Xiao had returned from Desolate Mountain Range, he had been intercepted by Old Ghost outside Meteorite City. At that time, it was the fire Qilin who had fought against Old Ghost. It turned out that the fire Qilin had remembered Old Ghost's aura and had come for revenge. Old Ghost looked up at Ling Xiao and the fire Qilin in the air, his heart filled with fear. As a high-level spirit master, he naturally didn't fear Ling Xiao but Ling Xiao's mount, the fire Qilin. He knew very well how powerful this spirit beast was, and now that it had grown, it would probably be even more difficult to deal with. Old Ghost didn't even think about it and fled between the houses. His goal this time was for the Ling family's medicine cauldron. Now that he had succeeded, there was no need to stay and wait for death. Unfortunately, the fire Qilin was very vengeful. Without waiting for Ling Xiao's orders, it immediately chased after Old Ghost, spitting out scorching flames from its mouth, burning everything in its path. Prodigal boy, please aim properly. If you go on like this young master's house will all burn down. Ling Xiao said to the fire Qilin as he looked at the burning houses. The fire Qilin gave a low cry, no longer spitting fire, but sped up and pounced on Old Ghost. Half a year ago, the Fire Chilin's strength had reached the middle of the 3rd level. Now it was at least at the peak of the 3rd level, and its strength was even more terrifying than before. Today it hadn't killed Li Qianzhong on the other side of the stage, and it was still angry. Now that it had met its enemy, it no longer played around carelessly. With a leap, its front claws smashed fiercely towards Old Ghost. Old Ghost was shocked and turned back to smash 2 iron chains at the Fire Qilin. At the same time, Ling Xiao seized the opportunity and brandished the flaming sword in his hand, sending a terrifying flame towards Old Ghost. Old Ghost's hair was burned by Ling Xiao, and he became bald in an instant. He was so angry that he screamed. Even so, he still turned and fled with the medicine cauldron. Unfortunately, it was too late. The Fire Chilin's flames had already reached his butt. Old Ghost was instantly burned and he kept rolling on the ground in pain. Unfortunately, the fire on his body did not decrease at all. Instead, it became more and more vigorous. Seeing this, Ling Xiao couldn't help but recall that the Fire Qilin God Beast's flames were the purest yang flames in the world, able to incinerate all things. The Old Ghost was burned to death. Nothing was left of him. There was only a burnt smell at the scene. However, the medicine cauldron that Old Ghost had stolen was also burned, but it didn't show any signs of damage. Instead, the dust that had covered it was completely burned away, revealing the black and shiny mysterious patterns inside. One could even faintly see a faint black halo around the body of the cauldron. The more one looked at it, the more they felt that this medicine cauldron was extraordinary. Ling Xiao was already an alchemist, so he could naturally see that this cauldron was extraordinary. It was many times better than the one he had obtained from Li Su's forge. Both the exterior and interior design were perfect and reasonable. Ling Xiao's eyes glowed as he swallowed a mouthful of saliva. He grabbed the cauldron and caressed the profound spirit patterns on it, feeling extremely comfortable. That warm feeling made him love it so much that he didn't hesitate to use his hands. It made him have an urge to immediately start concocting pills. Could it be, this is the obsidian cauldron? Ling Xiao recalled the first chapter of the Alchemy Secrets, that introduced the legend of the 9 great heaven medicine cauldrons and the 18 earth medicine cauldrons in the Xianling continent. These medicine cauldrons were precious items that all alchemists on the continent dreamed of owning. Because these medicine cauldrons could not only improve the efficiency of concocting pills, but also make the quality of the pills several times better than ordinary medicine cauldrons. For alchemists, this medicine cauldron could also be used as an offensive weapon. In other words, the heaven medicine cauldron belonged to the category of divine tools. In addition to its extraordinary power, it also had many magical uses. The medicine cauldron in front of him was very similar to the obsidian cauldron that was ranked 5th in the 9 great heaven medicine cauldron. It was just that Ling Xiao had never seen it before, so he couldn't tell whether it was real or fake. However, whether this medicine cauldron was real or fake, at least it was much better than the original medicine cauldron. Ling Xiao naturally wanted to keep it for himself. It wasn't that he wanted to embezzle the family's things, but that there was no one in the family who was an alchemist. Otherwise, it wouldn't have been left idle in the treasure pavilion. It's really thanks to this short winter melon. Otherwise, I would have really missed such a good medicine cauldron. Ling Xiao murmured as he put away the medicine cauldron. Then he rode the Fire Qilin and headed towards the direction of the battle in the inner courtyard. The confrontation between Ling Mo and Li Shenbao had destroyed the courtyard, and the buildings had collapsed and been destroyed. Ling Mo had taken the burning spirit pill earlier than Li Shenbao, but when Li Shenbao took it, he was already seriously injured. At the end of the battle, the medicinal effect of the medicine was completely exhausted, and they fell to the ground at the same time. Although Li Shenbao had successfully stopped Ling Mo, the Ling family had regained control of the situation. Li Qianzhong and Lan Zhenfeng knew that there was nothing they could do, so they evacuated the Ling family with the remaining people. In this battle, although the Ling family won, they also suffered heavy losses. 4 of the previous generation's elders had fallen, and among the current generation's elders, the 7th elder and the 8th elder had died. The rest of the elders were more or less injured. In addition, more than 60 deacons had died, and nearly 300 guards had died. If Ling Mo hadn't taken the burning spirit pill at the end and killed the 8 spirit masters from the Li and Lan families, the losses would have been even worse. Ling Tsang's timely return and the 4 mysterious spirit master experts that he had hidden away were the key to turning the situation around. The Li and Lan family's operation this time had undoubtedly failed, and their losses were even greater than the Ling family's. Just the spirit master experts alone had been killed by the enemy. Among them, the previous clan leader of the Li clan, Li Shunbao, had died in battle. The 300+ attendants and guards sent by the two clans were all killed. The 200 poison men that old ghost had brought were also all killed. In the Ling family's temporary cabinet meeting, all the elders of the Ling family were present. Everyone had different expressions on their faces and most of them were indignant. Ling Tsang still sat in the middle seat, and the first to his right was not the second elder Ling Mo, but the previous generation Ling Qin, and the first to his left was the fourth elder Ling Wei. In the main hall, the second elder Ling Mo was like an old man who had one foot in his grave, lying on a chair with an indifferent expression. Beside him was the fifth elder Ling Yan, whose face was filled with sorrow. The first to speak was not Ling Tsang, but the previous generation Ling Qin. After all, he was the most senior here. Ling Mo, Ling Yan, you two are muddle-headed, sigh. Ling Qin said bitterly. Elder Qin, the position of clan leader originally belonged to my big brother. What wrong did we do to take it back? The fifth elder Ling Yan replied indignantly. He then continued, I didn't think that the bastard old ghost was a member of the Li family, and almost destroyed the family. There's no point in talking anymore, I'll let everyone deal with me, but my big brother, please take care of him. As he finished speaking, Ling Yan raised his hand and slammed it towards the top of his head. Wait! Ling Tsang shouted, and a figure instantly appeared in front of Ling Yan, grabbing his hand. Ling Tsang, what else do you want? Ling Yan stared at Ling Tsang and asked. Fifth elder, haven't we fought enough these years? If you really want the position of clan leader back, Ling Tsang will step down, Ling Tsang said in a low voice. He had been suppressing these words for a long time, but in reality, the clan leader was not as glorious as it seemed on the surface. Who knew how many days and nights he had to work for the family, and how many times he could enjoy the happiness of being a grandfather? Ling Tsang was tired after all these years and he really wanted to let it go. After this incident, he completely understood that what he pursued was not the dignity of a leader, but the happiness of being able to spend every day with his children. Of course, it was time for him to close himself off for a period of time, and see if he could step into the legendary king realm. This was what he wanted to pursue now. However, before that, he had to destroy the Li and Lan families. Ling. The fifth elder wanted to say something but he couldn't. Ling Tsang squatted down and looked at Ling Mo, who had aged more than 10 years, and said indifferently, Second elder brother, after fighting for so many years, it's time for us to let go. For the Ling family we should unite. After we destroy the Li and Lan families, I will pass the position of clan leader to Ling Wei. You can rest assured now. After hearing this, Ling Mo's old eyes flashed with a hint of regret. Could it be that he had really done wrong all these years? Ling Tsang's magnanimity had undoubtedly stabilized the Ling family. The most important thing now was to find the Grand Elder. After Ling Yan told Ling Yan about the battle between the Grand Elder and Han Ming and Lu Tingxian, he gave himself a heavy slap and immediately rushed towards Lu Tingxian, hoping that he could make it in time. However, when Ling Yan reached Lu Tingxian, the Grand Elder was already dead. Ling Yan was filled with regret, and he carried the Grand Elder's corpse back to the Ling family. The news of the Grand Elder's death had quietly spread throughout the Ling family. In an instant, the Ling family was once again shrouded in a heavy shadow. Clan leader, elders, Ling Yan deserves to die 10,000 times. Ling Yan knelt in front of Ling Tsang and the other elders, and used a dagger to stab himself in the chest. Forget it, since you've already regretted it, I'm sure the Grand Elder won't blame you. However, you've committed a great crime, so after we destroy the Li and Lan families, you and your brother will not be able to step out of the family for the rest of your lives. Are you willing to accept this punishment? Ling Qin said as he heavily sighed. We accept the punishment. The fifth elder said dispiritedly. The Grand Elder had always been the pillar of the Ling family, and now that he had passed away, anyone would feel extremely sad for him. Patriarch, do you think we should let the Supreme Elder rest in peace first? Ling Wei, who was at the side, said. And let's first put the Grand Elder in his coffin. After we've massacred the Li and Lan families, we'll hold his funeral. Ling Tsang calmly nodded. At this moment, an urgent voice sounded out from outside, I can still save the Grand Elder. Chapter 143. The person who walked in was Ling Xiao. His face was full of sorrow. Even though the old man lying in the hall had not taught him much, the old man's love for him was undeniable. When he heard that the old man had passed away, he immediately rushed over. He did not want to see the old man pass away like this. No matter what price he had to pay, he had to save the old man. Even though he did not have the confidence, he would not give up until he tried. Xiao Heir, the Grand Elder, has already passed away. Don't disturb him, Ling Tsong comforted. Ling Xiao did not respond to Ling Tsong. Instead, he glared at Ling Yan and yelled, "If the old man really does not wake up, I will make sure your entire family dies with him." If it was before, Ling Yan would definitely have yelled at Ling Xiao and even taught him a lesson. However, there was only guilt in his heart now, and he couldn't say anything to Ben. Indeed, if it were not for the two brothers plotting a rebellion, the Li and Lan families taking advantage of the situation, the Ling family would not have met with such a disaster. "Alright, stop arguing here. Hurry up and let the old man enter the coffin," Ling Qin said unhappily. Even though he knew that Ling Xiao was the Grand Elder's disciple, seeing this brat being so arrogant made him slightly unhappy. "I said that I can save the old man. No one is allowed to touch the old man," Ling Xiao said calmly as he bent down to look at the Grand Elder. "Bastard, don't think that just because you are the Grand Elder's disciple that you can disrespect your elders. The Grand Elder's breath is already gone. Even a heaven-defying pill cannot bring him back to life, let alone a brat like you. Ling Tsong, chase him out, don't let him delay the Grand Elder's rest." Ling Qin slammed the table and yelled. Even though Ling Tsong was the clan leader, the authority of the previous generation's Grand Elder was not lower than his. He was about to go over and persuade Ling Xiao to leave. "Wastrel Xiao Jin," Ling Xiao called out with a frown. The Spirit Beast Bracer flashed, and the Fire Qilin and the Golden Wolf King appeared on either side of Ling Xiao. The two Spirit Beasts sensed Ling Xiao's anger and glared at the group. As long as Ling Xiao gave the order, they would pounce and kill them. All the elders looked at Ling Xiao's two majestic spiritual beasts and their hearts were filled with awe. For a moment, no one dared to move, even Ling Qin shut his mouth, his mind was filled with thoughts. This guy can't be the legendary beast tamer, right? Beast tamers were extremely rare in the entire continent. They were people with extraordinary talents in Tenbin. They could work with the spiritual beast sect and tame spiritual beasts. Every beast tamer was also divided into ranks. Those who could tame rank 1 spirit beasts were rank 1 beast tamers, those who could tame rank 2 spirit beasts were rank 2 beast tamers, and so on. The higher the rank of a beast tamer, the more fearsome he was. He might not be very powerful, but he could make a large group of spirit beasts follow him. With high-rank spirit beasts by his side at all times, who would dare to disrespect him? It could be said that beast tamers were even rarer than alchemists and blacksmiths. Elder Chen let Xiao Heir try. He's a rank 2 alchemist, maybe he has a good idea. Ling Tsong said to Ling Qin. He only said this to give Ling Qin a way out of this embarrassing situation. Rank 2 alchemist? All the elders were shocked, but in their hearts, they would not believe it even if they were beaten to death. Sigh, alright. Since this kid is the Great Elder's disciple, I believe the Great Elder will not blame him for venting his sins. Ling Qin sighed. All the elders turned their faces away. None of them believed that Ling Xiao had the ability to bring the dead back to life. Unless he was at the legendary refined saint stage or godly stage, then there might be a glimmer of hope. However, Ling Xiao himself was also not 100% confident. It could only be said that there was a glimmer of hope. Ling Xiao gathered his thoughts and continuously called out in his heart, "Elder Lu, quickly come out and save him." Of course, Lu Wang, who was in Ling Xiao's sea of consciousness, could feel the urgency in Ling Xiao's heart. He immediately replied, "Little friend, although this old man has some ability, you can't keep tormenting this old man like this. I've only recovered a little bit of vitality during this period of time, and now you want to exploit me again. Elder Lu, I've never thought of tormenting you. I just want my drop of 10,000-year tree's milk back. Don't tell me you want to go back on your word?" Ling Xiao said. A few days ago, Ling Xiao had helped Lu Wang auction off the green needle silver, and Lu Wang had promised Ling Xiao a drop of 10,000-year tree's milk. Right now, Ling Xiao was planning to use this drop of 10,000-year tree's milk to save the Great Elder. Ling Xiao had consumed the 10,000-year tree's milk before, so he felt that its effect should not be as simple as increasing one's lifespan by 100 years. He believed that it definitely had the effect of bringing the dead back to life. Otherwise, how would Lu Wang have been able to make all the plants in the illusionary valley grow again in such a short period of time? Lu Wang shook his head. He had originally wanted to earn some of Ling Xiao's money, but he didn't expect that he would have to spit it out now. He smiled bitterly and had no choice but to contribute a drop of crystal white tree's milk. Every drop of 10,000-year tree's milk was the location of his profound qi, and he didn't know how long it would take for him to condense a drop of crystal white tree's milk. However, since he had previously promised Ling Xiao, he wouldn't go back on his word. Moreover, Ling Xiao didn't know the value of the green needle silver that Lu Weng had obtained. Otherwise, Lu Weng wouldn't have used a drop of 10,000-year tree's milk to ask Ling Xiao to help him auction it. Ling Xiao placed his finger on the Grand Elder's dry lips and guided Lu Weng's drop of 10,000-year tree's milk into his mouth. Ling Xiao looked at the Grand Elder and softly said, "Grandfather, I know that you won't die so easily, right? You still haven't taught me to become a king. You're too useless as my master. If you don't wake up, I won't acknowledge you as my master in the future. That's too shameful." The elders in the hall all mistakenly thought that Ling Xiao couldn't accept the fact that the Grand Elder had passed away. Ling Tsang felt very gratified in his heart. At least his grandson was loyal. No one knew that while Ling Xiao was speaking, he had already dripped the 10,000-year tree's milk into the Grand Elder's mouth. At this moment, a pure and vast energy spread out from the Grand Elder's lifeless body, and the wounds on his body healed at a speed visible to the naked eye. The energy that spread out gave the elders in the hall a big fright. What's going on? Ling Chen looked at the Grand Elder, who was undergoing a strange change on the ground. So pure, so powerful. Ling Tsang muttered as he felt the energy that the Grand Elder was emitting. All the elders looked at the scene in front of them with faces full of shock. They saw that the Grand Elder was wrapped in a ball of green light that was full of vitality. The green light emitted a dazzling light that made people unable to look directly at it. Gradually, the Grand Elder's wounds not only recovered under the nourishment of the green light, but also underwent an astonishing change. His originally white hair gradually turned black, and his withered old skin became firm and ruddy. Everyone stared at the scene in disbelief. Even Ling Xiao himself was startled by what he saw. Could it be that the 10,000-year tree's milk also has the effect of rejuvenating one's youth? Ling Xiao wondered in his heart. Not long after, the Grand Elder's changes gradually stopped, and he actually returned to his middle-aged appearance. His heart also began to beat, and his aura gradually became stronger. Just at the moment when the green light disappeared, the Grand Elder opened his eyes. His eyes were incomparably sharp, and a powerful aura spread out, causing everyone to take a few steps back. Waves of powerful spiritual energy from the surroundings surged towards the Grand Elder. He was no longer surrounded by the green light, but by a golden light like the sun, appearing extremely holy and inviolable. The Grand Elder's aura became stronger and stronger, and the temporary meeting room was immediately crushed by the spiritual energy that rushed over. Everyone hurriedly ran out of the meeting room. Grand Elder broke through. Ling Chen said with his mouth wide open in disbelief. For a moment, Ling Tsang and the other elders' hearts were thrown into a storm. They actually could not help but want to worship the Grand Elder who was emitting such a powerful aura. Luckily their consciousness was still quite strong, otherwise they really would have knelt down. The surrounding Ling family members who were cleaning up the mess were all forced to the ground by the Grand Elder's powerful aura, their hearts filled with reverence. Suddenly the Grand Elder, who had been standing all this time, emitted an ear-piercing crackling sound. Then he let out a hearty laugh and then pushed himself up from the ground. "I've finally broken through." The Grand Elder's voice was like a morning bell, ringing in the hearts of every Ling family member. At this moment, the Grand Elder finally became the protector in the hearts of everyone in the Ling family. They firmly believed that as long as the Grand Elder was still alive, the Ling family would definitely continue to prosper. Ling Qin, Ling Tsang, and the other elders all bowed to the Grand Elder in midair, and said, "Congratulations to the Grand Elder for successfully breaking through and becoming a king." Ling Xiao looked at the Supreme Elder in midair as well, and he couldn't help but feel a surge in his heart as he sensed the powerful pressure emanating from the Supreme Elder. Is this the pressure of a king-rank expert? Normally, when a martial artist reached the Spirit Master level, they would be able to produce an aura and use it to shock their opponents. However, that had to be done on purpose. Right now, the Grand Elder only had to stand there, and everyone below the Spirit Master level felt a sense of pressure. If the Grand Elder deliberately released his aura, then anyone below the Spirit Master level would be heavily injured, and anyone below the Mystic Knight level would immediately die. This was the terrifying thing about a king-level expert. "You can all pass," the Grand Elder said as he slowly descended from midair. After the Grand Elder stood still, his gaze fell on Ling Xiao. In a flash, he appeared beside Ling Xiao and heavily patted Ling Xiao's shoulder, saying, "Xiao heir, it's all thanks to you. Otherwise, I really would have gone to see the King of Hell. That's because my life is tough. Even the King of Hell wouldn't dare to take you in. Ling Xiao laughed heartily. This time Ling Xiao was really very happy. He had finally saved the Grand Elder. Alright, I won't be unreasonable anymore. Then do you still feel that having a master like me is a disgrace to you? The Grand Elder couldn't help but tease him. He was very happy in his heart. In fact, long ago the Grand Elder knew that his time was coming. Only by breaking through to the king level could he extend his lifespan by 200 years. Unfortunately, his body had suffered many injuries in his early years, and he had many hidden injuries. Thus, he had never been able to break through from half-step king level to the true king level. This was also the reason why he was in a hurry to choose a successor. He only hoped that in the last 2 years, he could help the Ling clan cultivate a successor who could protect the Ling clan in the future. Who knew that Ling Mo and Ling Yan would betray him, causing him to fight Han Ming, and both of them would die in battle. Fortunately, he had cultivated the Vajra 5 transformation technique, which allowed his internal organs to still have vitality for a certain period of time. If Ling Xiao had saved him a little later, when all the muscle cells in his body had died, even the milk of the 10,000-year tree wouldn't be able to bring him back to life. The Grand Elder looked around at the miserable state of the Ling clan. He frowned and looked at the group of elders. Finally his gaze fell on Ling Yan. Ling Yan stepped forward and knelt in front of the Grand Elder. He repented, Ling Yan has failed the Ling clan. Grand Elder, please grant me death. Chapter 144. You deserve to die, the Supreme Elder said calmly. At this moment, Ling Tsang stepped forward and said to the Supreme Elder, Supreme Elder, the 5th Elder has repented, so let's punish him. The Supreme Elder looked at the two of them and sighed, Forget it, Ling Yan, go and face the wall for 10 years. You're not allowed to step out of the family. If you do anything to the Ling family again, I won't let you off. Thank you, Supreme Elder, Ling Yan bowed. After Ling Yan left, the Supreme Elder asked him about what had happened in the past day and night. Ling Tsang briefly told him what had happened. The Li family and the Lan family, the Supreme Elder's eyes were filled with killing intent. Supreme Elder, do you think we should go and destroy the Li and Lan families now? Ling Chen asked. Originally, with the Ling family's strength, it would have been difficult to destroy the Li and Lan families, but now it was different. The Supreme Elder's breakthrough had given the Ling family a boost of confidence. Just the Grand Elder alone could wipe out all the people from these two clans in a matter of minutes. Since they dared to offend our Ling family, we can't let them off, the Supreme Elder said sternly. He then said to Ling Chen, take the elders and destroy the Lan family. I'll personally deal with the Li family. Before they leave Meteorite City, make sure they all disappear. Ling Tsang, you're the Ling family's patriarch, so you don't need to fight. Stay here and rebuild the inner courtyard. Yes, Ling Chen replied. He immediately brought the remaining 5 elders, Ling Yuan, Hu Yi, and the 4 spirit masters that Ling Tsang had trained to personally go to the Lan family. Xiao Er, are you interested in going to the Li family with me? The Supreme Elder looked at Ling Xiao and smiled. Xiao Er, that's exactly what I'm thinking, Ling Xiao replied. It was impolite not to return the favor. If one didn't take revenge, one wouldn't be a gentleman. Now that the Grand Elder had made a move, Ling Xiao naturally wouldn't let the Li family off. Of course, he was only going there to train because he felt that he was about to reach the critical point of breaking through, and moving around would be beneficial to his breakthrough. Let's go, I'll take you there. It'll be faster that way, the Supreme Elder said as he walked over to Ling Xiao. He was a king rank expert now and could fly, so his speed was naturally much faster than walking. Old master, you should go first. I can keep up with you. Maybe you won't be able to catch up with me, Ling Xiao said with a smile. Your mount may be fast, but do you really think it can catch up to me? The Grand Elder laughed. He rose into the air and flew in the direction of the Li clan. He deliberately slowed down a little, waiting for Ling Xiao to run over on the Golden Wolf King. However, he didn't expect that the little red beast beside Ling Xiao could actually transform. It instantly grew to 2 meters long. Its appearance was very mighty and extraordinary. Could this be the legendary Qilin divine beast? The Grand Elder thought in horror. Ling Xiao mounted the fire Qilin and flew towards the Grand Elder. Soon he reached the Grand Elder's side. Old master, let's go. This prodigal speed is faster than yours. Ling Xiao commanded the fire Qilin to fly towards the Li family. Its speed was like a gust of wind, and it instantly appeared 100 meters away. Good lad, I really didn't misjudge you. The Grand Elder laughed bitterly and flew forward at full speed. In the Li family no one was happy. Instead their hearts were heavy. They had thought that they would take advantage of the Ling family's internal strife to take them down in one fell swoop. They hadn't expected to suffer a double loss in the end. Now, all the direct descendants of the Li family were gathered in the conference room. Clan leader, what should we do now? What if the Ling family attacks? A lightly injured elder asked Li Qianzhong worriedly. He hadn't expected the Ling family to be so powerful. Even with the combined forces of two families, more than half of them had still been killed. He also knew that it was mainly because Ling Imo had taken the spirit-burning pill. What's there to be afraid of? The Ling family's losses aren't small either. I don't think they'll attack during this period of time. But we also need to tighten our defenses and warn our clansmen not to go out during this period. Li Qianzhong frowned. How could he not be afraid of the Ling family's revenge? But he didn't think that the Ling family would attack so quickly. After all, the Ling family's losses weren't small. If the Ling family chose to invade at this time, even if the Ling family successfully destroyed the Li family would have to pay a heavy price. At that time, the Li family would not be able to recover, and two of the three great families would be removed from Meteorite City. This was a result that the Ling family did not want to see. Qianzhong, I already said that attacking the Ling family this time was unwise. Even the old clan leader, a Li family elder, shook his head and sighed. When they had chosen to become enemies with the Ling family, he had strongly opposed it. He felt that with the Li family's current strength, they wouldn't be able to shake the Ling family. If he hadn't heard the old clan leader say that someone was going to deal with the Ling family's old man, he definitely wouldn't have agreed. Elder Hong, do you think there's any point in saying this now? Are you saying that only the Ling family is allowed to bully our Li family? Qingqing was killed and Yuanlong's hand was cut off. This was all instigated by that little bastard from the Ling family. If we don't respond, wouldn't that be throwing away the Li family's face? Li Qianzhong said unhappily. Now that things have reached this point, there's no point in talking about it. Let's talk about the family's future. I think we should ask the Ling family for peace. You've all sensed the shocking aura from the Ling family just now. I'm afraid. Before he could finish, Li Qianzhong interrupted him. Elder Hong, I think you've become stupid after being in seclusion for so long. Right now, the two families are at each other's throats and you want to ask for peace? Tell me, are you thinking of betraying the family? Li Qianzhong's chi surged as he charged towards the elder. Li Qianzhong, I am your elder. How dare you insult me like this? I declare that I'm leaving the family, and whatever happens in the family in the future has nothing to do with me. The elder snorted, unwilling to be outdone. His invasion of the Ling family had failed this time and he was afraid. If that old fart from the Ling family didn't die, then it would be a disaster for the Li family. He didn't want to be buried with him. How dare you betray the family? Li Qianzhong shouted, and without any warning his hand shot out. A small flame shot towards the elder's chest. The elder hadn't expected Li Qianzhong to attack just like that. He didn't even have time to defend himself before his heart was pierced by that flame. Even in death he couldn't rest in peace. Whoever dares to stir the hearts of the people will die, Li Qianzhong said gloomily. For a moment, none of the elders in the main hall dared to say anything else. Clan leader, it's bad. One of the enforcers ran back in panic. Bastard! Li Qianzhong shouted, and with a wave of his hand, he sent the enforcer flying out of the room. He died on the spot. Right now, Li Qianzhong was in a fit of anger and someone had actually said something bad about him. If this wasn't courting death, then what was? Just at this time, a shocking explosion came from outside the room, mixed with miserable screams. Don't tell me the Ling family has attacked so quickly? One of the elders quivered. Let's go take a look. Li Qianzhong's expression was extremely ugly, and he was the first to rush out. The remaining 5 elders of the Li clan also followed him out of the room. Then they saw a scene that made them all feel ashamed. I beg you, young Master Ling Xiao, even if you want me to be a pig or a dog, I'm willing. Please don't kill me. A youth knelt in front of Ling Xiao, wiping away his snot as he begged. This youth was Li Qianzhong's grandson Li Guangyin. He was one of the 3 tyrants of Meteor City who had wanted to take over Wuxia a year ago. Haha, I can let you go. As long as you dare call your grandfather Li Qianzhong the #1 old pervert of Meteor City, raping captives, killing people, arson and committing all sorts of crimes, this young master will consider letting you go. Ling Xiao laughed mockingly. "Ah, ah." Li Guangyin looked at Li Qianzhong in shame, but he didn't dare say anything. "Since you have so much guts, then I'll send you on your way," Ling Xiao said impatiently, raising the blazing flame sword in his hand. "Oh, I'll curse." Li Guangyin's spirit had completely collapsed in the face of the death god's summons. Then he turned his head to look at Li Qianzhong and cursed. Li Qianzhong is Meteor City's #1 old pervert, raping captives, arson and committing all sorts of crimes. An old pervert, old pervert, old pervert. You bastard, I'll kill you." Li Qianzhong had never suffered such humiliation, and it was even cursed by his own grandson. How could he keep his old face? A towering rage surged forth. He flicked his fingers and 2 small flames shot out. One was aimed at Ling Xiao and the other was aimed at his grandson Li Guangyin. As the saying goes, even a vicious tiger doesn't eat its cubs. But Li Qianzhong didn't have the slightest bit of pity for his spineless grandson. He had actually knelt to the enemy and even insulted his own grandfather. What was the point of keeping this kind of trash in this world? Even Ling Xiao couldn't help but feel admiration for Li Qianzhong's vicious methods. Li Qianzhong was truly worthy of being the clan head of a generation. He was even willing to destroy his own family for the sake of righteousness. Just as the fiery light was about to reach Ling Xiao, a golden light flashed and the fiery light disappeared. Only the fiery light that was heading for Li Guangyin continued to advance until it pierced through the center of Li Guangyin's forehead. "Who is it?" Li Qianzhong looked around in shock. He hadn't expected that someone would be able to silently disperse his raging flame finger. "Brat from the Li clan dares to offend my Ling clan? All of you can go to hell." A voice boomed through the air like thunder, causing everyone in the Li clan to feel their ears ringing. This, sir, you are?" Li Qianzhong raised his head to look at the Grand Elder floating in the air and asked in fear. He swore that he had never seen such a person in the Ling clan. Furthermore, this person was a true king-level expert. He felt a sense of regret that he had never felt before. He knew that he had kicked a steel plate by attacking the Ling clan this time. "Ah, looks like you don't recognize me. I am Ling He from the Ling clan." The Grand Elder laughed wildly. He hadn't expected that he would one day break through to the king level. This had increased his lifespan by 200 years, and he had also recovered his middle-aged appearance. How could he not be happy? Ling He, you're the Ling clan's Grand Elder." Li Qianzhong muttered, waves of shock surging through his heart. "It's good that you know. This old man will send your Li clan on their way." The Grand Elder responded. He waved his hands and waves of spiritual energy surged out. When the golden spiritual energy condensed into a solid golden spear, the Grand Elder flipped his hand and countless golden spears rained down on the Li clan. Rumble. You're tuning in to the Han Li's Wuxia Chronicles YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.